In a cafe, he encounters Voldemort's girlfriend. Following their breakup, a super wealthy system becomes bound to him. At the outset, he signs in to acquire a financial street valued in the billions, thus embarking on a journey to the pinnacle of life. After completing 10 delivery tasks, he is rewarded with a luxurious apartment in the prestigious Thompson Riviera. He establishes a company and secures 1% of the original shares of Penguin Corporation. Additionally, daily sign-in rewards flood in 10 sets of properties in prestigious school districts, a 29% equity stake in Qianjing law firm. At this moment, Qin Mu realizes that the lives of the wealthy are indeed tedious and monotonous. Is there truly no one wealthier than he? Chapter 1. He acquires a financial street worth billions at the outset. Qin Mu, you must not blame my parents for being materialistic. In this day and age, who isn't materialistic? Cars, houses, and money are the very foundations of life. Moreover, my brother is about to get married, so I will only consider a firm price of 400,000. Otherwise, you can forget about marrying me. In a coffee shop, a woman of considerable beauty and an enviable figure, albeit with an air of arrogance in her gaze, addresses a young man clad in a yellow delivery uniform, who appears somewhat naive. Qin Mu's eyes are fixed upon this woman. For reasons unbeknownst to him, he feels a lingering bitterness in his heart. This is the woman he has adored for 3 whole years. She did not seem this way back then. How has she transformed into this version of herself in just a few years in society? Perhaps society indeed has the power to change people. I have no money. The 200,000 you mentioned before is all my family's savings, and I absolutely cannot muster 400,000. Qin Mu exhales softly, and his tone towards the woman before him becomes somewhat calmer at this moment. He is aware of what will transpire next. However, a forcibly picked fruit is never sweet, and he does not wish to press further. Qin Mu, is this your answer? When my brother urged me to break up with you, I was reluctant, but now I see clearly. If you are unwilling to part with 400,000, what claims of love do you have? Anger flickers across the woman's face as she rises, grabs her bag, and prepares to leave. The changes she has undergone in recent years are indeed significant, and the reason is quite simple. This society is exceedingly pragmatic. Perhaps even if she were to marry Qin Mu, their union would not endure for long. If it were not for her brother's urgent desire to marry, she would never consider marrying a penniless boy like Qin Mu. Ding! The super wealthy system is binding successful. At that moment, a system notification resonates. Qin Mu, who had been quietly sipping his coffee and accepting the end of this relationship, slightly alters his expression. A system. He has actually bound a system. This cannot be correct. At this moment, Qin Mu's body trembles involuntarily. Another system notification echoes in his mind. Ding! Detection indicates the host has not yet signed in today. Shall we proceed with the sign-in? Sign in. Qin Mu responds promptly. As a young person of the 21st century, how could he possibly be unaware of what a system entails? Ding! Congratulations, host. You have successfully checked in and acquired the property rights of the financial street in a magic city. Upon hearing these words, the coffee that was about to be swallowed was immediately expelled in a comical spray. The financial street property rights. Although he was unaware of the standing of this financial street in the Magic City, anything worthy of being termed a financial street would, at the very least, be valued in the billions. The entire financial street now belongs to him. It is crucial to note that this calculation leans towards the most minimal estimates. If it were a larger financial street, there would be dozens of office buildings, and merely collecting rent would yield a staggering figure. In this moment, Qin Mu was momentarily taken aback. This is simply astonishing. Without a trace of hesitation, Qin Mu promptly extracted his mobile phone. He began to search for information on it, nearly causing his eyes to bulge in disbelief. This so-called financial street in the Magic City turned out to be the largest financial street in the entire Magic City, ranking 4th in the world. The Lujiazui Financial Trade Zone was established as the only national-level development zone in China named after financial trade, following the development of Pudong in 1990. The trade zone is situated in Pudong, separated from the Bund and Puxi by a river, and is encircled by the Huangpu River, the mother river of the Magic City, as well as the urban inner ring road, covering an area of 2 million square meters. The Lujiazui Financial Trade Zone serves as one of the primary financial centers in the Magic City, housing 115 skyscrapers, with its main operations consisting of foreign financial institutions. All foreign financial trade offices are required to establish themselves on this financial street. Additionally, numerous renowned banks in China are located on this financial street. The level of prosperity here undoubtedly exceeds the imagination of the average person. Furthermore, the entire financial street, in terms of environment and architectural background, has been designed by the world's foremost architects. Thus, from the entrance of Financial Street to the end, opulence is evident at every turn. In this moment, Qin Mu's emotions surged. He had originally been merely a food delivery worker, but unexpectedly, in such a brief span of time, he had become the owner of the largest financial street in the Magic City. At this moment, a profound sense of unreality coursed through Qin Mu's mind. He took a deep breath, struggling to fathom the truth of it all. Pinching his arm, Qin Mu finally realized that everything was indeed real. Now, Qin Mu, was also a billionaire boss. Not merely an estimated billionaire, but someone whose tangible real estate holdings exceeded 1,000 billion. This sensation was simply too delightful to endure. At this juncture, a ringtone emanated from his phone. It was an unfamiliar number. Qin Mu felt a twinge of curiosity and promptly answered the call. A voice on the other end conveyed a tone of utmost respect. "Hello, may I ask if you are Mr. Qin Mu?" The voice on the line spoke with considerable reverence. "Indeed, I am. I am Huang Wei, the professional manager of Financial Street. I am uncertain of your current location, but the property transfer procedures for the entire Financial Street are ready. All that is needed is for you to come and sign." The voice on the other end spoke with profound respect. Understanding that he was now a property owner worth over 1,000 billion, Qin Mu adjusted his tone and directly replied, "I am at the Qianqian Cafe. Please come here." After hanging up, Qin Mu felt a surge of excitement. Yet he was not an ordinary individual. Having struggled from a young age, he was significantly more mature than the average person. Consequently, it took him only a few minutes to compose himself. Just after finishing in the restroom, Zhou Qianqian noticed that Qin Mu had yet to leave, and an expression of disdain flickered in her eyes. She truly could not comprehend how she had ever been attracted to a poor boy like Qin Mu. Reflecting on it now felt like a waste of her time. As she made her way outside, a sudden screech of brakes pierced the air. At that moment, several Rolls-Royce Phantoms came to a halt in front of the Qianqian Cafe. From the vehicles emerged a robust man dressed in a black suit, who strode directly towards the cafe. The presence of these individuals was overwhelmingly commanding, instantly captivating the attention of the entire cafe. Heavens, who are these people? They appear quite impressive. How could they not be impressive? The license plates of the Rolls-Royces are sequential: 00001, 00002, 00003. Who in the Magic City possesses such prowess? I recall that these vehicles are the exclusive cars of the Financial Street's owner. They were reported in Forbes, and I have seen that news. My goodness, such a prominent figure visiting our cafe for coffee is simply incredible. Many patrons were abuzz with speculation, believing that the middle-aged man who had descended first was indeed the owner of Financial Street, a billionaire of significant stature. Encountering such a person in reality would undoubtedly provide endless bragging rights for many. Zhou Qianqian's gaze also shifted towards the middle-aged man, her beautiful eyes reflecting a sense of incredulity. Such a man epitomized true masculinity. In comparison, she felt as though she had been living like a dog next to Qin Mu. However, as she observed, the middle-aged man's figure gradually approached Qin Mu. He slightly bowed, his expression laden with respect. "Boss, I am Huang Wei." Chapter 345, The Arrival of the Wolf God. At this moment, on the other side, a man towering at 2 meters tall, with a wolf head tattoo gracing his neck, slowly set his phone down. His eyes were filled with a murderous intent as he rose to his feet, an astonishing aura of menace erupting forth. Behind him, several men approached, each standing no shorter than 1.80 meters, their physiques remarkably well developed, with conspicuous scars adorning their exposed skin. They were evidently individuals who had traversed the treacherous paths of life and death. Lord Wolf God. Their gazes were fixed upon him, tinged with a hint of reverence. Someone is causing trouble in our territory, and they have slain the savage beast. The Wolf God spoke softly. Upon hearing this, the expressions of the men shifted slightly. They killed the savage beast. Although the savage beast was somewhat loathsome, his strength was formidable. Anyone capable of ending his life undoubtedly possessed significant prowess. It had been a long time since anyone dared to stir trouble in their domain. The one who could slay the savage beast must be extraordinary. Should we deploy heavy weaponry? One inquired. Mobilize the firearms team. Additionally, I wish to confront this individual who dares to act so brazenly. I am eager to ascertain their true identity. The wolf god replied quietly. The others nodded in agreement. The wolf god strode forward, with them trailing behind. One of the men dialed a number, intending to summon the firearms team. The group departed, climbing into a sports car, racing towards the location of Qin Mu. Qin Mu had found a spot to sit. Codename 1 stepped down from the arena, blood still staining his hands. He wiped the blood away, a calm demeanor gracing his face. Boss. Qin Mu nodded slightly. Well done. Take a rest. Your moment to act will come soon. Codename 1 nodded and moved aside. But suddenly recalled something, casting a glance at Qin Mu. The wolf god is not a good man. I suspect he will employ some underhanded tactics. Qin Mu nodded. I have long been prepared. Do not worry. Codename 1 acknowledged this and chose to remain silent, waiting by the side. Many onlookers bore expressions of fear, with some quietly slipping away. Meanwhile, several staff members found themselves too intimidated to leave, merely observing from a distance. The once bustling underground boxing arena soon dwindled to mere dozens of individuals. For the boxing venue, this was a lucrative outcome, as they had not recouped much of their investment, essentially having lost all their previous bets to the venue. As time ticked away, the atmosphere within the boxing hall grew exceedingly tense. Qin Mu sat calmly, having procured a bag of peanuts from somewhere, leisurely consuming them while those behind him also found places to sit, their expressions remarkably relaxed. Approximately half an hour later, a creaking sound echoed as several figures approached from outside. Upon seeing them, a faint smile graced Qin Mu's lips. The foremost man was exceptionally tall, his physique well-muscled, adorned with a fearsome blood wolf tattoo on his neck, as he strode towards the arena. Following him were over 10 men, exuding an air of distinction. As he entered the boxing hall, his gaze quickly fell upon the savage beast in the arena, his expression betraying a hint of indifference. A wave of murderous intent emanating from him as his eyes locked onto Qin Mu. Chapter 346, Iron Fist. Seeing the newcomers, Qin Mu maintained a composed demeanor. He remained seated as the wolf god and his entourage approached him. The wolf god's eyes were fixed on Qin Mu, his murderous intent palpable. You are the one causing a ruckus in my territory? What is your name? The wolf god demanded, his gaze sharp and frigid. Qin Mu replied calmly. Do you not know who I am? We merely came to box, but your subordinates were too weak. An unfortunate incident occurred, and you wouldn't hold it against me. Would you? A cold smirk crept across the wolf god's lips. I certainly do not mind. If you have come to box in my territory, then you are most welcome. It seems you have great confidence in the abilities of your subordinates. Qin Mu responded. They are competent enough. After all, I raised them myself. The wolf god laughed coldly. Very well, I shall engage you in battle, a fight to the death. Do you dare? Qin Mu nodded. Of course, however, a simple boxing match lacks excitement. Let us add a wager. What do you say? The wolf god's eyes glinted with a chilling light. He was, after all, a combat enthusiast. And having gained a formidable reputation over the years with few rivals, he was intrigued by this fearless opponent. Let us each send 3 fighters. Whoever wins a match may demand a request from the other. At the end of 3 matches, should one side achieve total victory, they may present an unrefusable request from the other, even if it entails a personal sacrifice. What say you? Qin Mu proposed. Agreed. I admire your fearless spirit. The wolf god nodded. Let us formalize this with signatures. Should you inadvertently perish at the hands of my men, I shall claim your companions. Qin Mu replied. Haha. You are quite the thinker. Very well, let us sign. Nearby, someone brought forth paper and ink, and the two signed the agreement. Qin Mu, maintaining a calm expression, placed the contract beside him. Send someone forth. Qin Mu instructed. Iron Fist, you shall be the first fighter. The wolf god directed his gaze at a man in his 30s, his hands encased in iron gear, his expression fierce and taciturn. Upon hearing this, the man nodded slightly. Very well. Iron Fist strode towards the arena. Qin Mu surveyed the scene. Number 3. You are up. Codename 3 nodded, making his way to the arena. Upon his arrival, Iron Fist's gaze met his. Those familiar with Iron Fist knew he was one of the wolf god's top enforcers. His prowess far exceeded that of the savage beast, for while the savage beast favored free fighting, Iron Fist wielded weapons. Iron Fist's iron hands were not ordinary. They were impervious to blades and concealed various hidden weapons. In this arena, where life and death clashed, any kind of cold weapon was permissible. Codename 3 regarded Iron Fist intently. With a command from the referee, he suddenly charged towards his opponent. Upon witnessing codename 3's advance, Iron Fist let out a cold snort, unleashing a powerful punch. Codename 3's fist surged toward him. Bang! Their fists collided, producing a resounding thud. Both combatants staggered back slightly, but Iron Fist's strength was evidently greater, and his spiked gauntlet drew blood from Codename 3's fist upon impact. Chapter 347, Forbidden Drugs. Codename 3's expression remained cold and unyielding, his gaze fixed on Iron Fist, as if he felt no pain. With a swift motion, he launched himself at Iron Fist once more. Iron Fist scoffed, still daring to come. His fist soared towards Codename 3 once again. The Wolf God, observing from the sidelines, bore a smirk tinged with disdain. In a life-and-death arena, employing such tactics, your subordinates truly possess no fear of death. Qin Mu's expression remained composed, a hint of indifference gracing his features. The outcome of the hunt is yet to be determined. As his words fell, a faint crimson hue flickered across the skin of Code 3. This was a unique technique, enhancing the flow of blood and vitality within the body. Bam! 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 The sharp sounds resonated as the two figures danced in a flurry of motion, Iron Hand maintaining a slight advantage. Yet, Code 3 seemed to have entered a frenzied state. Growing more ferocious with each exchange, seemingly impervious to the pain and fatigue coursing through him, Iron Hand began to retreat. A sudden realization dawning upon him. The man before him was perilously dangerous. However, Code 3 offered no respite, relentlessly pressing forward. In a split second, he seized upon a flaw in Iron Hand's defense, landing a powerful blow to his abdomen. Bam! Iron Hand's complexion shifted dramatically, blood gushing from his mouth. An expression of agony etched across his face. Die! Code 3 barked, unleashing a ferocious surge of power akin to a meteor's descent. Bam! 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 The crisp sounds echoed as Iron Hand staggered back, blood continuing to spill forth, several bones within him snapping under the strain. Though Code 3 bore his own share of injuries, it was evident that Iron Hand was in far worse condition. The Wolf God cast a cold, piercing gaze towards Qin Mu, disbelief flickering in his eyes. Qin Mu, maintaining his calm demeanor, remarked, "It appears your subordinate is woefully weak." After such a short span, reduced to this state, the Wolf God's fists clenched tightly. "Perhaps I have underestimated you. However, in the next 2 rounds, victory shall elude you." Qin Mu scoffed. "Is that so?" A glint of ferocity flashed in the Wolf God's eyes. Meanwhile, on the stage, Code 3's fists rained down upon Iron Hand, whose blood sprayed forth as he gradually slumped to the ground, breath fading. Qin Mu observed the scene with an air of indifference. The referee, standing nearby, was paralyzed with fear, uncertain whether to announce the results of the match. The Wolf God's expression remained impassive. "Clear the stage. Prepare for the next bout. Tyrant, you shall take the field now. Administer the third reagent." The Wolf God directed his gaze towards a towering figure beside him, a 2-meter-tall behemoth. The man's face bore signs of trepidation, yet upon seeing Iron Hand on the ground, he understood that taking the reagent was the only way to extend his life. Should he refuse, death could very well be imminent. "I understand." The tyrant nodded, as someone approached with a medical kit, revealing a special syringe within. As the syringe pierced his skin, a grimace of pain crossed the tyrant's face. This was a forbidden substance, more fearsome than any stimulant. Its use could potentially lead to immediate death. Qin Mu observed the unfolding drama with unflinching calm. "Code 2, you are next." Code 2 nodded, slowly making his way onto the stage. Just as they ascended, the tyrant seemed unable to contain the surge of power coursing through him and charged at Code 2. Chapter 348, The Battle of Endurance. Bam! A thunderous sound erupted as the tyrant lunged at Code 2 with astonishing force and speed. Code 2 was forced to retreat, finally halting at the edge of the stage, one foot braced against a pillar, the other stepping forward. His gaze was frigid. Roar! The tyrant unleashed a primal scream, blood-red streaks appearing across his form, an overwhelming power emanating from him. It was no exaggeration to say he could bend steel with his might. Faced with such ferocity, Code 2 found himself repeatedly on the back foot. Qin Mu narrowed his eyes, acutely aware of the tyrant's terrifying strength, a product of the drug that unleashed an individual's latent potential. "Impressive. Such a substance exists," Qin Mu remarked nonchalantly. "In our line of work, what is there that does not exist? However, in a battle to the death, there are no rules, only the necessity to vanquish the opponent. This round appears to be a loss for you." The Wolf God smiled faintly. Qin Mu shrugged. "That remains to be seen." The Wolf God narrowed his gaze. For some reason, he felt that Qin Mu was not to be underestimated. Bam! 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 The two combatants on the stage exchanged blows, the resonant thuds echoing in the air as they intertwined, each unleashing their formidable strength. Code 2 and the tyrant were locked in a fierce struggle. The tyrant's power was astounding, and he felt no fear of pain. Though Code 2 was undeniably strong, the pressure of facing such an opponent was immense. At that moment, under the influence of the drug, the tyrant's overall strength had increased at least 3- or 4-fold. Even a lion or tiger would think twice before facing him. The sheer force of his recent punches could easily crush 1,000 pounds. Code 2 understood that he was overextending his body. The more ferociously he fought now, the more terrifying the repercussions would be once the drug's effects waned. Bam! Another heavy thud resounded as Code 2 was forced back. The tyrant roared, and Code 2 bore numerous wounds, while the tyrant, despite sustaining several blows, remained impervious to the pain. They clashed once more, and at that moment, a dagger appeared in Code 2's hand, swiftly aimed at the tyrant. The dagger's force was formidable. The tyrant noticed the movement and attempted to dodge, but Code 2's speed was swift and stealthy. The blade piercing the tyrant's flesh with a brutal impact. Splat! Blood flowed freely as the tyrant trembled slightly, his face a mask of agony. A glimmer of coldness flickered in Code 2's eyes. "You bastard!" The tyrant bellowed, charging once more at Code 2, his gaze now imbued with icy determination. He understood that this was a contest of endurance. In their confrontation, Code 2 could not match the tyrant's strength. Each blow from his opponent felt as though his very body would shatter. Meanwhile, the tyrant, under the drug's influence, experienced a surge in blood flow, making it a contest of who would falter first. Bam! 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 The sounds echoed as they clashed, Code 2 sustaining numerous injuries, while the tyrant was equally battered, both combatants appearing utterly disheveled. At that moment, Code 2 coughed up blood, his breath becoming exceedingly labored. The tyrant's eyes sparkled with fervor, though he was bloodied and bruised. He felt no pain. Chapter 349, Confronting the Wolf God. Witnessing this scene, Code 2 retreated a few steps, his fists clenched, and his skin began to take on a slight flush. Those who are familiar with him understand that Codename 2 utilizes a unique method to accelerate the flow of his blood. The swifter his blood circulates, the greater his strength becomes. However, the side effects are equally profound. A ferocious roar emanated from the tyrant, who was now utterly ensnared by the effects of the drug, transformed into a relentless killing machine. Observing the situation on the stage, Qin Mu exhaled softly, let him down. Codename 1 nodded in agreement. Beside them, the wolf god scoffed. "Are you conceding already? Isn't it a tad premature?" A flicker of indifference crossed Qin Mu's face. "I am not conceding. I merely believe it unnecessary to continue this fight." The wolf god's gaze turned icy. "Unnecessary? This is a life-and-death battle. If you wish to have him step down, you must first eliminate him." Qin Mu met his gaze, choosing silence. On stage, Codename 2's eyes glinted with a cold determination as he charged towards the tyrant. Bang! 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 The resounding thuds echoed as the tyrant was struck back repeatedly, blood spurting from his mouth, agony etched across his face. "I merely find him pitiful, forced into drug use and savagely beaten to death," Qin Mu remarked at that moment. The wolf god's expression darkened, his eyes flashing with malice. "Our men do not require your sympathy." Qin Mu remained taciturn, aware that those under his command had been meticulously trained, pushing their physical potential to its limits. Under such circumstances, the tyrant stood no chance against him. Bang! Another fist connected, striking the tyrant with brutal force, blood gushing forth. He collapsed to the ground, his face contorted in pain, blood flowing profusely as the drug's effects swiftly waned. Saliva dripped from his mouth, his expression a sight of despair. Seeing this, Codename 2's demeanor remained impassive as he stepped back. Just then, a torrent of blood erupted from the tyrant, who let out a mournful cry before collapsing. Qin Mu's expression bore a hint of indifference. "I have claimed victory in this second round as well. However, I know you are eager to face me. For the third round, I shall take the stage myself. Should you manage to defeat me, it shall be deemed your victory." The wolf god's fists clenched tightly. His expression darkened. "So be it. I shall not hold back." He approached the stage, disregarding the lifeless form of the tyrant as he carelessly tossed him aside. Qin Mu ascended the stage with measured steps. Codename 2 descended, appearing somewhat weakened, the prior encounter having drained him significantly. Qin Mu's gaze fell upon the wolf god, a faint smile gracing his lips. "You are a product of the Bai family's training. Over the years, you must have committed countless heinous acts for their sake." The wolf god sneered. "It seems you have come here with intentions directed at the Bai family." Qin Mu nodded. "You are correct. I indeed have my sights set on them. You cannot hope to match my strength. Allow me to offer you an opportunity. Serve under me, and I can grant you greater power." The wolf god laughed coldly. "Do you truly think that possible? What the Bai family has bestowed upon me is something you could never provide. Moreover, today, you shall undoubtedly meet your end." Chapter 350, The Drug. Upon hearing this, a serene expression crossed Qin Mu's face as he said nothing further, merely fixing his gaze upon the wolf god and assuming a combat stance. The wolf god's face hardened with resolve as he lunged at Qin Mu with astonishing speed. Qin Mu, however, remained unfazed, his expression one of calm indifference. Bang! Qin Mu's fist struck with ferocity. The wolf god was caught off guard, suffering a direct hit to his vulnerability. He staggered back, his eyes reflecting apprehension. To the untrained eye, Qin Mu may not have appeared formidable, yet the previous exchange had made it clear to the wolf god that Qin Mu possessed formidable combat prowess. Even the tyrant, under the influence of drugs, would not have been so easily exposed and struck. Intriguingly, the wolf god felt a surge of excitement in his eyes. He charged at Qin Mu once more, yet, as before, Qin Mu effortlessly identified his weaknesses, causing the wolf god to retreat repeatedly, his eyes filled with trepidation. How could this be? He was so much younger, yet he surpassed me in strength. The wolf god mused inwardly. Suddenly, his fists clenched tightly, a powerful killing intent erupting from him as his muscles rippled with energy. This was a technique he had mastered, utilizing muscle and skeletal movement to significantly enhance his strength. Whoosh! The sound of air being sliced through resonated as the wolf god lunged at Qin Mu again, his speed now exponentially greater, his strength reaching a peak. Bang! Qin Mu extended his fist forward once more. The wolf god was forced back, his face etched with disbelief. In this scenario, he still could not breach Qin Mu's defenses. A hint of disappointment flickered on Qin Mu's face. I must admit, I am rather let down. I did not expect your prowess to be so limited. The wolf god's eyes burned with fury. You insufferable wretch. You truly infuriate me. He produced a pill and swallowed it. His skin flushed a deep crimson, his gaze now brimming with murderous intent. From here on, I can no longer restrain myself. Qin Mu's eyes narrowed slightly. A forbidden substance. The wolf god had just ingested a type of illicit drug capable of dramatically boosting adrenaline and accelerating blood flow, granting him exceptional combat capabilities. Unlike the syringe used by the tyrant earlier, the side effects of this drug were considerably diminished. Whoosh! The sound of rushing air filled the space as the wolf god approached Qin Mu, his fist crashing down with tremendous force. Qin Mu swiftly dodged. But the wolf god's relentless barrage continued, each punch raining down with astonishing speed. Qin Mu's feet danced as he evaded, his eyes narrowing, seemingly illuminated by flickering sparks. For an ordinary person, facing such an onslaught from the wolf god would be nearly insurmountable. Yet, Qin Mu's battle instincts were acute. Even as the wolf god pursued relentlessly, he effortlessly discerned the trajectory of his attacks. Bang! As the wolf god's fist descended once more, Qin Mu retaliated with a powerful strike, sending the wolf god reeling, his face a mask of incredulity. Once again, he had been driven back. Despite unleashing his full power and the effects of the drug, he found himself woefully inadequate before Qin Mu. His fists clenched tightly, madness swirling in his eyes. Impossible. This cannot be real. How can he be so strong? Chapter 351, Kill Me. Qin Mu regarded him with a steady gaze. It was a trivial matter for him to deal with the wolf god, given his own strength. The wolf god's eyes blazed with fury as he charged at Qin Mu once more. Witnessing this, Qin Mu's expression remained one of cold detachment. He shook his head slightly. It appears you still fail to comprehend the chasm that lies between us. At that moment, Qin Mu waved one hand, propelling himself forward with a speed that surpassed the wolf god's by tenfold. The wolf god's expression shifted dramatically, his mind screaming in disbelief, unable to accept that Qin Mu's strength dwarfed his own. Impossible. This is absolutely inconceivable. His fist swung violently towards Qin Mu, channeling nearly all of his strength into the blow. Had he been striking a wall instead of Qin Mu, his punch would have undoubtedly shattered it into pieces. Alas, his opponent was Qin Mu, and in their confrontation, defeat was a foregone conclusion. Qin Mu advanced towards him, executing a swift, single-handed knife strike aimed at the wolf god. A slicing sound echoed through the air. The wolf god emitted a pained scream, staggering backward. The onlookers below gasped at the sight, clearly witnessing the horrific moment when Qin Mu severed the wolf god's right arm. Blood gushed forth, pain etched across his face, and fear flickered in his eyes. This was a human bone. Moreover, it was the wolf god's bone. For an ordinary person, even with a blade, severing a limb would be a daunting challenge due to the inherent strength of human bones. Yet, Qin Mu merely wielded his hand like a knife, effortlessly cleaving through the wolf god's bone. Such a feat was indeed unfathomable. The expressions of those known as Codename One and others shifted slightly. They understood Qin Mu's formidable prowess, but now it was evident that his strength was beyond comprehension. The wolf god trembled, terror reflected in his gaze. Kill him. You must kill him, the wolf god bellowed. At that moment, a multitude of armed individuals surged from the periphery of the venue. their dark gun barrels trained on Qin Mu. Did you truly think I was unprepared? Bringing all these people to disrupt my domain. You must think highly of yourself. Let me tell you, today marks your demise. The wolf god roared. Qin Mu shook his head slightly. Even now, you remain obstinately deluded. He approached the wolf god slowly, seizing him by the neck. Do you truly believe these individuals can bring about my end? You ought to consider the multitude outside that has encircled this place. Just then, sounds emerged from outside. Qin Mu had anticipated the wolf god's treachery and had made his own preparations. The wolf god had brought nearly 100 men, all skilled in weaponry. Qin Mu had also summoned nearly 100 formidable individuals, each ready to be commanded at his behest. Fear flickered in the wolf god's eyes. Your foresight is surprisingly meticulous. Qin Mu responded with a calm demeanor. You are left with but two choices, submission or death. Which will you choose? The terror in the wolf god's gaze was palpable. He could never submit to Qin Mu. He exhaled softly, his eyes betraying a hint of resignation. Just kill me. Chapter 352. Subduing the wolf god. A cold smile crept across Qin Mu's face. Kill you? You seem to underestimate the complexity of this situation. Did you truly believe that my actions here would conclude so simply? Despair clouded the wolf god's gaze as he realized the gravity of his predicament. Qin Mu approached him, producing several silver needles that he swiftly embedded into the wolf god's body. I understand your reluctance to defy the Bai family, but I possess numerous methods to control you. These needles will illustrate the consequences of disobedience. As Qin Mu's words fell, the wolf god's complexion shifted dramatically. He trembled incessantly, his face contorted in agony. He felt as though countless insects were crawling within him, a tearing sensation that nearly suffocated him. Qin Mu regarded him coldly, fully aware that the wolf god was engulfed in despair. Yet, he had long been entrenched in this world, with countless lives at his command, none of which warranted sympathy. I was wrong. I am willing to heed your command. The wolf god cried out in anguish. The torment he endured was 100-fold worse than death. Qin Mu's gaze remained impassive as he waited, then gradually withdrew one of the needles from the wolf god's body. The wolf god gasped for breath. How do you feel? Qin Mu inquired. I understand my mistakes. I will be loyal to you from now on. The wolf god replied weakly, devoid of any thoughts of resistance. Just then, he coughed up blood, his visage once again marred by suffering. Qin Mu took his pulse and quickly discerned that the wolf god was experiencing adverse reactions. It appeared that the side effects of the forbidden drug had manifested. However, he realized that the Bai family had utilized such means to control him. Qin Mu swiftly assessed the wolf god's condition. However, it made sense. A man like the wolf god, ruthless and cunning, would not easily comply. The silver needles were swiftly deployed to stabilize the wolf god's condition. You may withdraw your people, Qin Mu commanded. Yes. The wolf god nodded, weakly rising to his feet. You all may step back. The armed individuals complied without hesitation. Turning to leave, Qin Mu observed him keenly. The poison within you is quite complex. It seems the Bai family has not treated you well over the years. The wolf god's countenance bore a hint of bitterness. The Bai family only trusts their own. How could they ever place their faith in me? I was merely fortunate to be chosen by them. Otherwise, I would be nothing more than a petty thug. Qin Mu replied nonchalantly. Indeed, your luck is remarkable. Having encountered me, I can assist in alleviating your poison, but you must follow my lead. Furthermore, what I can offer you is something the Bai family cannot provide. The wolf god's expression remained bitter. To be frank, even if you command my obedience, I am often beholden to circumstances beyond my control. Qin Mu's brow furrowed with curiosity. What do you mean? I may control this territory, but the Bai family has established numerous countermeasures, one of which involves mutual checks and balances. The wolf god elucidated. Is there someone else capable of balancing your power in this area? Qin Mu queried, intrigued. The wolf god nodded. Indeed, there is someone of equal strength to mine, yet he remains deeply concealed, rarely showing himself, leaving few aware of his existence. However, he is affiliated with the Bai family, and I am under his control as well. Qin Mu pressed. Who is he? Bai Yuan. He is a formidable character, wielding a cadre of death warriors, employing exceedingly ruthless methods. Chapter 353. The elder's decision. Qin Mu's eyes narrowed slightly. He had not previously heard of this individual, but he knew the wolf god would not deceive him. Truly, the Bai family is one of the 4 prominent families in the Demon City. To topple them, one must indeed employ considerable strategies. Qin Mu reflected inwardly, his gaze exhibiting indifference. He looked at the wolf god. This place is not suitable. Accompany me back to my location and divulge all that you know. The wolf god nodded in agreement, and together they departed from the scene. Shortly, they arrived at a villa where Qin Mu conducted a thorough examination of the wolf god's condition, finding it quite dire. Meanwhile, the Bai family soon became aware of these developments. The patriarch of the Bai family was the first to react, his expression darkening considerably. Well done, Qin Mu. Uncovering the relationship between the Bai family and the wolf god so swiftly. This is an attempt to sever the Bai family's underground influence entirely. The elder Bai spoke in a cold tone. The few individuals beside him remained silent. The incident instigated by Qin Mu had far-reaching implications. They all understood that. Following Qin Mu's trajectory, the Bai family could not sustain itself for long. Father, we cannot continue down this path. If we remain passive, I fear Qin Mu will utterly annihilate our Bai family. A middle-aged man could no longer contain his concern. I am acutely aware that we cannot persist like this. First, let Bai Yuan absorb the forces under the wolf god, reinforcing personnel in various regions. I, too, must pay a price. I will find someone to eliminate Qin Mu. The elder Bai exhaled softly, a flicker of coldness glinting in his eyes. He fully recognized that Qin Mu had to be eradicated. The Bai family's enterprises were vast. Yet this adversary could inflict such substantial damage. Such a person must be extinguished. The others nodded in agreement and soon departed. The elder Bai gazed sorrowfully at his dragon-headed cane. To rid himself of Qin Mu, he had no choice but to enlist the aid of certain individuals. Upon opening the cane, he discovered a gem the size of a fist within. This gem had been instrumental in maintaining his health over the years. Now, to ensure Qin Mu's disappearance from this world, he would have to part with this precious item. Meanwhile, Qin Mu was tending to the wolf god's injuries. As time elapsed, the wolf goddess' condition improved significantly, yet a trace of worry lingered in his gaze as he looked at Qin Mu. Mr. Qin, I am immensely grateful for your assistance. However, I must warn you that the Bai family is not easily dealt with. A smile touched Qin Mu's lips. The discord between myself and their family has reached an irreconcilable state. Your warnings are futile. The wolf god nodded slightly. Understood. I will refrain from further commentary. As for Bai Yuan, my knowledge of him is limited. Most of the forces at my disposal are constrained by him, and if all goes as expected, news of this matter will soon reach him, prompting swift action. Qin Mu nodded in acknowledgement. The Bai family will indeed respond. However, I need to diminish their influence. Do you possess any strategies in that regard? A contemplative look crossed the wolf goddess' face as he nodded slightly. The only viable strategy is to dismantle the entire operation. No one should emerge unscathed. I possess substantial evidence of the underground forces, if handed to capable individuals. Even if the Bai family were to reclaim these forces, they would remain powerless to utilize them. A glimmer of light appeared in Qin Mu's eyes. This was not the Bai family he sought. Chapter 354, The Counterattack. First, take me to find Bai Yuan. Qin Mu commanded. Understood, the wolf god replied. A faint contemplation flickered in Qin Mu's eyes. He was acutely aware that the Bai family was formidable, yet he now possessed a semblance of invincibility. What of their strength? They could do little to him. As they stepped outside, Qin Mu's phone suddenly rang. A look of perplexity crossed his face. Answering the call, a cold, mocking voice emerged. Is this Qin Mu? Qin Mu's expression turned inquisitive. Who are you? Bai Yuan. The man's voice resonated from the other end. Qin Mu's eyes narrowed slightly. He had not anticipated that the other party would seek him out so directly. What do you wish to discuss? Qin Mu inquired. Bai Yuan's voice dripped with disdain. Qin Mu, you audacious wretch, how dare you act with such impunity? Do you think that by subduing the wolf god with your tricks, you have achieved something remarkable? I assure you, within our Bai family, the wolf god is but a pawn. Your actions have clearly incited our ire. Do you comprehend what awaits you next? A subtle smile graced Qin Mu's face. Interesting. Are all members of the Bai family so lacking in decorum? Lacking decorum? After your actions against our family, do you expect us to exhibit any decorum? Your journey is long. Do not grow too arrogant. Do you truly believe we lack any means? I know your strength is formidable. Perhaps we are at a loss. However, this world does not operate solely on personal might. Are you aware of what is to come? Bai Yuan sneered. Qin Mu's eyes narrowed further. What are your intentions? I intend to see you dead. Bai Yuan's tone turned ominously low, and with that, he hung up. Qin Mu's expression soured considerably. Bai Yuan would not have contacted him without reason. His tone indicated some forthcoming action. Interesting. A faint smile curled Qin Mu's lips. Just then, his phone rang again. It was Huang Wei calling. Upon answering, Qin Mu asked, "What is it?" "Boss, there has been an incident." Huang Wei replied. "What is the situation?" Qin Mu's expression darkened. Financial Street has just experienced a terrorist attack. Several terrorists have infiltrated the area, and now panic reigns, with the entire region under lockdown. Huang Wei explained. Qin Mu realized this was likely orchestrated by the Bai family. Furthermore, I've heard that the Bai family has released a section of land, waiving rent and providing protection from them. Many residents here wish to terminate their leases. Huang Wei continued. Terminate leases? Fine, let them do so. Qin Mu responded nonchalantly. Boss, if they all terminate their leases, it will significantly impact the entire financial street. Huang Wei urged. No worries, I have it under control. If they terminate their leases now, they will soon be begging us to rent to them again. Qin Mu retorted dismissively. Understood, Huang Wei replied. As Qin Mu ended the call, he acknowledged that the Bai family still retained some influence. However, such trivial tactics were of little concern to him. Chapter 355, The Masters of Competition. Qin Mu turned his gaze towards the wolf god. Plans have shifted, Bai Yuan has already made his move. If we approach him directly, he will undoubtedly be on guard. Based on your understanding of him, what does he usually enjoy doing? The wolf god pondered briefly and replied, he has a penchant for electronic sports and an MO City. He possesses an office filled with electronic gaming experts. These individuals are all his own protégés. A cold glint entered Qin Mu's eyes. Then let us head to the electronic sports venue. However, before we do, we must disguise ourselves. A look of confusion crossed the wolf god's face. Soon, he was astounded by the transformation that occurred. In mere moments, Qin Mu appeared entirely different. He exuded an unremarkable demeanor. Approaching the wolf god, he swiftly altered his appearance. In no time, the wolf god's disguise was completely changed. Moreover, Qin Mu employed a unique method that actually made the wolf god shrink by several centimeters. From a towering figure of 2 meters, he was reduced to 190 centimeters. Anyone who saw him would never recognize him as the wolf god. The wolf god's face was filled with disbelief at Qin Mu's extraordinary abilities. In that case, infiltration should prove quite seamless. A faint smile graced Qin Mu's countenance. Remember, at this moment, you are an international esports master, and I am your partner, Qin Mu declared. The expression on wolf god's face reflected a hint of surprise. An international esports master? Typically, such individuals are registered online. Wouldn't Qin Mu's impersonation raise suspicions? Unbeknownst to him, Qin Mu was a top-tier hacker, and altering identity information was a trivial matter for him. Accompanied by wolf god, they strolled towards a nearby location, where they switched vehicles and proceeded to the esports arena wolf god had mentioned. Upon their arrival, Qin Mu swiftly recognized a familiar figure, a friend he hadn't seen in quite some time. He had not anticipated encountering her here. He and wolf god advanced forward, and coincidentally, the woman was also heading towards the office building. Her name was Zhou Ziki, and she had previously shared a commendable rapport with Qin Mu. As they entered the office building, Zhou Ziki did not recognize Qin Mu. Her expression was rather grim, seemingly burdened by some concern. Upon reaching the 7th floor, they encountered several security personnel. To Qin Mu's surprise, Zhou Ziki also paused on this very floor. As Qin Mu and wolf god entered, the security guards scrutinized them, their brows slightly furrowing. What brings you here? One inquired. Qin Mu's face bore a gentle smile as he replied, we are the finest esports experts from GGT Club, and we heard this venue is quite renowned in Magic City, so we came to take a look. A flicker of skepticism crossed the guards' faces. The most distinguished esports experts? What are your names? Qin Mu responded, I am Sanshu. This is my partner, De Xiong. You may verify our credentials on the club's official website. The guards pulled out their phones, entered the names, and swiftly confirmed their identities. Indeed, you are esports experts from GGT Club. You may proceed. One guard said. Qin Mu nodded and led wolf god further inside. The guards, now indifferent, turned their attention to Zhou Ziki. You come with us, one commanded, guiding her aside. Watching Zhou Ziki's retreating figure, Qin Mu felt an unsettling premonition that something was amiss. However, the immediate priority was to secure the Bai family. Upon entering the opulent office interior, they observed several men and women engaged in esports. Upon spotting Qin Mu and wolf god, a mix of surprise and curiosity ensued, with some pausing their activities to approach them. Chapter 356, The Arrogant Qin Mu. Upon their arrival, a smile danced upon Qin Mu's lips. Greetings, little trash, he exclaimed. The remark elicited amused expressions among the crowd. The leader among them gazed at Qin Mu and chuckled. You speak the truth. We are indeed quite pathetic. As a member of GGT Esports Club, you must be quite formidable. I've heard much about this club. It's quite surprising to see you here. Qin Mu shrugged nonchalantly. I too am rather inexperienced. In truth, I hardly understand esports. Merely fortunate enough to join this organization, which by comparison, should make me slightly superior to you. A long-haired man narrowed his eyes, an unmistakable glint of hostility emanating from him. Geniuses often exude arrogance. Your demeanor is certainly unique. It just so happens that I'm feeling a bit restless. Would you care to engage in a match with me? Qin Mu blinked in surprise. A match? What would I gain from battling someone of your caliber? Laughter erupted from a burly man. A genius is indeed a genius. Your character is distinct. You're correct. The gap between us is vast. Just your presence here is already quite gracious of you. Zhou Lihua apologized. A golden-haired youth coldly interjected, stepping before Qin Mu. I misspoke earlier, my sincerest apologies. Qin Mu waved his hand dismissively, his expression serene. No need for concern. I have no intention of lowering myself to your level. He glanced at Wolf God, assessed their skill levels, and offered some guidance. Wolf God nodded, directing his attention to the group. You lot. Bring the computers over here and play in front of me. They complied, relocating their equipment as Wolf God settled onto a sofa, sipping tea and snacking as he observed their gameplay. Such activities were rather tedious for him. Qin Mu turned his gaze to the remaining individuals. Where's your boss? Fetch him here. One of the men replied, the boss isn't present. Qin Mu shrugged, feigning disappointment. What a pity. I had hoped to engage him in a match. If he is not around, then so be it. The man quickly insisted, no, I'll summon him right away. Make haste, I don't have all day. Qin Mu urged. The man nodded, retrieving his phone to contact Bai Yuan. Hello, boss, we have a genius from that club here. Yes. The one you admire. He wishes to practice with you. Ah, understood. After ending the call, the man approached Qin Mu. Our boss will be here shortly. You wouldn't believe it, but he is an ardent fan of your club. He never misses your matches. We all greatly admire you. Qin Mu nodded. I see. Step aside. Don't obstruct my view of the television. The man complied. The television ahead played a drama series, and Qin Mu appeared quite content. Time ticked away. And before long, Bai Yuan arrived at the club, his face brimming with excitement upon seeing Qin Mu and his companion. Greetings. I am the owner of this club. Chapter 357, Astonishing Maneuvers. Qin Mu's gaze fixed on Bai Yuan. He was well aware of Bai Yuan's fervent admiration for GGT Club. Wealthy individuals often harbor peculiar interests. Some might lavish millions or even billions in the pursuit of their idols. The realm of the affluent is rife with eccentricities. Qin Mu maintained an air of arrogance, his gaze piercing into Bai Yuan's. So you are Bai Yuan. I've heard your club is doing well, so I came to take a look. However, it seems somewhat lacking. A flicker of tension crossed Bai Yuan's face. This club was entirely modeled after GGT Club. If Qin Mu suggested flaws, it implied dissatisfaction with his work. Bai Yuan, being an idolater, was inclined to heed his words. I will rectify any issues immediately. What do you perceive as problematic with the club? He inquired earnestly. Qin Mu replied, observe how lavish this club is. It hardly resembles a training facility, but rather a place of indulgence. Do you find that appropriate? Bai Yuan nodded earnestly. Understood. Tomorrow, I shall remove some of these luxuries. Thank you for your guidance, Mr. Sanshu. It's quite all right. After all, you are a fervent supporter of our club. So it is only natural for me to offer you some suggestions. Let us find a few machines, and I shall join you in the game. Qin Mu said nonchalantly. Excellent. This way, please. Bai Yuan responded respectfully. The two strolled to a nearby room, where several computers were already powered on. Langshan stood to the side, feeling a bit apprehensive. Although the individuals before him were not on par with those from the GGT Club, they still possessed professional skill. At a glance, Qin Mu appeared to be a business elite. Could such a person play games? Under his gaze, Qin Mu skillfully logged into the computer. Upon entering the game, many present were astonished. Qin Mu's account boasted a rank of 50 stars as the strongest king. This was indeed a top-tier account, while they all shared the same rank. The new season had only just begun, and having such an account was a testament to one's prowess. Truly, a master from the GGT Club to possess such an account. Bai Yuan exclaimed. A faint smile graced Qin Mu's face. Over the past half year, he had been diligently collecting rewards through daily sign-ins. As time progressed, the value of the rewards increased, one of which was a godly esports talent. For Qin Mu, this talent seemed somewhat superfluous, yet unexpectedly, it found its purpose today. Regarding the account, this game was developed by Lu Ruobing's family and had taken the nation by storm. Altering a few data points for her would be exceedingly simple. Familiarizing himself with the operational interface and some hero skills, Qin Mu promptly clicked the Duo Q button. Bai Yuan and the others sat beside him, entering the game alongside Qin Mu. The game commenced swiftly. The interface shifted, and the hero Qin Mu controlled was a renowned top lane character, the Doghead. Under Qin Mu's deft control, within less than 2 minutes, First Blood was successfully secured. The professional players behind him were utterly astonished. While Qin Mu's maneuvers may not have appeared extraordinary, those well-versed in esports recognized the extreme finesse of his techniques. From the moment he entered the game, the opposing sword demon was nearly overwhelmed. Each movement and last hit seemed as though calculated by the most sophisticated computer algorithms, surpassing many renowned players they had encountered before. Chapter 358, Bai Yuan in a bind. As they observed this, admiration flickered across their faces. Qin Mu wore a calm expression. For him, such games were truly effortless. As time ticked by, Qin Mu consecutively triumphed in 7 or 8 matches. Bai Yuan's face radiated with admiration as he gave Qin Mu a thumbs up. Mr. Sanshu, You are indeed impressive. Qin Mu replied nonchalantly. It is merely routine operations. Since it is getting late, why don't I treat Mr. Sanchu to a meal? Bai Yuan suggested. Certainly. Qin Mu nodded. This way, please. Bai Yuan stood, his demeanor tinged with respect. Indeed. Qin Mu nodded slightly, following Bai Yuan as they made their way outside. Upon reaching the underground parking garage, Bai Yuan's face lit up with a smile as he regarded Qin Mu. Mr. Sanchu, there is something I wish to inquire. Qin Mu looked at him. Speak. Given Mr. Sanchu's prowess, you must be quite busy, yet I have not heard of any notable titles associated with you. If I am not mistaken, you must have something in mind for seeking me out, Bai Yuan inquired. Qin Mu nodded. You are correct. I do have some plans. I intend to form a team, but I require a substantial investment. I wonder if Mr. Bai Yuan would be interested in investing? Bai Yuan momentarily froze, his eyes gleaming with excitement. He had long harbored aspirations of establishing a team. However, the top-tier experts were predominantly affiliated with other clubs. Having just witnessed Sanchu's skill, he realized that with such talent, once the team was formed, it would surely gain worldwide recognition. With this thought, Bai Yuan's face was alight with exhilaration. Qin Mu maintained a calm demeanor. Given Mr. Bai Yuan's financial capabilities, this should not pose a challenge. Bai Yuan nodded. If Mr. Sanchu is indeed willing to join, I can offer a substantial sum. Qin Mu nodded slightly. That is only natural. My prior absence was due to being a trump card. You have just witnessed my skill, and I have several others with equally high capabilities. As long as you can provide adequate funding, I assure you, you will reap considerable profits. Langshan stood nearby, his eyes narrowing slightly. While others might not discern Qin Mu's intentions, he could see that Qin Mu was planning to exhaust Bai Yuan's resources. Bai Yuan was a die-hard esports enthusiast. This was his dream. Otherwise, he would not have spent so much money over the year to establish a club. The previous expenditures were manageable for Bai Yuan, but with Qin Mu's intervention, it was likely that Bai Yuan's funds could be entirely depleted. Langshan felt a tinge of admiration. Mr. Qin was indeed extraordinary. Merely through such means, he had prompted Bai Yuan to willingly offer his money. If it were him, he could scarcely achieve such a feat in his lifetime. There was no denying that with Qin Mu's numerous godly abilities, it was relatively simple to dupe a few individuals. After a brief discussion with Bai Yuan, they proceeded to a restaurant to discuss the details of their collaboration. It was not until midnight that Qin Mu and Langshan departed swiftly. After a full day of interaction, they were acutely aware that Bai Yuan had taken the bait. Bai Yuan, however, was no fool. Upon returning home, he sought to investigate Qin Mu's identity. Yet, for a top hacker, fabricating information was a trivial task. Even Bai Yuan could find no flaws. Chapter 359, The Deposit. Days passed swiftly. Bai Yuan was exceedingly exhilarated, for his long-held aspiration was finally within reach. He quickly raised several $100 million in funds and eagerly contacted Qin Mu. Upon the call connecting, Bai Yuan said, Mr. Sanchu, I have prepared the funds. When are you available? I am free at any time, Qin Mu replied. Let us sign the contract now, Bai Yuan suggested. Very well. With that, Qin Mu ended the call. He retrieved a card, one he had prepared some time ago. A faint smile played at the corners of Qin Mu's mouth, pondering how Bai Yuan would feel upon discovering the truth later. Rising from his seat, Qin Mu wore a calm expression. Langshan nodded. After these days of interaction, his admiration for Qin Mu had significantly increased. This man was undoubtedly a genius. Let us go, Qin Mu said with a light smile. Langshan nodded, and once again, they set off towards the location Bai Yuan had designated. Shortly thereafter, they arrived at a cafe. Bai Yuan's face was filled with excitement. Mr. Sanchu, here is the contract. Please take a look. Qin Mu nodded, holding the contract in his hands, scrutinizing it with a smile gracing his face. Mr. Bai's sincerity is indeed commendable. I find myself at a loss for words. With a flourish akin to a dragon soaring through the skies, Qin Mu inscribed his signature on the document. A look of joy illuminated Bai Yuan's countenance. Shall I now provide you with a portion of the advance payment? Bai Yuan inquired. Qin Mu, with a hint of amusement, replied, There's no rush. The essence of business lies in forging friendships. Bai Yuan laughed heartily. Quite right. Business is secondary. The primary focus is on building relationships. The three of them spent a considerable time in the cafe, sipping coffee and engaging in lively conversation, after which Qin Mu finally provided a card number. Bai Yuan promptly transferred the funds to Qin Mu, who bore a tranquil smile. Although Bai Yuan intended to invite Qin Mu for a meal, Qin Mu politely declined. Once they exited the cafe, Qin Mu and Wolf God settled into the car, while Bai Yuan departed shortly thereafter. Wolf God, with a tinge of admiration, remarked, Mr. Qin, you are truly remarkable. You've effortlessly secured a fortune of 100 million. Qin Mu, wearing an air of nonchalance, responded, This is merely the beginning. 100 million is just the tip of the iceberg. Soon, he'll understand the concept of a web of schemes. Wolf God reflected internally, recognizing the misfortune that had befallen the Bai family upon encountering an adversary like Qin Mu. Days swiftly passed, and Bai Yuan remained in a state of exhilaration. He retrieved his phone and dialed Qin Mu once more. Mr. Sanchu, when might you be available to discuss our future strategic plans? Qin Mu sighed lightly, his tone tinged with resignation. I've been meaning to reach out to you. However, my schedule has been overwhelming. In fact, I have a matter that requires your assistance. Bai Yuan, slightly puzzled, asked, Mr. Sanchu, have you encountered some trouble? Qin Mu explained, I previously entered into a contract with the club, and they refused to let me leave. After prolonged negotiations, they've demanded a deposit of 300 million to ensure I won't divulge any club information before they grant my release. But how could I possibly come up with 300 million? Mr. Bai, what do you suggest we do about this? Chapter 360, another 300 million. Bai Yuan was momentarily taken aback, never having anticipated such a predicament. Mr. Qin, allow me to find a solution. The contract had already been signed, and if Qin Mu was unable to resolve this issue, the repercussions would be dire. Bai Yuan had not foreseen the situation evolving in this manner. All right, Qin Mu concurred. Wolf God stood nearby, visibly impressed. Mr. Qin is indeed extraordinary. 300 million. Even in his previous endeavors, it would have taken him time to amass such a sum. Qin Mu had merely played a few games, executing simple maneuvers, and Bai Yuan had been easily manipulated like a mouse. Moments later, Bai Yuan's phone rang again. Mr. Qin, I can advance the 300 million. However, I will need you to sign an additional contract. Bai Yuan stated. No problem. Qin Mu replied. Where are you at the moment? Bai Yuan asked. I'm at the club. How about I come to see you? We can also discuss some specifics regarding the club's establishment. Qin Mu suggested. Sounds good. Bai Yuan agreed. Without further delay, Qin Mu grabbed the car keys, donned a simple disguise, and set out with Wolf God. After departing from home, they drove along the road, reaching a hotel after approximately an hour and a half. Upon entering the lobby, they spotted Bai Yuan seated on a nearby sofa, a smile illuminating his face. Today, he donned a crisp white suit, exuding an air of elegance. He swiftly approached Qin Mu and Wolf God. To this day, he harbored no doubts, rather hoping that Qin Mu would arrive promptly. Mr. Sanchu, Bai Yuan greeted, extending his hand with a smile. Qin Mu shook his hand, apologizing. I didn't expect to encounter such an issue. Bai Yuan reassured him, no worries, in these times, nothing ever goes smoothly. Good things take time. Qin Mu mirrored his smile. Meanwhile, Wolf God felt a twinge of disdain, thinking, this is Bai Yuan, being played while counting someone else's money. Under Bai Yuan's guidance, the three made their way toward the elevator. Throughout the journey, Bai Yuan animatedly elaborated on his plans for the club, expressing intentions to recruit some foreign experts. Qin Mu responded politely. Upon arriving at the private room, Bai Yuan instructed the waiter to bring out the dishes. This hotel has some signature dishes that are simply exquisite, Bai Yuan exclaimed. Qin Mu nodded slightly. As the waiter served the dishes, the group raised their glasses and toasts. As a minor leader within the Bai family's underground operations, Bai Yuan was indeed wealthy. Their meal amounted to over 30,000, yet Bai Yuan showed no sign of concern, still yearning for more. Mr. Sanchu, would you like to go karaoke tonight? Bai Yuan inquired with a smile. Qin Mu shook his head. I need to return and practice my skills. Bai Yuan nodded, retrieving a contract from his briefcase. Take a look at this contract. Once signed, my company will directly transfer the funds to your club. Qin Mu glanced through it briefly. The contract was straightforward. Bai Yuan would cover the 300 million penalty fee, which Qin Mu would not need to repay, effectively serving as an advance on his salary. Once he confirmed that everything was in order, he quickly signed the document. Bai Yuan's face reflected satisfaction. After some further discussion, they all headed outside. Bai Yuan remained exhilarated, believing he was one step closer to realizing his dream. Chapter 361, Continuing the Scheme. Qin Mu was acutely aware of Bai Yuan's mindset. He aimed to keep Bai Yuan in this state of optimism, perpetually believing that success was just within reach, yet always just out of grasp. Such is the nature of a con, forever promising that the next moment will bring untold riches, but first, one must continually invest more, only to realize that it was all an illusion. Wolf God held Qin Mu in high regard, recognizing that such a man could indeed lead the Bai family to ruin. Days flew by, and Bai Yuan busied himself with the club's preparations. Qin Mu, on the other hand, wore a serene expression as he instructed his media contacts to release some fabricated information, igniting further excitement around the matter. Before long, Bai Yuan received some news. As he gazed at the information on his computer, his eyes sparkled with delight. The report detailed a mysterious ID within the esports realm that had swiftly challenged numerous professional players, achieving unprecedented victories. Bai Yuan recognized that ID. It was the one Qin Mu had previously logged in under. Given his inherent prowess and remarkable computer skills, creating such headlines was a mere walk in the park for him. Bai Yuan eagerly reached for his phone and dialed Qin Mu. Mr. Sanchu, I have seen your endeavors. You are truly formidable, taking on so many professional players single-handedly. Qin Mu's face bore an air of nonchalance. Is this not a customary operation? Considering the substantial investment you have made, it is only fitting that I cooperate fully. Furthermore, I have a few other skilled individuals on my side. Would you be interested? Bai Yuan expressed a hint of excitement. What kind of experts are they? Qin Mu replied. Their prowess is comparable to mine. They are also at a professional level, having undergone concealed training. If you are interested, we can certainly secure the championship for this quarter with ease. Absolutely, let us arrange a meeting. I would like to meet them. Bai Yuan hastily responded. Qin Mu, excellent, I will send you their match videos. After saying this, he ended the call. Before long, Bai Yuan received several messages on his WeChat, and upon opening them, he discovered they were highlights from the competitions. As he watched, a glimmer of delight illuminated Bai Yuan's eyes. Though they were merely compilations, he could discern the formidable strength of the individuals Qin Mu had introduced. He realized that with their presence, he could undoubtedly soar to new heights. Mr. Sanchu truly is my fortunate star. I never anticipated encountering such talent. Bai Yuan mused inwardly. Just then, his phone rang. It was a call from the Bai family. Upon answering, a man's voice resonated through the line. Bai Yuan, how is your work progressing? Has Qin Mu reached out to you? Bai Yuan replied. Not yet. I have nearly wrapped up everything on my end, and even if he intended to make any moves, it should be impossible now. The man responded. This fellow is not to be underestimated. Remain vigilant on your end. The Bai family will also be making some moves during this period. Bai Yuan understood. After the call ended, a flicker of contemplation crossed Bai Yuan's eyes. Logically, Qin Mu should have made a move by now, yet he had received no news, which indeed felt unusual. His gaze turned steely. Whatever Qin Mu intended to do, he would ensure the other party paid the price. The Bai family is not to be trifled with. Chapter 362, Preparing for the Kill. Yet unbeknownst to him, Qin Mu had been relentlessly plotting against him, employing exceptionally ruthless methods. He intended to consume Bai Yuan piece by piece. Qin Mu had also gathered a few individuals from somewhere, disguised them, and shared some details with them. These individuals were astute and quickly grasped the next steps to take. As time ticked away, 2 days passed swiftly. During this period, Bai Yuan seemed quite occupied and did not reach out to Qin Mu. Qin Mu remained unperturbed. One morning, Qin Mu's phone rang. Upon checking, it was Bai Yuan calling. A faint smile graced Qin Mu's lips. After answering, Bai Yuan apologized. Mr. Sanchu, I sincerely apologize. I have been preoccupied and haven't contacted you these past few days. No worries. It's quite a challenge to carve out time amidst your busy schedule. Qin Mu replied with a smile. Please let me know when you can gather your friends. I will arrange their contracts. Bai Yuan stated. Qin Mu paused for a moment before responding. Their capabilities are commendable, and signing them should be feasible. However, the penalty for breach of contract and the signing fees must adhere to the standards I previously set. But rest assured, Mr. Bai, I will not let you incur losses. This money can be considered an advance on our agreement, and we are 100% confident in securing this year's national championship. Upon hearing Qin Mu's words, Bai Yuan fell silent. He had already invested a considerable amount of money up until now. With the competition yet to commence, having spent so much was manageable. However, should additional funds be required later, the pressure he would face would be immense. Though he controlled significant underground forces within the Bai family, the majority of the funds must revert to the family. Even if he wished to mobilize substantial finances, he would need approval from higher-ups. The Bai family had always employed such tactics to restrict their subordinates, preventing them from gaining excessive power or wealth, lest they harbor ulterior motives. After contemplating for a while, Bai Yuan said, Since Mr. Sanchu has stated this, I have no further objections. It's merely a few billion. While that may pose a considerable burden to others, it does not weigh heavily on me. A faint smile graced Qin Mu's face. Then it is settled. I will bring my team over to sign the contracts this morning. Bai Yuan, great. 2 hours later, Qin Mu arrived at Bai Yuan's location with a group of individuals. His subordinates were all disguised. Upon meeting with Bai Yuan, he evaluated the prowess of these individuals. Little did he know, Bai Yuan's computer had long been infiltrated by Qin Mu, and upon entering the game, many superficial elements had been altered. Coupled with the fact that they were indeed esports experts, their facade led Bai Yuan to mistakenly believe they were world-class talents. Without further hesitation, Bai Yuan promptly retrieved the contract for them to sign. Subsequently, Qin Mu's account received over 10 billion in cash. Qin Mu understood that the next step was to enter a state of absolute control. Bai Yuan, having expended such a significant amount of money, was now ensnared. If utilized properly, it would be possible to extract a substantial profit from him. After departing from Bai Yuan's residence, a cold glint flickered in Qin Mu's eyes as he took out his phone and swiftly dialed a number. Chapter 363, Company Breach of Contract. Once the call connected, a man's voice emerged. President Qin. Qin Mu's expression was one of indifference. Proceed according to plan. Understood. The man immediately hung up. A subtle smile played at the corners of Qin Mu's lips as he swiftly departed with Lang Shun. Days passed in a blur. During this time, the Bai family found it peculiar that Qin Mu seemed to have vanished, making no moves against them. Bai Yuan, seizing the opportunity, began to strategize his aspirations. Filled with hope. However, on that fateful morning, as Bai Yuan headed to the company as usual, his phone unexpectedly rang. Upon answering, he discovered it was a summons from the court. His expression shifted dramatically. As an executive director of a publicly traded company, the last thing he wanted was a court case. It was not merely the potential disputes that could arise from a lawsuit, but the lasting repercussions such cases could leave on the company's development. After a conversation, Bai Yuan's countenance abruptly changed. The lawsuit stemmed from Mr. Sanshu and the individuals he had introduced who had been obstructed by their employer. They were suing Bai Yuan for unlawfully appropriating their professional players, claiming not only infringement, but also malicious commercial competition. After ending the call, Bai Yuan immediately dialed Qin Mu. Mr. Sanshu, I have received a notice from the court. They claim I am engaged in malicious commercial competition and have imposed restrictions on your side. What is going on? Qin Mu feigned ignorance. What situation? I am unaware. Who have you heard this from? Bai Yuan, how about we meet? Something feels off about this matter. Qin Mu, very well. Where are you now? Bai Yuan sent a location to Qin Mu, and he felt a profound sense of unease. After a considerable time, Qin Mu arrived before Bai Yuan, accompanied by Wolf God. Bai Yuan immediately stated, I have gathered information from the court. It was your former company that initiated the lawsuit. What is the meaning of this? Qin Mu's face also bore a hint of confusion. Is there some issue that has arisen? Logically speaking, my previous company has already reaped the benefits, so this should not be happening. Observing Qin Mu's demeanor, which did not suggest deceit, Bai Yuan retrieved his phone. I shall call the head of your company to inquire. Qin Mu replied, very well. Bai Yuan promptly dialed the number, and shortly, a man's voice resonated through the line. Hello, this is Bai Yuan. The man's voice carried a subtle hint of amusement. Ah, Mr. Bai, are you calling to discuss the lawsuit? Bai Yuan's tone was somewhat frosty. Indeed, I have paid the penalty as agreed upon. Why are you still pursuing legal action? The man responded, under normal circumstances, I would not need to resort to litigation. However, I have recently discovered that Mr. Sanshu and your company had signed a lifetime agreement. This implies that even if we terminate the contract, he is required to remain dormant for a year. Yet, you have already engaged him in a new contract. This is your fault. Thus, I have no choice but to sue. Bai Yuan's voice shifted, revealing his agitation. A lifetime contract? Why was this not disclosed to us? The man's tone grew more detached. Must we inform you of every detail? We only just uncovered this. You may choose to terminate the contract, but he has already breached the agreement with our company, and I am proceeding with the lawsuit according to standard procedures. As for the outcome, allow your company's legal team to clarify that. Bai Yuan's expression darkened, fully aware of the potential consequences, realizing that all his prior efforts could be rendered futile. Do not forget, I am backed by the Bai family. Should you provoke me, you ought to understand the repercussions. The man's voice turned icy. Are you threatening me? What of the Bai family? I was inclined to offer you an opportunity for reconciliation, but it appears that is no longer necessary. With that, the man abruptly ended the call. Bai Yuan clenched his fists, feeling a sense of humiliation he had never experienced before. Qin Mu stood nearby, an expression of resignation on his face. It seems I have been deceived by the company. Perhaps it would be best if I terminate the contract with you, minimizing my losses. I shall repay the sum you previously paid. Bai Yuan's eyes reflected deep contemplation. Qin Mu's acting was impeccable, leaving no discernible flaws. Bai Yuan shook his head slightly. If I allow you to leave so easily, how would others perceive me, Bai Yuan? Rest assured, I will manage this matter. I refuse to believe that their company can act with impunity. Furthermore, since I have chosen you, I shall not relinquish you lightly. It must be said that Bai Yuan was an astute individual. Ordinarily, such words would undoubtedly resonate with others. If Qin Mu found himself in such circumstances, Bai Yuan's unwavering support might indeed touch him. However, Qin Mu remained impervious to any genuine sentiment. Regardless of Bai Yuan's efforts, what did it matter? His true intention was to exploit the situation for his own gain. Bai Yuan would inevitably venture further down this path. When he eventually awoke to reality, he would discover that he had been played like a pawn in Qin Mu's hands from the very beginning. A flicker of gratitude appeared in Qin Mu's eyes. He felt compelled to perform his role thoroughly, lest he fail to honor Bai Yuan's earnest demeanor. Brother Bai, I truly did not anticipate your kindness. Fear not. Your assistance today shall not be forgotten in the future. Bai Yuan nodded slightly, achieving the desired effect. For him, forming a battle team was a cherished dream, and he had invested considerable resources over the years. Moreover, he was not particularly short of funds. As the underground monarch of the Bai family, he wielded considerable influence. Faced with threats from the club, a plan began to take shape in his mind. If they dared to sue, they would soon learn just how formidable the Bai family's underground power truly was. Yet, he remained oblivious to the fact that his adversary was Qin Mu. The meager forces of the Bai family paled in comparison to what Qin Mu could command. Damn them. I shall make them aware of the consequences of crossing me, Bai Yuan declared coldly. He did not linger, striding towards the exit, while Qin Mu observed his retreating figure, narrowing his eyes slightly. He understood that Bai Yuan was likely to act in the direction he had anticipated, and if he followed through with his own plans, he would undoubtedly dig a significant pit for the Bai family. Chapter 365, Yida Group. After Qin Mu and Wolf God departed, Bai Yuan sought to investigate the background of the club. Through his inquiries, he uncovered that the club was backed by the heir of the Shenzhou Yihua Hotel, a figure of considerable wealth with assets exceeding 100 billion. Numerous major cities boasted branches of this hotel, and its heir was known for his penchant for mingling with internet celebrities and beautiful women. However, he was supported by a dedicated operational team, thus ensuring that his reputation remained intact. Bai Yuan's expression darkened. Were this merely an ordinary individual, the Bai family's strength would easily compel submission. Yet, the heir of Yida Group posed potential complications if matters escalated. Of course, compared to the Bai family, Yida Group still fell short, as the Bai family had a legacy spanning centuries, with deep-rooted foundations in both legitimate and illicit spheres. After a moment's reflection, Bai Yuan retrieved his phone. He actually possessed the heir's contact number. Given that this matter bore relevance to him, it was prudent to reach out. Upon connecting, the heir of Yida Group, Li Shihai, appeared somewhat perplexed. Hello, who is this? Greetings, I am Bai Yuan of the Bai family. Li Shihai responded with a hint of amusement, a member of the Bai family. Is it? What can I do for you? Bai Yuan explained. It appears your club has initiated a lawsuit against my company, and I would like to inquire whether this matter can be resolved amicably. A lawsuit against your company? I was unaware of this, Li Shihai expressed, clearly taken aback. It's regarding the contract with Mr. Sen Shu, Bai Yuan elaborated. After listening, Li Shihai replied, I apologize, but I no longer oversee that club. They have been completely independent. Upon hearing this news, Bai Yuan's eyes brightened with surprise. His hesitance had stemmed from the club's connection to Li Shihai. Among the affluent, one must exercise caution to avoid unnecessary trouble. Now that Li Shihai indicated that he had no involvement, the situation became considerably more manageable. If it no longer concerns you, I can breathe a sigh of relief. Bai Yuan's face broke into a smile. Indeed, Li Shihai affirmed. The two exchanged a few simple pleasantries before Bai Yuan ended the call, a glint of coldness flickering in his eyes. How intriguing. I never expected you to dare oppose the Bai family without any substantial backing. It seems you have indeed been living rather comfortably of late. With that, Bai Yuan rose to his feet and dialed a number on his phone. Arrange for some people to make it clear to those suing our company what the Bai family truly represents. Understood, came the reply from the other end of the line. While Bai Yuan orchestrated his plans, Qin Mu and the Wolf God remained at home. A faint smile graced Qin Mu's face. He had just spoken with Li Shihai, who informed him that Bai Yuan had already approached him. If all went as anticipated, Bai Yuan was likely mobilizing people to take action against the club's upper management. Oh, Bai Yuan, your fate will only grow increasingly dire. I wonder how you will feel when the entire truth is revealed. A cold smirk curled at the corners of Qin Mu's mouth. He had meticulously planned everything long ago. Chapter 366, Covert Maneuvers. Bai Yuan, blissfully unaware of these developments, intended to resolve the matter through his own means after confirming that Li Shihai had no ties to the club. That night, Bai Yuan summoned a group of individuals. In an office building, a middle-aged man clad in a suit had just concluded a long day of work. He was one of Qin Mu's subordinates and also the one who had filed the lawsuit against Bai Yuan. As he approached the parking lot, several figures swiftly approached his car, their eyes cold and indifferent. Who are you? He inquired. One of the figures smirked. Who do you think we are? You've been living quite lavishly lately, haven't you? What audacity you possess. The middle-aged man's expression shifted. Qin Mu had forewarned him that such an encounter could arise. This is a society governed by law. You would do well not to act recklessly. Suddenly, a figure struck him with a swift slap, sending the middle-aged man staggering backward. His face contorted in pain. You've got quite the nerve to instruct me. Have you forgotten your place? The figure advanced menacingly, delivering another kick that sent the man crashing to the ground, his body arched in agony. The others joined in, their fists raining down upon him. In mere minutes, the middle-aged man found himself battered and bruised, his face a canvas of suffering. You must know why we are here. Some individuals are beyond your reach. The leading man declared coldly. The Bai family's tactics are impressive, but do you not fear the repercussions of your actions? The middle-aged man retorted, his eyes devoid of fear despite his injuries. Another punch struck him. Still daring to threaten us? You truly are fearless. With that, the leader whipped out a gleaming knife, an ominous aura emanating from it. What are you planning to do? The middle-aged man asked, his expression shifting. Rest assured, this is merely a warning. We won't go too far. However, we are not as easy to provoke as you might think. If you choose to act, you must be prepared to face the consequences. He seized the man's left hand, licking the blade of the dagger, his eyes filled with cruel intent. The middle-aged man's expression turned grave. Suddenly, the man thrust the knife toward his pinky finger. Bang! A gunshot rang out, and the knife was instantly knocked from the man's hand. His expression shifted dramatically as he looked towards a shadowy figure in the distance, a robust silhouette brandishing a firearm, fixated on them. Who are you? We have connections to the Qinglong Hall, the assailant shouted. The figure in black, still holding the gun, replied coldly, leave now, or none of you will make it out alive. The man's fists clenched, but he knew that facing off against someone with a firearm would spell disaster for him. What ill fortune, he muttered, rising to his feet and hastily retreating with his crew. They remained oblivious to the fact that the entire scene had been captured by surveillance cameras. The man in black approached the middle-aged man, his voice chillingly devoid of emotion. Well done, the earlier events have been recorded. The middle-aged man nodded. It is my honor to serve Mr. Qin. Lay low for a few days. The Bai family is likely to send more people your way, but rest assured, Mr. Qin will protect you. The man in black assured him. The middle-aged man acknowledged this, painstakingly rising to his feet and staggering towards his vehicle. After resting for a while inside, he finally drove away. Watching the car speed off, the man in black retrieved his phone, extracting a segment of the surveillance footage and sending it to Qin Mu via the internet before slipping the device into his pocket and departing swiftly. Bai Yuan soon learned of the unfolding situation, perplexed by the audacity of those who dared oppose the Bai family. Seated in his office, his face was etched with confusion. A plethora of events had transpired recently. Initially, he had intended to intimidate the club's owner, a tactic he frequently employed. Typically, individuals faced with such threats would capitulate. Yet reports from his subordinates indicated that the middle-aged man appeared to be backed by a certain force. If not Li Shihai, then who was behind the club? A flicker of contemplation crossed Bai Yuan's gaze. After a considerable pause, his expression shifted. In Modu, the only entity capable of challenging the Bai family was Qin Mu. Qin Mu had been conspicuously absent lately, which had puzzled even the Bai family. Had it not been for the incident involving the middle-aged man, Bai Yuan would never have considered Qin Mu. If it were indeed him, he possessed the capability to orchestrate such a scheme. It appeared that everything had been a meticulously laid trap from the very beginning. Bai Yuan, being a member of the Bai family, was inherently astute. Although he held Mr. Sanchu in high regard, the timing of these events was far too coincidental, leading him to harbor certain doubts. Taking out his phone, Bai Yuan made a call, issuing a few brief instructions before hanging up. He understood the necessity of conducting a thorough investigation into Mr. Sanchu. Meanwhile, Qin Mu had also been apprised of the events in the parking lot. As he watched the video on his phone, a faint smile graced his lips. The wolf god stood beside him, perceptive enough to sense something amiss. Mr. Qin, if you dispatch such skilled individuals, Bai Yuan is bound to notice something amiss, isn't he? The wolf god inquired. Qin Mu nodded slightly. Naturally, if all goes according to plan, he should be investigating Mr. Sanchu's identity. Regardless of his investigations, he would uncover nothing. Even if he were to realize that I was the one orchestrating everything behind the scenes, what could he possibly do? Presently, he is faced with two choices. First, to abandon Mr. Sanchu, which would render all his prior investments futile, a notion entirely contrary to his character. Second, he could play along, using the club as a vantage point to engage in a battle of wits with me. However, with his capabilities, he could never hope to rival me. I, too, intend to use the club as a lever to see how much influence I can extract from the Bai family. Wolf God stood nearby, his eyes reflecting a glimmer of respect. This Qin Mu truly possesses an uncanny foresight. Chapter 368, Bai Yuan's Coercion. Just as Qin Mu had anticipated, that very evening, Bai Yuan contacted him, extending an invitation to a dinner gathering. Qin Mu did not decline and accepted the invitation. However, prior to his arrival, he had arranged for numerous individuals to encircle the hotel. Upon his arrival, he noticed a hint of amusement on Bai Yuan's face. Mr. Sanchu, this way please. Qin Mu responded with a smile, certainly. Upon entering the private room, he observed several men clad in black, the atmosphere appearing rather stern. Mr. Bai, do you have other guests? Qin Mu feigned ignorance. Bai Yuan replied, indeed, there are a few guests. After taking their seats, Bai Yuan wasted no time. His gaze fixed on Qin Mu. I wonder what the relationship is between Mr. Sanshu and Qin Mu? A look of confusion crossed Qin Mu's face. Qin Mu? I am not acquainted with him. Bai Yuan's brow furrowed slightly. Are you certain, Mr. Sanshu? I have gathered some information. Given the current tense relationship between the Bai family and Qin Mu, if Mr. Sanshu were willing to divulge, many matters could be amicably resolved. But should he choose not to, I cannot predict what may transpire. Qin Mu's brow knitted slightly. Mr. Bai, have you perhaps misunderstood? I have never met Qin Mu. Your inquiry suggests a lack of trust in me. Bai Yuan shook his head slightly. I sincerely wish to trust you, Mr. Sanshu, but recent events compel me to be cautious. Qin Mu appeared somewhat helpless. Mr. Bai, you are overthinking this. I do not know Qin Mu at all. If you have questions, please ask directly. I assure you, I will speak candidly. Bai Yuan took a deep breath. It appears Mr. Sanshu is not an honest man. As he spoke, several men in black approached them. What does Mr. Bai intend? Qin Mu's expression shifted. What do I intend, you ask? Mr. Sanshu, I regard you as one of my own, yet you treat me this way? Bai Yuan's demeanor turned menacing, his eyes filled with murderous intent. Qin Mu feigned panic. Though in truth, he possessed the strength to defeat Bai Yuan effortlessly, the men surrounding him were no match for him. Yet, he was performing, aiming to exert complete control over Bai Yuan. I do not comprehend your words. Bai Yuan's gaze bore icy resolve. You claim ignorance, but you shall soon understand. Ahu, bring forth the instruments of torture. One of the black-clad men stepped forward, wielding a set of silver needles. Mr. Sanshu, I apologize for today's affront. I have always hoped for a fruitful collaboration with you, yet your actions compel me to respond thus. This set of silver needles contains a peculiar poison. Should it pierce your skin, you will endure excruciating agony. You still have a chance. If you confess truthfully, I guarantee your safety. Qin Mu maintained an indifferent facade. I do not understand what you are saying. Bai Yuan inhaled deeply. If that is the case, then do not blame me. Proceed. As the command was issued, one of the men in black advanced toward Qin Mu, while the others swiftly restrained him. The man produced the silver needles and aimed them at Qin Mu's body. The needles pierced his skin. Qin Mu felt a sharp pain surge through him. Yet, being well-versed in medicine, he effortlessly neutralized the pain with his internal energy, though he continued to feign an expression of agony. Ah! A pained cry escaped his lips. Chapter 369, Bai Yuan's Invitation. After some time, Bai Yuan scrutinized Qin Mu. If you confess now, I can grant you a swift end. Qin Mu's acting prowess was unparalleled, his display of suffering far beyond the capabilities of an ordinary person. To outsiders, he appeared genuinely tormented. Bai Yuan had confidence in the efficacy of this acupuncture technique. Typically, no one could withstand it for long. Qin Mu's demeanor seemed entirely ordinary, yet within, he felt a flicker of doubt. Could it be that Qin Mu is not a fraud? After a while, Bai Yuan inquired again. Mr. Sanshu, are you truly unwilling to confess? Qin Mu persistently shook his head. Confess to what? I have done nothing. Bai Yuan took a deep breath, his gaze fixed on Qin Mu. He understood that under such acupuncture techniques, an ordinary individual would scarcely endure. Qin Mu's expression had contorted, revealing genuine distress that could not be faked. Withdraw the needles. Bai Yuan commanded. The men beside him promptly removed the silver needles one by one. Qin Mu gasped for breath, but soon thereafter, he lost consciousness. With his exceptional acting skills, Qin Mu adeptly recognized that in such a scenario, feigning unconsciousness was necessary. Take him to a room to rest. Bai Yuan ordered. The men nearby carried Qin Mu into a resting chamber. A look of contemplation crossed Bai Yuan's face. What is happening? If he is not responsible, then who is? After a considerable period of contemplation, he awaited Qin Mu's awakening. Once Qin Mu regained consciousness, Bai Yuan entered the room, his gaze fixed upon him. Mr. Sanshu, I apologize, I misjudged you. Qin Mu, staring at the ceiling, remained silent. Bai Yuan summoned 10 gold bars. Mr. Sanshu, I hope you will accept these tokens of goodwill. I admit my earlier actions were rather presumptuous, but having endured this ordeal, you are now considered one of our Bai family's own. We are merely cautious of potential traitors, which is why we resorted to such measures. Qin Mu scoffed coldly. Bai Yuan, do you find it amusing to administer a beating followed by a sweet gesture? I have treated you sincerely. And yet this is how you repay me? Bai Yuan's expression bore a hint of helplessness. I did not wish for this. It is prudent to exercise caution regarding certain matters. Wouldn't you agree? Qin Mu shook his head slightly. If this is how you treat your guests, I would prefer to forego the interaction. Mr. Sanshu, those who aspire to great achievements do not fuss over trifles. My previous actions were indeed inappropriate. But leaving now would not serve you well either, would it? Bai Yuan stated earnestly. Qin Mu scoffed again. The pain you inflicted upon me is something I shall never forget. Bai Yuan retorted. Pain is easily forgotten. In the end, People always look forward. With your capabilities, I can undoubtedly help you attain global championship status. Moreover, the Bai family possesses an extensive array of resources, and our connection extends beyond you. Your descendants will reap immeasurable benefits as well. Are you certain you wish to decline my offer? Qin Mu's gaze narrowed slightly. Your words bear the tone of a charlatan. Bai Yuan nodded slightly. You may perceive it that way, yet I extend this invitation with utmost sincerity. Chapter 370, Closing the Net. Qin Mu pondered for a moment, his eyes still reflecting a hint of coldness. I might agree to your terms. However, I require double the previous compensation. Bai Yuan, money is no obstacle. For I have certain matters that necessitate your assistance. Qin Mu furrowed his brow slightly. What matters? To be candid, our Bai family has recently encountered some troubles. There is an individual persistently causing us distress. I have been investigating him, but he has mysteriously vanished for a while. However, your company seems to have some ties to him. Thus I hope you can assist me in conducting an internal inquiry. Bai Yuan stated earnestly. A flicker of contemplation crossed Qin Mu's eyes. If that is the case, there indeed seem to be some issues within our company. Several individuals have been acting rather unusually of late. Bai Yuan instantly became intrigued. For instance, whom do you refer to? Qin Mu. I cannot specify the particulars. But the atmosphere within the company has undeniably changed recently. How about this? You provide me the funds up front, and I will discreetly investigate on your behalf. We lack mutual trust, yet should your payment be adequate, I am willing to assist you. Bai Yuan nodded, promptly transferring 1 billion to Qin Mu. In his view, Qin Mu was undoubtedly one of their own, and he was generally generous towards his allies. Observing the transaction on his phone, a faint smirk curled at the corners of Qin Mu's lips. He was acutely aware that Bai Yuan was about to face misfortune. Rising slowly, a pained expression crossed Qin Mu's face as he made his way outside, with Bai Yuan instructing someone to follow him. Once Qin Mu departed, Bai Yuan exhaled deeply. I nearly missed out on a capable ally, but what scheme is Qin Mu truly concocting? It is unlike him to remain silent for so long. Just as he pondered, a phone call came in. Bai Yuan answered. It was a call from the company. Hello, boss, we have a problem. Bai Yuan's expression shifted. What has happened? Just moments ago, the company was reported, and some illicit accounts have been uncovered. If we continue down this path, the company's market value will plummet. Bai Yuan's face changed abruptly. How could this occur? What have you been doing? We do not know. We are unaware of how our rivals obtained this information. You incompetent fools, you are more of a hindrance than a help. Prepare for my return to the company immediately. Bai Yuan hastily departed. Qin Mu observed from a distance, a subtle smile gracing his lips. This is getting interesting. Bai Yuan is in for a rough ride. Behind Qin Mu stood a bespectacled man. Mr. Qin, your maneuvering is truly remarkable. First, you gain Bai Yuan's trust, then you orchestrate his downfall. If all goes as planned, he is about to meet his end. A cold glint flickered in Qin Mu's eyes. After such prolonged preparation, it is time to close the net. The man behind him nodded in agreement. Given Qin Mu's capabilities, acquiring information was not particularly difficult. However, his objective was to thoroughly dismantle the Bai family's underground influence and appropriate it for himself, necessitating meticulous planning. Under these circumstances, Bai Yuan would undoubtedly have to make sacrifices. The companies he had prepared were already set for comprehensive action. Chapter 371. The company is reported. Upon Bai Yuan's arrival at the company, his countenance darkened. Multiple departments had come to audit his company. A somewhat portly man approached him. Bai Yuan, the situation at your company is far from optimistic. Bai Yuan's expression shifted. What do you mean? We possess irrefutable evidence, and barring any unforeseen developments, your company is likely to undergo an extensive investigation, the portly man stated. Upon hearing this, Bai Yuan's expression grew exceedingly grim. An extensive investigation. This would essentially turn his company inside out. Which company could withstand such scrutiny? I demand an explanation, Bai Yuan asserted. This is the directive from above, not my personal decision. If you have any objections, you may address them with them. The portly man clarified. Bai Yuan's fists clenched tightly. He retrieved his phone and dialed a number. Hello, this is Bai Yuan. Upon connecting, he continued. Bai Yuan here. What is the situation? Why has my company ended up in this predicament? What is happening? Shouldn't you be the one explaining? There are numerous issues within the company. Moreover, the report was directly submitted to the city authorities. I truly do not understand what your Bai family is attempting. Do you genuinely believe you can dominate the magic city without consequence? Bai Yuan's expression shifted abruptly. Are you implying that the individual who reported us has significant backing? Quite substantial indeed. Your Bai family has drawn unwanted attention, and I am powerless to assist. Furthermore, your family possesses means. You should be able to resolve this. Very well. I understand. Bai Yuan hung up the phone, taking a deep breath as his expression turned grave. It appears that sacrifices must be made. Convey the message to liquidate some internal shares. Certain individuals must also take action. Bai Yuan instructed his subordinates. Understood. The man nodded. In truth, the Bai family had retained a backup plan. The controlling stake of this company had always been managed by someone else. Once the stakeholder departs, the Bai family would not bear any responsibility. This also exploited a legal loophole. However, this would severely impact the Bai family's finances. Young master, the issues with this company are manageable, but should it proceed in this manner, it would essentially equate to disbandment. What will happen to the subsequent cash flow? One inquired. Bai Yuan, I will find a way. He was filled with a murderous intent. The Bai family's financial network was indeed vast, yet it was compartmentalized. Bai Yuan had several burdensome ventures. With the company under investigation, the funds at his disposal would become scarce. Furthermore, Bai Yuan had aspirations of entrepreneurship, making the previously expended billions particularly crucial. Young master, a call from the master. An elderly man approached. Bai Yuan's expression shifted, and he took a deep breath before answering the call. Hello, grandfather. What is the situation on your end? How did it come to this? I am uncertain. Someone must be manipulating things from the shadows. However, grandfather, rest assured, I have a plan and will resolve this matter. Bai Yuan explained. You had better rectify this situation thoroughly. Otherwise, I will not spare you. Moreover, I have a premonition that Qin Mu is undoubtedly scheming something. You would do well to be cautious. Should you fall into his hands, not even a deity could save you. Very well, Bai Yuan nodded. Chapter 372, The Chain Trap. After Bai Yuan hung up the phone, a sense of pressure enveloped him. The oppressive weight emanated from Qin Mu. Troubles have arisen within the company. A palpable pressure on the financial chain. Bai Yuan turned to the middle-aged man beside him and instructed. Inquire which companies still possess cash flow and request a temporary loan from them. The man nodded in acknowledgement and departed the office. Approximately half an hour later, he returned to Bai Yuan's presence. Young master, I have conducted an investigation, and currently, there are not many companies capable of providing a substantial amount of capital at once. Only a handful, in fact. Among them, 2 are only willing to lend 10 billion, and they are reluctant to part with any more. Upon reviewing the documents, Bai Yuan's expression shifted noticeably. They must be aware of the Bai family's influence. Why are they hesitant to extend us credit? The middle-aged man replied, this is related to Qin Mu. He possesses numerous enterprises in Modu, many of which are under his influence. Although he lacks the power of the Bai family, he can still exert a significant impact in various respects. Bai Yuan sighed softly, his fists clenching slightly. That Qin Mu again. He truly is a persistent thorn in my side. Let us negotiate with the other few. As long as the interest is reasonable, we shall borrow the funds. The middle-aged man nodded in agreement. Understood. After his departure, Bai Yuan took a deep breath, realizing his current predicament rendered him quite passive. With Qin Mu's machinations constraining his every move, that scoundrel cannot bask in triumph for long. The Bai family is not so easily trifled with, he thought to himself. Days passed swiftly, and Bai Yuan tirelessly sought financial assistance. After extensive negotiations, he finally secured a loan of 20 billion from a relatively reliable company, having settled on agreeable interest terms. However, his own company had to make significant sacrifices, leaving him in a state of diminished vitality. Yet, the vastness of the Bai family's assets meant that, for the time being, the repercussions would not be catastrophic. As funds began to flow into various sectors, Bai Yuan felt a sense of stability returning. However, at that moment, a legal summons unexpectedly landed before him, and a distinct anger flared upon his face. What is the meaning of this? Did we not reach an agreement with that company? Why are they suing me unprovoked? A middle-aged man approached Bai Yuan, stating, we are unsure of the specifics. It appears their company's funds are of dubious origin and have been seized by the relevant authorities. Furthermore, they demand the freezing of our company's assets due to our indebtedness to them. Bai Yuan's countenance darkened ominously as realization dawned upon him. A trap. That Qin Mu is truly cunning, ensnaring me in such a scheme. He comprehended that Qin Mu had orchestrated this from the beginning. First reporting his company to create a financial crisis, then facilitating the loan to ensnare him further. That bastard deserves to be punished. Bai Yuan inhaled deeply, his anger surging. The middle-aged man cautioned, if that is their strategy, we must repay the loan immediately to escape this predicament. Otherwise, we are finished. Bai Yuan responded resolutely, I understand. With the Bai family's resources, 20 billion is a trivial sum. Though Bai Yuan verbally dismissed the gravity of the situation, he was acutely aware of what 20 billion represented. In the past, it would not have been a concern, given the Bai family's wealth. However, he now recognized that, under the current circumstances, procuring such an amount was a formidable challenge. Taking a deep breath, a glimmer of cold resolve sparkled in his eyes. This was the first time he found himself so cornered after managing the Bai family's external affairs for an extended period. Meanwhile, Qin Mu wore a faint smile on his face. It seemed Bai Yuan had become aware of the unfolding events. Indeed. Over 20 billion. Who knows how long it will take him to repay that? Remarked Lang Shun. Let us go. It is time to meet him and have a thorough discussion. Qin Mu stood up, and Lang Shun, displaying a hint of surprise, queried, Master Qin, do you intend to meet him now? Is that wise? Qin Mu replied, what is there to fear? Let us have a bit of fun with him. With that, Qin Mu strode toward the exit. Though Lang Shun harbored some doubts, he refrained from voicing them. Following Qin Mu, they arrived at Bai Yuan's company. Upon entering Bai Yuan's office, they found him on the phone, seeking financial assistance. However, upon spotting Qin Mu and Lang Shun, his expression shifted dramatically. Qin Mu, how dare you show your face here? Qin Mu wore a mild smile. Why would I not dare? Are you feeling overwhelmed and harboring resentment towards me? Bai Yuan's gaze turned icy. Opposing the Bai family will lead to your ruin. Qin Mu retorted, do you truly believe the Bai family can do anything to me? Do not be foolish. In my presence, the Bai family is inconsequential. I now offer you a chance. Surrender your influence to me, and I shall spare your life. Otherwise, I assure you, your demise will be most gruesome. You dare to threaten me? Bai Yuan exclaimed. This is not a threat, it is merely a notification. You may refuse my request, but I can guarantee you will live to regret it. Bai Yuan's fists clenched tightly, his eyes brimming with cold fury. Qin Mu, do not push your luck. Qin Mu shook his head slightly. You truly are not the sharpest tool in the shed. Did you think I spent all this time just to ensure you owe 20 billion? Are you aware that your company's finances are practically in ruins? Bai Yuan scoffed. Do you think I would believe such nonsense? You may choose disbelief, but it remains the truth. At that moment, Qin Mu tossed a document onto Bai Yuan's desk. Examine this closely. It details your actions over the years. Any single one of these could lead to your utter ruin. Furthermore, I possess incriminating evidence against every shareholder on your board. Do you think I have this information and they would dare defy me? Fear flickered in Bai Yuan's eyes. How do you possess this information? Qin Mu replied, do I owe you an explanation? What do you think you are? Bai Yuan trembled slightly, realizing he had underestimated Qin Mu. This man before him indeed possessed the capability to obliterate him, and his schemes were astoundingly intricate. Qin Mu regarded Bai Yuan. You now have 3 seconds to convey your decision. Otherwise, I cannot guarantee the outcome. Bai Yuan met his gaze, acknowledging. You are undoubtedly the most renowned figure in Modu at this time. I, Bai Yuan, concede. Qin Mu responded, in that case, you should be aware of what I expect from you. Bai Yuan forced a pale smile. Do you genuinely believe that by toppling me, you will emerge victorious? The Bai family's influence extends far beyond my singular role. Even if you succeed in taking me down, what will that achieve? I am merely a pawn. Qin Mu, you are indeed correct. You are but a mere pawn. However, if utilized effectively, a pawn can inflict considerable losses upon the Bai family. I ask you, what is the most clandestine secret of the Bai family? Bai Yuan, how could I possibly know? Qin Mu's gaze deepened. Are you certain you are unaware? Bai Yuan trembled slightly, realizing that Qin Mu resembled a demon, seemingly privy to all that he might utter. Qin Mu's expression bore a trace of indifference. Will you speak? Or will you remain silent? Bai Yuan, I will speak. The most secretive strength of the Bai family lies not only in their covert influence, but also in a faction within the military. Qin Mu narrowed his eyes slightly. What is the nature of this military involvement? Bai Yuan, the Bai family has always prioritized the cultivation of talent. Some individuals were sent into the military at a very early stage. Oftentimes, the Bai family's enduring prosperity is a testament to the efforts of several generations. Qin Mu, I am aware of your prowess, but believe me, should you truly wish to obliterate the Bai family, the repercussions will be dire. The Bai family is a tiger, a formidable beast that has roamed the land of Xinzhou for centuries. Engaging such an adversary in combat is folly. Would it not be wiser to seek peace? A faint smile graced Qin Mu's face. You jest. Do you truly believe that is feasible? I demand that you contact the head of the Bai family. I, Qin Mu, wish to have a few words with him. A look of reluctance crossed Bai Yuan's features. Yet, upon meeting Qin Mu's gaze, he dared not refuse, retrieving his phone to dial a number. Before long, an elderly voice echoed through the line. Why are you calling me again? Qin Mu's smile returned. It has been quite some time, old man Bai. The voice on the other end hesitated for a moment before the elder sneered. Qin Mu, you possess quite the audacity to engage with me. Qin Mu, that is hardly the case. If I refrained from reaching out, that would truly be troublesome. During this time, I have brought considerable troubles to your family. What is your intention? Do you wish to continue this game with me? The elder chuckled. Qin Mu, it seems rather pointless for us to exchange such pleasantries. I acknowledge your capabilities. Even now, I remain unsure how to deal with you. However, the Bai family is not as simple as you might think. If you desire to consume us, it is not impossible. But you must ponder the consequences. What will ensue should the Bai family fall? Qin Mu, barring unforeseen circumstances. I would likely acquire a multitude of enemies, given the vastness of your family's enterprises. Yet, I find myself unperturbed by such prospects. Chapter 375, The Banquet of Hades. The elder inhaled deeply. You are indeed astute. Qin Mu, naturally, otherwise, how could I dare oppose the Bai family? The elder, Qin Mu, we must meet. Qin Mu, I concur. How about this evening, at the Wenchuang Grand Hotel? The elder inquired. Qin Mu agreed. With that, he ended the call. Bai Yuan gazed intently at Qin Mu. Qin Mu, sporting a smile, remarked, What is it? Are you astonished, curious as to why I possess such boldness? Bai Yuan nodded. Under normal circumstances, you should fear meeting our family head. Qin Mu, you mention normal circumstances. I, for one, do not fear the martial prowess of the Bai family. Why would I shy away from meeting him? Bai Yuan, not fearful of the Bai family's might? Qin Mu, you are indeed intriguing. I never imagined you would utter such words. Qin Mu's expression bore a serene smile. If you doubt my resolve, you shall witness it tonight. With that, Qin Mu strode towards the exit. Observing Qin Mu's retreating figure, Bai Yuan trembled slightly. He had been thoroughly ensnared. His countenance darkened, utterly at a loss as to how to proceed. The middle-aged man nearby also exhibited signs of trepidation. This is a trap. He has been ensconced within our midst all along. Bai Yuan inhaled deeply. This is not a foe we can contend with. Let us leave it to grandfather. If he fails, we shall have no choice but to concede. The middle-aged man's expression was one of acute distress. Who could have anticipated that matters would devolve to this point? Upon returning to the vehicle, the wolf god sat beside Qin Mu, his face reflecting profound respect. Mr. Qin, you are truly remarkable. Qin Mu smiled. What is so remarkable about it? I merely identified his weakness. Once I meet with the head of the Bai family, I shall reveal my true identity. Do you believe Bai Yuan will retain his psychological defenses then? The wolf god inhaled sharply. It will undoubtedly crumble. A person so thoroughly manipulated by you from beginning to end cannot withstand such pressure. Qin Mu nodded. Precisely. He has been within my grasp all along. And he is now filled with anxiety. If he discovers my true identity, he will undoubtedly collapse. At that point, he will be much easier to control. When confronted with absolute force, the notion of resistance becomes inconceivable. The wolf god concurred. Indeed, that is the case. The vehicle departed from the parking lot. Meanwhile, within the Bai family, numerous individuals had gathered before the elder. Grandfather, is it not too reckless to meet him so directly? Reckless? If this continues, the Bai family is doomed. The elder retorted coldly. The Bai family doomed? Is Qin Mu truly capable of such feats? That seems improbable, considering the Bai family's considerable influence. Indeed, the Bai family has thrived in Modu for many years. Have they ever feared anyone? Several voices chimed in. The elder's expression darkened further. He realized that these younger generations had never faced hardship and were excessively confident in the Bai family's strength. You still do not grasp the depths of Qin Mu's capabilities. He is already ensnared Bai Yuan. To have put Bai Yuan in such a position in such a short time, do you think Qin Mu is to be trifled with? The elder countered. Their expressions shifted abruptly, disbelief evident in their eyes. Chapter 376, A Simple Offering of Peanuts. The eyes of the gathered individuals fixated on the elder. Bai Yuan is now under his control? How is that even possible? Presumably, the companies and various enterprises under Bai Yuan's purview have already been commandeered by Qin Mu. One voiced. That is entirely plausible. Qin Mu is no ordinary individual, and it is quite reasonable for him to possess such power. I must attend this banquet of Hades. But prior to that, all preparations must be made. Have you contacted the individual I instructed you to reach? The elder inquired. We have contacted him. He will arrive in Modu tonight. Another responded. The elder nodded. Excellent. With his assistance, the task will be considerably simplified. The expressions of those present were far from pleasant. The Bai family had always been regarded as a paragon of excellence in their eyes. Now, this once mighty tiger appeared utterly beleaguered. As darkness descended, the parking lot of Yunxiang Tower, usually brimming with luxury vehicles, stood eerily empty. For reasons unknown, this grand hotel had failed to secure a single reservation. All the chefs were on standby, and the hotel staff was palpably tense, having received word earlier that Yunxiang Tower had been booked in its entirety. To this end, everyone within the Yunxiang Tower comprehended that the forthcoming guests were of considerable significance. It is well known that the daily revenue of Yunxiang Tower reaches a staggering million. Numerous patrons make reservations each day. In order to accommodate today's esteemed guests, Yunxiang Tower incurred a direct loss exceeding $1 million, necessitating individual explanations to the clientele. Such an extraordinary measure would be inconceivable without the presence of an exceptionally illustrious individual. At that moment, a procession of black vehicles entered the premises of Yunxiang Tower. Each vehicle bore men clad in dark suits, exuding an air of authority and cold demeanor, striding with the poise of dragons and tigers. It was evident that they were not ordinary individuals. From the vehicles emerged several figures. The hotel staff's expressions shifted dramatically upon seeing them. These individuals were renowned entrepreneurs from the magical city, each possessing a fortune of no less than 10 billion. Such figures typically only grace television screens and newspapers. After disembarking, they all gravitated towards a golden Rolls-Royce, their faces adorned with respect. A venerable gentleman, over 70 years of age, descended from the vehicle, leaning on a cane. His face was a tapestry of wrinkles, his hair grizzled, yet his eyes bore an intense sharpness that instinctively instilled a profound sense of pressure. In this digital age, many have encountered prominent figures online, some with fortunes in the hundreds of billions, yet none had ever seen someone like this elder. Such individuals seem to embody nobility and authority in their very essence. For many, the chance to behold such a presence once in a lifetime is a rarity. They made their way into the hotel, leaving numerous staff members in the inner hall, who found themselves unworthy even to approach the elder. The entire establishment was enveloped by hundreds of onlookers. The elder quietly settled in the central position of the hall, the safest spot in the entire building. Even a sniper would find it impossible to target him from such a vantage point. With such a multitude of protectors, the prospect of harming the elder seemed insurmountable. A figure concealed in the distance could not suppress a bitter curse. This ancient relic truly knows how to hide. Even attempting to invite him for a mere peanut snack seems futile. Chapter 377, Above the Royal Level. They remained oblivious to the fact that this hotel had long been surrounded by forces dispatched by Qin Mu, many of whom were elite operatives under Qin Mu's command. At this moment, Qin Mu stood approximately 500 meters from the hotel, his gaze fixed intently upon it. This old relic is indeed quite cautious. A man beside Qin Mu nodded in agreement. We have indeed invested considerable time and effort into this arrangement, yet many traps have been preemptively neutralized by him. His reclusive nature mirrors that of ancient emperors, making his appearance in such a place a rare occurrence. Qin Mu declared, regardless of his caution, now that he has come here, he must comply. Prepare everyone accordingly. Once I signal, let them act as planned. The man nodded, understood. Qin Mu proceeded towards the hotel. Upon his arrival, the expressions of many present shifted to one of tension. Simultaneously, a van parked a few hundred meters away, where several figures were seated inside. One woman gazing intently at Qin Mu. This fellow possesses quite a handsome visage. The others also observed Qin Mu, recognizing his potential as a captivating figure. It was unexpected that someone of his caliber would dare to oppose the Bai family. This is intriguing. A man with a somewhat arrogant demeanor, sporting a streak of blonde hair, or a smirk. He seemed to regard Qin Mu as a worthy adversary. Though he begrudgingly acknowledged that Qin Mu's looks were merely marginally superior to his own, the others shot him disapproving glances. If anyone were nearby, they would undoubtedly recognize that these individuals were far from ordinary. They belonged to the internationally renowned Falcon Group. Over the years, they had traversed abroad, committing numerous high-profile crimes, including a sensational heist. However, they had vanished from public view 2 years ago, leaving no trace of their whereabouts. Now, it appeared they had fallen under the auspices of the Bai family. What shall we do next? This fellow has also deployed considerable manpower nearby. If we remain inactive, we risk losing the initiative, inquired a short-haired woman. Rest assured, are you not aware of the stature of the Bai family? They have long made preparations, and they will eliminate any obstacles. Our target today is that man's head, though I wonder why the Bai family has gone to such lengths, even summoning that esteemed individual, remarked a man clad in a black trench coat. As he spoke, the expressions of those present shifted. Though they were well known on the international stage, it did not imply there were no more formidable entities above them. If the elite of the international mercenary organizations are considered royal level, then above the royal level exists the divine level. Such beings are as elusive as dragons, rarely seen, and almost never called upon. The Bai family's expenditure to secure such a figure speaks volumes. Furthermore, their meticulous preparations indicate that Qin Mu is undoubtedly a perilous adversary. Chapter 378, The Banquet Begins. Qin Mu possessed a certain awareness of the external circumstances, yet he remained unperturbed, for he held significant leverage of his own. He approached the elder. The elder's gaze also settled upon him. Under ordinary circumstances, the elder would exhibit a calm demeanor towards a junior. However, as Qin Mu approached, a flicker of agitation stirred within him. He sensed that the Qin Mu before him was far from ordinary. Moreover, the aura of lethal intent emanating from Qin Mu was palpable. Seated opposite the elder, Qin Mu wore a faint smile. At last, we have met. The elder reciprocated with a subtle smile. Indeed, we have finally crossed paths. Qin Mu, I hope you can exercise some rationality and refrain from taking things too far. Qin Mu's expression remained lighthearted. I too wish to avoid excess, but alas, if I do not act, you will. The elder fell silent for a moment. Casting his gaze aside, let the chef serve the dishes. The young man beside him nodded and stepped away. Before long, dishes were presented. Observing the meal before him, Qin Mu's demeanor was one of calm indifference. He wasted no time, directly taking a piece of meat to eat. Many in attendance noted this scene, their expressions shifting. Those observing from afar wore incredulous expressions. Inside the van, the occupants could not help but exclaim, "Goodness, what audacity! Does he not fear poison? Such audacity is extraordinary. How could he dare?" Indeed, this is the banquet of hongmen. The elder sitting opposite Qin Mu wore a faint smile. "Mr. Qin, you possess an extraordinary level of audacity." Qin Mu also bore a hint of amusement on his face. "We are both individuals of considerable stature. Resorting to treachery in such a setting is utterly against decorum. Moreover, you remain unaware of the leverage I hold. In a sense, you truly dare not act against me." The elder nodded slightly. "Indeed, you presently exert significant pressure upon me, and I truly cannot afford to take any drastic actions against you." Qin Mu continued, "In light of this, let us be forthright. I require the assets in your possession. If you relinquish them to me, I can ensure the survival of the Bai family." The elder took a bite of his dish. His gaze icy as he fixed it upon Qin Mu. "Do you comprehend the gravity of your words?" Qin Mu affirmed, "I am fully aware. And I also understand that there are certain matters you must acquiesce to. Should you refuse, the price your family pays will be far more severe than you can imagine." The elder remarked, "How intriguing. You have threatened the Bai family more than once. I find myself curious as to the source of your audacity to be so brazen before me." Qin Mu replied, "Had this been before, I would certainly not have dared. But now, old Master Bai, have you considered that you are utterly trapped here?" The elder acknowledged, "I know you have made preparations. Yet I too am not without my own measures. In a direct confrontation, you will not gain any significant advantage." A smile flickered across Qin Mu's face. "That is merely your perception. During this period, I have been preparing for certain events, one of which is today's gathering." Chapter 379, A Master of Royal Class. The elder's expression shifted slightly. "What do you mean by that?" Qin Mu responded, "What I mean is quite apparent, is it not? You have reached an advanced age. What need do you have for such wealth? Have you not contemplated finding a place to enjoy your twilight years?" The elder scoffed. "The Bai family has weathered storms in Magic City for centuries to build such a foundation. Do you truly believe that with mere words, you can compel me to surrender the Bai family? That is rather laughable." Qin Mu countered, "Perhaps so, but if you refuse to hand over the Bai family, the consequences will indeed be dire." The elder exhaled sharply, his gaze sharp as ice. "If you truly possess the capability, then show it. The Bai family does not cower. Yet Qin Mu, let me advise you, do not be overly arrogant, for the consequences may be beyond your imagination." Qin Mu nodded slightly. "You speak with wisdom. However, it is regrettable that I am inherently a rather arrogant individual. If you are unwilling to acquiesce, then let today's matter end here." With that, Qin Mu rose to his feet. The elder's expression was devoid of warmth. "Do you believe you can leave today?" A smile danced on Qin Mu's lips. "It seems you have made considerable preparations. Thus, allow me to demonstrate my capabilities." As his words fell, gunfire erupted. Several assailants who had been surveilling from a distance were swiftly eliminated. Concurrently, figures approached the van from several hundred meters away. The expressions of those inside the van shifted dramatically. What was happening? When did he discover us? They immediately exited the vehicle, but at that moment, a group of individuals clad in black swiftly approached them. Upon reaching a woman, one of the assailants unleashed a cloud of gas. Her expression changed abruptly, and she hastily retreated, only to find another figure in black appearing behind her. He delivered a powerful kick, sending her crashing to the ground, pain etched across her features. The gas enveloped her mouth and nose, swiftly rendering her unconscious. The others fared similarly. In a mere few minutes, the group was subdued. A man stepped onto the van and activated the communication device. The mission is accomplished. The Falcon organization has been completely apprehended. At that moment, a device not far from Qin Mu emitted a sound. The elder's face paled in terror. The Falcon organization had been an expensive acquisition for him. Yet, he never anticipated their swift downfall. How could this be? How did you achieve this? A smile graced Qin Mu's face. As I have told you, do not attempt to resist me. My capabilities are beyond your comprehension. You brought over 600 individuals to encircle the hotel, making it seemingly impossible for us to inflict harm upon you. However, it is unfortunate that your opponent is me. Do you believe that, should I desire it, you will undoubtedly perish here? The elder trembled slightly, but soon regained his composure, intrigued. I did not expect you to possess such means. It appears I have indeed grown old, but fear not, the Bai family is not easily intimidated. As his words fell, a fierce sound of friction filled the air, and a figure clad in a black trench coat shattered the window, exuding an intense aura of killing intent. His eyes were cold as ice, and merely standing there imparted an immense pressure. Chapter 380. The Clash of Godlike Masters. Qin Mu's gaze fell upon the newcomer. Although he had anticipated that the Bai family would have a contingency plan, it was evident that his expectations were met. The figure approached Qin Mu, a faint smile playing on his lips. "You must be Qin Mu?" Qin Mu nodded. "Indeed." The man's gaze swept across Qin Mu. "Quite interesting. To possess such capabilities at such a young age. I, Wang Xian, am willing to recognize you as the foremost figure in Magic City's commerce." A smile flickered on Qin Mu's face. "Wang Xian? That name sounds familiar. Are you quite renowned?" Wang Xian maintained a calm demeanor. "It is not surprising you have not heard of me. You reside in a realm that is still too lowly. In this world, there are many elite warriors, yet those who reach the divine realm are exceedingly rare. The underworld you previously dismantled is formidable on a global scale, yet before me, they are unworthy of even carrying my shoes." Qin Mu's expression shifted slightly. Had he not experienced the underworld incident, he would have been unaware of the formidable strength of certain individuals. However, having gone through it, he could distinctly sense the multitude of powerful beings in this world. The man before him, bold enough to utter such words, undoubtedly possessed that level of strength. With a smile, Qin Mu remarked, "In that case, I am keen to ascertain just how formidable you truly are." Whoosh! The sound of air slicing through the atmosphere echoed. Wang Xian appeared before Qin Mu in an instant. Qin Mu's expression changed. He could hardly follow Wang Xian's movement. It was astonishingly swift. "Is this the prowess of a godlike master? Truly extraordinary," Qin Mu mused. Wang Xian bore a faint smile. "It is not particularly remarkable, yet it would be effortless to engage you in combat. Here's the deal. Kneel and apologize, and we shall consider this matter settled." Qin Mu replied, "Do you find that plausible?" Wang Xian could not suppress his laughter. "It appears you are utterly oblivious to your current predicament." A short sword materialized in Wang Xian's hand. "Since you have missed your chance at survival, it seems you are destined to perish at my hands today." Whoosh! The sound of slicing air resounded as he thrust the sword towards Qin Mu's vital points. Qin Mu's expression remained remarkably serene as the long sword approached him. In a swift motion, he evaded the attack with agility, delivering a powerful punch towards Wang Xian. A flicker of surprise crossed Wang Xian's face. He had never considered Qin Mu a worthy adversary. Yet, he had successfully dodged the assault. "Quite interesting. It seems I have underestimated you," Wang Xian remarked coldly. A subtle smile graced Qin Mu's lips as he responded, "It's not that you underestimated me, but rather, I myself am unaware of my true capabilities." A long sword materialized in Qin Mu's hand, its blade adorned with intricate patterns that seemed to glimmer with the potential to slice through the air. "I am eager to discover just how formidable this so-called divine level truly is." With a whoosh, Qin Mu darted towards Wang Xian, thrusting the sword with ferocity. In an instant, countless sword shadows emerged. Wang Xian's gaze sharpened as the blade surged towards him. He astutely discerned a flaw in Qin Mu's technique and aimed his short sword at a vital point. The sound of air being split echoed immediately. However, to his astonishment, Qin Mu evaded the strike in an unexpectedly unique manner, shifting to the side. The two swords clashed with a resounding bang, sending Wang Xian staggering back. Disbelief etched across his features. "How is this possible? Why do you possess such strength?" Chapter 381. The surrender of the Bai family. Qin Mu's countenance exhibited a hint of calm as he wielded his sword, which seemed to emit a faint sheen. With a swift motion, he charged directly at Wang Jian. Observing the expanding sword shadow in his vision, Wang Jian swiftly raised his sword to defend. The sound of their clashing blades resonated, punctuated by a series of crisp impacts as they exchanged blows in rapid succession. Wang Jian's expression grew grave. "Who are you? How do you possess such extraordinary abilities?" Qin Mu's smile remained faint. "This is my first time enjoying a fight so exhilarating. Come again." He lunged towards Wang Jian with impressive speed, closing the distance in the blink of an eye. Their figures intertwined once more, their strikes growing increasingly fierce. Onlookers from the Bai family wore expressions of incredulity. Is Qin Mu truly this powerful? How can this be? Wang Jian is a divine-level master, having honed his skills for decades. One family member questioned. Such talent is almost otherworldly. There are hardly any divine-level masters of his age in this world. If Wang Jian cannot defeat him, are we not doomed? Another lamented. The divine-level masters possess absolute leadership. If they truly set their sights on us, we would stand no chance. Someone asserted. The elder's countenance darkened. He had not anticipated the situation to unfold this way. Impossible, absolutely impossible. He cannot be this formidable. Wang Jian can surely vanquish him. Yet, Scarcely had he finished speaking when Qin Mu's sword, in a most unexpected manner, breached Wang Jian's defense and struck him fiercely. Wang Jian staggered back, pain etched in his eyes as blood blossomed from his shoulder. He gazed at Qin Mu. I never imagined such a master existed in Modu. Qin Mu's demeanor remained composed. If you wish to continue fighting, it will be your demise. Wang Jian took a deep breath, sheathing his sword and casting a glance at the elder. I'm afraid this time I am powerless to continue. The elder's expression shifted. What do you mean by that? Wang Jian replied, can't you see? I am not his match. Continuing this fight will only bring misfortune upon me. The Bai family should not resist. Someone like him is beyond your capacity to provoke. The elder's pupils dilated in realization. Wang Jian would not lie. His admission indicated genuine desperation. Qin Mu's gaze turned towards them. If the Bai family has no other means, I shall not hold back. The elder hesitated, but being a man of discernment, he quickly weighed the pros and cons. Qin Mu, we are willing to surrender. As these words fell, many from the Bai family reacted with alarm. Grandfather, no. Father, please. They cried out. But the elder appeared unfazed, his gaze fixed on Qin Mu. However, I have one request. If you agree, I shall gladly relinquish all of the Bai family's assets. Chapter 382. A scale of 50 trillion. Qin Mu narrowed his eyes slightly. What is your request? The Bai family holds considerable influence in Modu, but across the entirety of Xinzhou, there are many families capable of overshadowing us. If you truly possess the strength you claim, I hope you can lead the Bai family to greatness. The elder stated earnestly. Qin Mu pondered this, recognizing the daunting path the elder suggested. While he could wield significant power in Modu, the rest of Xinzhou was teeming with formidable individuals. Many of the so-called tycoons known to the average person would amount to little against these families and figures of prominence. A smile crept onto Qin Mu's face. Very well. I accept your terms. The elder nodded slightly. Your word is sufficient. He slowly knelt, and the others followed suit. We acknowledge the new head of the Bai family. Witnessing their submission stirred something within Qin Mu. He had not anticipated to subdue the Bai family so swiftly. With a sigh, he adopted a tone of indifference. There is no need for such formality. I, Qin Mu, also require the strength of the Bai family. From this day forth, I shall guide the Bai family to new heights. The onlookers nodded in agreement, fully aware of Qin Mu's overwhelming strength, leaving them no opportunity to resist. Lead me to assess the capabilities of your Bai family. Qin Mu commanded. The elder assented. Please, follow me. Accompanied by the elder, they swiftly departed from the scene. Qin Mu understood that while he had temporarily won the Bai family's loyalty, completely taking control of their assets would be a formidable challenge. Arriving at the Bai family estate, Qin Mu followed the elder to a secret chamber. The elder retrieved some documents. The Bai family has a long history in Modu, accumulating substantial wealth over the years. However, our current circumstances are not favorable. Qin Mu nodded slightly, scanning the materials presented by the elder. His expression shifted as he realized the Bai family's extraordinary stature. The family's total worth exceeded 50 trillion, with assets spanning the globe. Numerous renowned companies in Modu were covertly controlled by the Bai family. It is no exaggeration to assert that the Bai family is a formidable force within Magic City, capable of exerting a significant influence at any moment. Furthermore, the Bai family possesses an extensive network of connections. Observing this, Qin Mu felt a stirring within his heart. Truly, a family that has accumulated power over such a long period is of an extraordinary scale. However, as he continued to peruse the pages, his brow furrowed slightly. He discovered that many aspects of the Bai family's influence have begun to wane, primarily due to the emergence of new forces in recent years and the apparent pressure from the state, seemingly intent on redistributing the wealth of affluent landowners. It appears that your Bai family has become a target. A hint of amusement played upon Qin Mu's face. The elder nodded slightly. Indeed, while our Bai family possesses substantial strength, the pressure we endure is immense. If you, Mr. Qin, wish to align yourself with our family, there are certain matters you must address. Qin Mu's expression reflected a trace of confusion. What do you mean by that? Chapter 383. Within 3 days. The elder exhaled softly. There are matters you may not be aware of, Mr. Qin. The current influence of the Bai family in Magic City is indeed considerable. Yet several factions have long cast envious glances in our direction. If you wish to gain complete control over the Bai family, some latent threats must be eradicated. Qin Mu nodded. You speak with reason. Which family poses the greatest threat to you at present? The elder replied. The Wang family. This Wang family is also one of the 4 great families, possessing strength comparable to that of the Bai family. Moreover, the Wang family has prospered significantly in recent years, having acquired several mines in South Africa, thereby amassing considerable wealth. Qin Mu's eyes narrowed slightly. By your account, the Wang family is quite affluent. The elder affirmed. Indeed. The Wang family's assets now surpassed those of the Bai family by at least 1/10. Qin Mu understood clearly that 1/10 is, in essence, a substantial figure. Especially in the context of a vast financial chain, 1/10, or even 1/20th, would be a formidable challenge. Very well, I comprehend. As long as I can integrate the resources of your Bai family, dealing with the Wang family will not pose a significant obstacle. The elder nodded slightly. Holding absolute trust in Qin Mu, believing that this young man possessed combat prowess rivaling that of a divine master. With him leading the Bai family, it was certain that the family would achieve even greater glory. Qin Mu's gaze held a hint of contemplation. He was pondering how to proceed following his takeover of the Bai family. What he truly needed was to deliver a severe lesson to the conglomerates. With the resources of the Bai family at his disposal, accomplishing such feats would be relatively straightforward. He would begin by dismantling the Shinkong Corporation. Qin Mu murmured. Upon hearing this, the elder's eyes narrowed slightly. Mr. Qin, you still cannot let go of the Shinkong Corporation? Qin Mu nodded. Indeed, I cannot. The elder remarked. If that is the case, our Bai family's influence can indeed deliver a significant blow to them. However, each of those conglomerates harbors divine masters. If we overstep our bounds, I fear. Qin Mu interjected. If it is merely divine masters, I will certainly handle them. And I wish to know if these conglomerates conceal any hidden forces. The elder replied. In comparison, our Bai family's power cannot be matched. These conglomerates essentially control a nation, with their enterprises spanning the globe and multiple divine masters within their ranks. It can be stated that both the existence of divine masters and the conglomerates themselves deter many from proceeding. Should one wish to engage them in open conflict, one must be mentally prepared. Qin Mu nodded slightly. Naturally, having resolved to take action, I will indeed prepare myself mentally. The elder nodded in agreement. I shan't elaborate further. If you intend to strike at the Shinkong Corporation within Magic City, I can assure you that it will be eliminated within 3 days. Qin Mu nodded slightly. Very well. The elder acknowledged with a slight nod, refraining from further discussion. Qin Mu stood, feeling a tinge of melancholy at having taken over such a substantial enterprise. As the weight upon his shoulders had grown heavier. Chapter 384, Playing with Fire. As he made his way outside, not long after, a call from Lu Ruoxue came through. I heard you have taken over the Bai family. Qin Mu replied. Indeed. Lu Ruoxue exclaimed. You are truly impressive. How did you manage that? Qin Mu explained. I'm not entirely clear on the specifics. I simply defeated someone, and they handed the Bai family over to me. Lu Ruoxue's face displayed evident surprise. You defeated someone, and they just gave you the Bai family? What transpired? Qin Mu replied. A divine master. Crash. The sound of a phone dropping echoed. Qin Mu's face reflected a hint of confusion. After a while, Lu Ruoxue picked up the phone. My goodness. Qin Mu, you aren't joking with me, are you? Qin Mu responded. What is there to joke about? Lu Ruoxue remarked. You are truly exceptional. A divine master. Do you grasp the significance of that? Qin Mu inquired. What significance? Lu Ruoxue elaborated. If the Bai family is one of the 4 great families in Magic City, then each divine master is a pinnacle existence that surpasses them. I now understand why they would relinquish the Bai family to you. Having someone like you on their side is akin to a guaranteed profit. Qin Mu questioned. Is it really that exaggerated? Lu Ruoxue affirmed. Yes, indeed. I can seriously tell you that the influence of a divine master is immense. Once this news spreads, the Bai family will undoubtedly ascend to the foremost position among the 4 great families of Magic City. However, Qin Mu, how did you become so formidable? You can even defeat a divine master? Qin Mu replied. I am uncertain. I actually found him rather lacking. I didn't even exert my full strength, yet he lost unexpectedly. Lu Ruoxue exclaimed. You are truly abnormal. Where are you now? I will come to pick you up. Qin Mu responded. I just left the Bai family. Lu Ruoxue said. All right, wait for me there. I will be there shortly. Yes. Qin Mu replied, ending the call. After a little over 10 minutes, Lu Ruoxue arrived, driving up to him. Qin Mu's face displayed a hint of astonishment. How did you arrive so quickly? Lu Ruoxue explained. I was just nearby at the office. Get in. Qin Mu climbed into Lu Ruoxue's car. The vehicle drove for a short distance before arriving at a restaurant. Qin Mu's face bore a look of confusion. What are we doing here? Lu Ruoxue replied. I'm treating you to a meal. Qin Mu smiled slightly. We're already this familiar. If there is something to discuss, just say it directly. Lu Ruoxue sighed. You truly can't be fooled. In truth, I have always harbored a desire, but I have been unable to act on it. I wonder if you could assist me. Qin Mu looked at her. What desire? Lu Ruoxue explained. I have always wished to surpass my father. However, as you know, he possesses a powerful network in Magic City and has amassed considerable influence in the country. Surpassing him is truly challenging. Thus, I hope you can assist me. Qin Mu replied. I didn't expect your ambitions to be so grand. Lu Ruoxue insisted. Just tell me whether you will help or not. Moreover, there are certain matters that only you can assist me with. Furthermore, as long as you are willing to help, I am open to any request you may have. Observing Lu Ruoxue's expression, Qin Mu was momentarily taken aback. He, too, was a man of normal disposition and understood the implications of her words. A bittersweet smile graced his face. You are truly playing with fire. Chapter 385, The Wang Family's Movements. Lu Ruoxue inhaled deeply, exclaiming, I find myself at a loss. It is exceedingly arduous for me to achieve my objectives. Only you can lend me your support. Qin Mu stroked his chin thoughtfully. I can indeed assist you, but such measures are unnecessary. Lu Ruoxue's gaze bore into him. What is it that you require? Qin Mu replied, I seek nothing in particular. What I need now is to expand my influence. If you are willing, you may come and aid me. A flicker of disappointment coursed through Lu Ruoxue's heart. She had anticipated that Qin Mu would present her with demands, and it appeared that his interest in her was rather tepid. Noticing the glimmer in Lu Ruoxue's eyes, Qin Mu's lips curled into a faint smile. It is not that I lack interest in you. I simply find the notion of taking advantage of a misfortune rather unappealing. Lu Ruoxue retorted, but I am indifferent to such matters. Qin Mu countered, I am not. As he perceived the shift in Lu Ruoxue's demeanor, it seemed she had underestimated him. I understand now. Qin Mu continued, no need for excessive contemplation. If you have time, ponder what our next steps should be. Lu Ruoxue nodded, agreed. Qin Mu stretched his back, moving toward the side. Watching Qin Mu's retreating figure, Lu Ruoxue exhaled softly, aware that she must seize this opportunity with Qin Mu. Otherwise, her ambitions would remain forever unattainable. Upon returning home, Qin Mu discovered that the wolf god was already aware of the developments. The wolf god regarded him with admiration gleaming in his eyes. Mr. Qin, you truly are remarkable. A subtle smile graced Qin Mu's features. It's nothing extraordinary, merely a few tactics. However, the real troubles are only just beginning. The wolf god remarked, with your current influence, you rank among the foremost powers in Magic City. Yet, in comparison to external forces, there remains a notable disparity. But do not fret, Mr. Qin. You have already surpassed many. Qin Mu's smile retained a hint of melancholy. And yet, what does that matter? There remain numerous challenges beyond my control. The wolf god remained silent, aware that attaining Qin Mu's level of power necessitated significant consideration. Qin Mu sighed, casting his gaze outside, his heart laden with a sense of nostalgia. Just contending with the Wang family alone would demand considerable effort from him. Meanwhile, within the Wang family, a group of young individuals congregated, exuding an air of confidence and sharpness. Their eyes met, adorned with expressions of intrigue. The elder of the Bai family has audaciously relinquished the Bai clan. How intriguing. It seems this Qin Mu possesses a certain allure. One cannot help but wonder about his circumstances. I have heard whispers that the Bai family has enlisted the aid of a divine-level expert. A divine-level expert? And yet, they failed to subdue Qin Mu? Uncertain, as the Bai family has tightly sealed information regarding that day, rendering any investigation into the matter nearly impossible. This indeed piques one's interest. If even a divine-level expert could not handle Qin Mu, he must be extraordinary. Indeed, he is a force to be reckoned with, akin to a wild stallion thriving in Magic City. Allowing him to continue unfettered will only lead to future complications for us. Precisely, we should consider suppressing him. Letting him grow unchecked is not a prudent course of action. What measures should we undertake? Perhaps collaborating with Starry Sky Enterprises? Ha ha ha, you certainly possess insight. Such a move would undoubtedly cause Qin Mu significant distress. Chapter 386, Qi Shuichen's Return. Had Qin Mu been privy to their conversation, his emotions would undoubtedly be tumultuous. These inept individuals are plotting to create trouble for him. Leading them was a young man adorned with gold-rimmed spectacles, who wore a faint smile. What you say holds merit. Qin Mu's rapid development warrants that we introduce some obstacles into his path. Let us proceed as you suggest. The other young men exchanged glances, their faces lit with amusement. They were eager to witness what capabilities this meteoric young man possessed. One could only hope he wouldn't lose his temper after a few trifling provocations. As scions of illustrious families, their fortunes had indeed flourished in recent years, significantly emboldening their dispositions. At this moment, Qin Mu was seated in his office, taking a deep breath as thoughts swirled in his mind. The path ahead would prove increasingly challenging. Just then, his phone rang. Upon checking, he realized it was Qi Shuichen calling. A gentle smile spread across Qin Mu's face. What brings you to call me at this hour? Qi Shuichen replied. I was concerned that you might be too busy to be disturbed. How have you been during this time? Have there been any incidents? Qin Mu chuckled. What incidents could possibly arise? Most matters have been resolved. How are you faring on your own? Qi Shuichen responded. Quite well, really. It's mostly been a series of indulgences, nothing too consequential. Qin Mu replied, that is reassuring. I was genuinely worried about your well-being. Qi Shuoqin queried, what sort of trouble could arise? When do you anticipate being preoccupied? I've been missing you a bit. Qin Mu reassured her, I have nearly wrapped up my obligations, but I fear larger troubles are approaching. A hint of confusion crossed Qi Shuoqin's face. What do you mean by that? Qin Mu elaborated. You wouldn't comprehend if I explained. However, if you wish to return, you may do so. Within Magic City, few would dare to trouble you. Qi Shuoqin agreed. All right. A smile danced on Qin Mu's lips as they exchanged a few more words before Qi Shuoqin ended the call. Stretching his limbs, Qin Mu reclined on the sofa, contemplating his next move before rising to approach his computer. With rapid keystrokes, after a short span of time, a glimmer of realization sparked in Qin Mu's eyes. Possessing elite hacking skills, he uncovered the identity of his adversaries, and naturally, he would not shy away from utilizing such prowess. Glancing at the information displayed on the screen, a subtle smile graced his lips. It appeared the Wang family had indeed thrived in recent years, leading them to become somewhat overzealous. Qin Mu stretched, fully aware that he had found his point of entry. Days passed swiftly, and upon rising from his slumber, Qin Mu adjusted his attire and ventured outside. Today marked Qi Shuoqin's return. After so many days apart, he felt a pang of longing in his heart. Yet, as he stepped outside, his phone rang once more. And upon seeing the caller ID, a look of puzzlement crossed his face. The call connected. Hello, Mr. Qin. What brings you to call? Qin Mu's face broke into a light smile as the Bai family patriarch's voice echoed on the line. We have initiated actions against Starry Sky Enterprises, but the Wang family has also made their move. The elder continued, his voice steady. Chapter 387, The Wang Family's Warning. Qin Mu's expression turned quizzical. What sort of actions? The elder replied. They have acquired 30% of Starry Sky Enterprises shares and have introduced them to numerous business opportunities. The conglomerate is well aware of the situation here and is fully cooperating. Qin Mu exhaled softly. These individuals truly are a source of constant concern. I understand. You may continue your operations on your end. I shall engage in a thorough discussion with the Wang family. The elder replied. Very well. After the elder hung up, a contemplative look crossed Qin Mu's face as he made his way outside. Before long, he arrived at the airport, just as Qi Shuoqin was alighting from her flight. Upon spotting Qin Mu, a smile graced her face, and she hurriedly approached him. Qin Mu. Qin Mu returned her smile. It has been quite a while since we last met. Have you missed me? Of course I have. Have you missed me as well? Qi Shuoqin replied. Naturally, and not just me. It has missed you too. Qi Shuoqin momentarily paused, quickly recovering as a blush crept onto her cheeks. You really ought to be more serious. What need is there for seriousness with my own wife? Qin Mu retorted. Qi Shuoqin chuckled softly. All right then. This evening, I shall treat you to a delightful meal. Qin Mu's smile widened. The two strolled towards the airport exit. But as they stepped outside, several individuals approached them. Such affection, remarked the leading man, a smile playing on his lips. Qin Mu narrowed his eyes slightly. Who are you? The man grinned. We are sent by the Wang family. Apologies, but we must take your woman with us for a while. With a swift motion, Qin Mu delivered a sharp slap, sending the man staggering backwards, a look of utter disarray on his face. Impressive, Mr. Qin. Your decisiveness is commendable. However, even if you were to strike me down, it would change nothing. The man's gaze hardened. Qin Mu replied, if the Wang family wishes to employ tactics, they should do so directly. There is no need for such underhanded methods. Also, the poison coursing through your veins is quite severe, deliberately administered by the Wang family, I presume? The man's expression shifted. You know I have been poisoned? Not only do I know, but I also realize you sought to provoke me. So the toxin would fall into my hands. Unfortunately for you, at my level, one can easily neutralize such effects. The man smirked, truly a master of the divine realm. We underestimated you. Nevertheless, Mr. Qin, I have come to inform you that the Bai family is but a toothless tiger. Your takeover of their influence amounts to little. Compared to the Wang family, the Bai family is no more than a collection of stray dogs. Furthermore, the Wang family possesses trump cards you cannot fathom. If possible, I hope you will engage in a proper discussion with us. Qin Mu's eyes glinted coldly. What is the connection between Wang Rue, the head of Magic City, and your Wang family? The man scoffed. You need not trouble yourself with that. I have delivered my message. I hope you will heed it. As he finished speaking, he coughed up a mouthful of black blood, collapsing slowly to the ground. The others accompanying him wore indifferent expressions, promptly donning gloves to carry him away. This man was merely a death warrior, yet the audacity of the Wang family speaks volumes about their influence. Chapter 388, representing the Wang family? Qin Mu took a deep breath, casting a glance at Qi Shuoqin beside him. I apologize for frightening you. Qi Shuoqin smiled. No worries. I chose you. And regardless of what occurs, I will stand by your side. Qin Mu pondered. Would you be interested in martial arts training? Qi Shuiqin looked surprised. You wish to teach me martial arts? I believe it is prudent to learn some self-defense techniques, especially when venturing outside. What do you think? Qi Shuiqin nodded. That sounds reasonable. Qin Mu smiled. Let us go? I shall take you for a bite to eat. Qi Shuiqin smiled in return. Following Qin Mu to the nearby vehicle, passers-by who witnessed them reacted as if they were facing death itself, having just seen a man perish before their eyes. Yet they seemed unfazed. Arriving at the restaurant, Qin Mu ordered an array of dishes. The two toasted and exchanged amusing stories, and time flew by. As they finished their meal and prepared to leave, several figures approached them within the restaurant. The leading man appeared somewhat arrogant, around 30 years of age. Upon seeing him, the waiter rushed over, not daring to show any sign of negligence. Young Master Wang, welcome. A middle-aged man in a suit approached with a fawning expression. The man's eyes held a glimmer of coldness. You knew I was coming, yet you did not come out to greet me? Your service leaves much to be desired. The middle-aged man hastily replied. I was preoccupied with a sudden stomach upset. The man huffed dismissively. Excuses are not in short supply. His gaze swept across the room, landing on Qin Mu and Qi Shuiqin. A hint of a smirk appeared in his eyes. That woman looks delightful. Have her come over to drink with me. The middle-aged man nodded and approached Qin Mu and Qi Shuiqin. Greetings. The second son of the Wang family has just returned from abroad and has taken a liking to your girlfriend. Would you permit her to accompany young Master Wang for a meal? Rest assured, young Master Wang is quite generous. Should you agree, you shall not be at a loss. And our restaurant offers you a lifetime of complimentary meals. Qin Mu's gaze turned icy. Another member of the Wang family, and a son no less. How intriguing. Have him come over. The middle-aged man's expression shifted. Do not speak carelessly. Young Master Wang is from the Wang family. If you offend him, the consequences will be dire. Qin Mu scoffed. How dire could it be? Do you think I fear him? Seeing the cold glint in Qin Mu's eyes, the middle-aged man's expression altered. He could not comprehend the source of the young man's confidence. This was indeed a scion of the Wang family. In Magic City, who does not know what the Wang family represents? Today, the Wang family stands at the pinnacle, far surpassing other clans. The man overheard the exchange, his face darkening as he approached. You've got quite the nerve. His expression was one of arrogance. Qin Mu met his gaze. You come seeking trouble, yet you accuse me of having nerve? The man huffed. Do you know who I am? This is Magic City. It is our Wang family's domain. Qin Mu chuckled coldly. How interesting. I am curious to see if you can truly represent the Wang family. Chapter 389, The Bald Man. The man sneered. As a scion of the Wang family, if I cannot represent them, who can? Qin Mu smiled slightly. How intriguing. I did not expect to encounter someone so audacious. I am eager to see whom you can summon. The man retorted. What are you implying? Are you seeking death? With a sharp crack, a resounding slap echoed through the air as Qin Mu struck him hard, causing the man to stagger back. A look of pain etched across his face. How dare you strike me? The man shouted angrily. Witnesses to this scene were struck with terror, their faces reflecting disbelief. Qin Mu's audacity was beyond measure. He dared to lay hands on such a person. Qin Mu sneered. What of it? Acting brazenly before me. It seems you wish to court disaster. The man's gaze bore into Qin Mu, revealing a flicker of fear on his face. Those who walk barefoot fear not the man in shoes. Though he wielded considerable influence in the magical city, he was not immune to fear. If it came to blows with Qin Mu, his fate would be dire. Slap. Qin Mu struck again, sending the man staggering back. Weren't you quite audacious before me? Why the sudden meekness? Qin Mu questioned coldly. The man's eyes blazed with fury as he glanced at the others nearby. What are you all standing there for? Did you not see him lay hands on me? The onlookers regarded Qin Mu with a certain detachment. Sir, is this behavior not excessive? Qin Mu let out a cold laugh. Excessive? Is what he did not excessive? The manager interjected. This world is inherently unjust. Do you comprehend the implications of your actions? Qin Mu replied defiantly. And what can you possibly do to me? The manager took a deep breath. If you persist in this manner, I assure you, you will be barred from dining in any upscale establishment in the magical city. A faint smile graced Qin Mu's face. How intriguing. In that case, summon your boss. And let us see if he possesses the audacity. The manager nodded slightly, retrieving his phone to make a call. After a brief conversation, he hung up and turned to Qin Mu with an expression of foreboding. Our boss will be here shortly. I hope you do not come to regret this. Qin Mu scoffed. Regret? In this city, there is no one who can make me regret. Beside him, Qi Shuiqin's beautiful eyes mirrored a frigid intensity. The audacity of these individuals was astounding. Clearly, they were the ones seeking trouble, yet they dared to act so arrogantly, as if the magical city was theirs to command. After a brief wait, a bald man approached. Upon seeing him, the manager hurried over. Boss, he just attacked young Master Wang. The bald man's gaze was devoid of warmth. Upon receiving the call, he had felt a thrill at the thought of confronting such an audacious fool who dared to strike young Master Wang. This was his opportunity to shine. However, as he stood before Qin Mu, his demeanor shifted dramatically. Qin Mu, Master Qin. The man realized he was face to face with one of the most sought-after figures in the magical city. Offending him was not merely unwise. It could provoke the ire of the Wang family's senior members as well. After all, Qin Mu commanded substantial influence, bolstered by the Bai family's assets. He was a formidable force in the magical city, akin to a colossal beast. The Wang family might seek to trouble him, but engaging him directly would undoubtedly lead to complications. The bald man's gaze flicked to the manager. What are you still doing? Do I need to teach you? The manager's expression was one of confusion. Why was his boss hesitating? This was a prime opportunity to assert dominance. Wasn't this man courting death? The bald man's face bore an expression of conflict. Master Qin. The two men present were taken aback. The manager trembled, glancing at Qin Mu. Master Qin, how many people in the magical city are unaware of your name? Not only do you control the underground forces, but you also helm the Bai family. Such a figure is not to be trifled with, even by the Wang family. The man's countenance shifted as well. Master Qin. There is only one Master Qin in the magical city. The underlings who once referred to him as Master Qin had all changed their tune overnight. The fact that his boss addressed this man as Master Qin signified that he was indeed Qin Mu. The man's gaze fixed upon Qin Mu. You are Qin Mu? Qin Mu's expression was nonchalant. Who else would I be? You have quite the nerve to presume to intimidate me using young Master Wang's name. Fear flashed across the man's face. He was acutely aware of the implications of confronting Qin Mu. Although the Wang family might have a fighting chance against him, what was he in comparison? Merely one of the younger generation of the Wang family. To many, he was formidable, but before Qin Mu, he was nothing. I did not mean it that way. The man stammered. Qin Mu's expression turned icy. Not that way. Then what do you mean? Do you think me easy to bully? The man shook his head repeatedly. No, not at all. Qin Mu's lips curled into a cold smile. I had no intention of making a fuss. But since you insist on courting death, I am left with no choice. You are aware of my recent conflicts with your Wang family, are you not? The man nodded. I am aware. Qin Mu pressed on. Knowing this, you still dared to provoke me? Surely you seek death. Terror filled the man's eyes. He understood that Qin Mu was an adversary he could not afford to provoke. If it came to blows, his fate would be grim. I can offer you a chance to live. Cut off your right hand. Qin Mu's gaze was as frigid as ice. The man's expression shifted dramatically. Master Qin, I truly regret my actions. There is no need to escalate matters. Qin Mu retorted, do you think it unnecessary? The man trembled, cold sweat soaking his back. I am sorry, I was wrong. He dropped to his knees before Qin Mu. Qin Mu's tone grew even more frigid. It appears you do not grasp the gravity of my words. Fear suffused the man's eyes. He glanced at Qin Mu, fully aware that if he did not comply with his demands, he might very well lose his life here. A hand or a life. He now had his answer. He was a privileged scion, accustomed to a life of luxury. As long as he could survive, he would thrive under the Wang family's protection. Gritting his teeth, he turned his gaze to a nearby waiter. Bring me a knife. Yang Chun casually tossed a dagger to the ground. No need. I have one. You have 3 seconds. If you cannot resolve this, I will assist you. The man trembled at the sight of the dagger lying on the ground, tears welling in his eyes. With shaking hands, he picked it up and stared at his left hand, feeling a profound sense of pain. Gritting his teeth, he brought the dagger down fiercely upon his arm. Ah! He screamed in agony, veins bulging on his neck and forehead, his eyes wide with horror. The dagger was sharp, but the first strike only severed a third of his arm. Blood gushed from the wound, flesh mangled. The bald man's eyelids twitched. The manager's face reflected a mix of panic. Witnessing such a gruesome act in public was indeed a bloody spectacle. The man gasped for breath, yanking the dagger from his wound and delivering another blow. Ah! His scream was even more piercing than before. Sweat drenched his body, and the exposed skin turned a fiery red. The pain was far more intense than before. He reached out and yanked the tablecloth down, clenching it between his teeth. Once more, he withdrew the dagger from his wound and brought it down with ferocity. His expression was one of utmost savagery, as if the tablecloth had stifled his cries, and only muffled sounds escaped his lips. Yet before he could sever his own arm, his eyes glazed over and he collapsed, his body slumping to the side. His complexion ashen. Qin Mu observed this scene with an air of indifference. Had this been earlier, he might have felt a pang of sympathy, but now, witnessing such a spectacle, his heart remained untouched. He turned his gaze towards the manager beside him. You handle this. The manager's face paled, his body trembling. And in that moment, a pool of yellow liquid escaped from his lower body. Overcome with weakness, he fell to the ground, his jaws chattering, rendered speechless. Qin Mu's expression bore traces of disdain as he stepped forward, grasped the man's left hand, and once again brought the dagger down with brutal force. This time, his hand was cleaved clean off. Qin Mu held the severed hand with one hand while gripping the dagger with the other, blood cascading down. He discarded the hand to the side and applied pressure to the shoulder, staunching the flow of blood. The man seemed to awaken from his anguish. Yet when he beheld his mutilated arm, despair washed over him. "Take him to the hospital," Qin Mu commanded coldly. The bald man nodded, retrieving his phone to call for an ambulance. Qin Mu then moved aside, pouring a kettle of boiling water over the severed hand. The heat caused the fingers to curl slightly, the blood washing away under the scalding liquid. After some time, Qin Mu set the kettle aside and took hold of Qi Shuiqin. "Let us depart," he said. Qi Shuiqin nodded, having accompanied Qin Mu for some time. The terrifying sight before her, though alarming, fell within her capacity to endure. Upon exiting the restaurant, Qin Mu glanced at her with concern. "Are you frightened?" Qi Shuiqin shook her head slightly. "Had this been before, I would have certainly been terrified. But not now." A faint smile appeared on Qin Mu's face. "Do you not think I am particularly ruthless?" Qi Shuiqin replied. "I only need to know that you would never do this to me." Qin Mu nodded slightly, a gentle smile gracing his features. Shortly after their departure, the ambulance arrived, and the doctors were taken aback by the scene before them. As they tended to the man's wounds and loaded him into the ambulance, the news swiftly reached the Wang family. Chapter 392. The Wang family in Long City. At this moment, within the Wang family estate, the grounds were ablaze with light, and a dozen luxury cars were parked outside. Dozens of individuals had gathered within the grand hall. This mansion spanned over 5,000 square meters, an opulent rarity in the bustling metropolis of Mo City. Among those assembled in the hall, several wore grim expressions. One tall, middle-aged man, appearing to be in his 50s, clenched his fists. "That bastard Qin Mu has severed Jun's hand and scalded it with boiling water. He will not die a peaceful death." Beside him, another man, also in his 50s and bearing a stern visage, shared the sentiment. Although Wang Jun had a tarnished reputation and had long exploited the Wang name for deceitful gain, he was still a member of the Wang family. If punishment was to be meted out, it should not be at the hands of others. The middle-aged man inhaled deeply. "Qin Mu is so brazen that he must pay the price. However, his influence in Mo City is significant. Confronting him head-on would not be to our advantage." Wang Zhen's father, Wang Tianhai, wore a look of indignation. "What then? Should we simply swallow our anger?" "Tianhai, you are too impatient. Our Wang family has grown to this scale. Do you truly think we would fear Qin Mu? We will take our revenge, but it requires a careful approach." A middle-aged man interjected. Wang Tianhai's expression turned quizzical. "What do you mean?" "You will find out shortly. With my father here, what can a Qin Mu do?" The middle-aged man chuckled. As they spoke, an elderly man with graying temples and a vigorous gait entered the room. Accompanying him was a young man in his 20s. Exuding charisma and good looks, his attire worth millions. The confidence radiating from the young man was palpable. Upon his arrival, the countenance of several individuals in attendance shifted. "He is from Long City." The young man belonged to the Xianyuan family, one of the 8 great powers in Long City. And his presence in Mo City was akin to that of a high-ranking official entering town, capable of wielding immense influence. The purpose of his visit to the Wang family remained uncertain, sparking numerous whispered speculations among the crowd, their gazes imbued with respect. The elder addressed the gathering, his demeanor somewhat detached. "Ladies and gentlemen," the atmosphere fell silent. "I have heard about the matters concerning our Wang family. Qin Mu believes he can reign supreme in Mo City. Thus, he must face the consequences. Coincidentally, young Master Xianyuan has come from Long City and expressed interest in Qin Mu's affairs. I have just spoken with him, and young Master Xianyuan is willing to collaborate with our Wang family. Starting today, our Wang family will exchange 20% of Wang Group shares for 1% of Lingjian Group shares held by young Master Xianyuan. Henceforth, the Wang family and the Xianyuan family will be partners, united as one." The faces of those present shifted with this announcement. The Wang Group's assets were valued in the trillions. 20% represented an astronomical sum. Such an exchange would not be a loss, but rather the forging of an inseparable bond with one of Long City's most powerful families, significantly elevating the Wang family's influence and status. Chapter 393. The invitation from the Xianyuan family. Observing the expressions of those around him, Xianyuan Litian's pride became increasingly evident. The 1% of shares in his company was valued at several hundred billion, yet the Wang family was offering trillions in exchange, essentially a gesture of goodwill. For the Wang family to draw closer, they required the support of a powerful entity from Long City, and in their eyes, he was that power. "From this day forth, our families shall be inseparable." With such sincerity from the Wang family, I, Xianyuan Litian, have nothing further to say. Qin Mu's audacity will surely cost him dearly. Xianyuan Litian's gaze bore a hint of detachment. Following the partnership with the Wang family, he was bound to achieve notable results, and that would involve targeting Qin Mu. Joy flickered in the eyes of the Wang family members, for with Xianyuan Litian's assistance, they were certain that Qin Mu would meet his demise at their hands. That night, the Wang family was aglow with lights, smiles gracing every face. Even Wang Zhen's parents felt a measure of relief, for the elevation of the Wang family marked a tremendous boon. In the future, the royal family will inevitably be led by the most eminent among the four great clans. Unbeknownst to Qin Mu, he and Qi Shuoqin had just concluded a passionate encounter, both feeling remarkably satisfied. Qi Shuoqin lay nestled in Qin Mu's embrace, her face adorned with a hint of bashfulness. Qin Mu's gaze was fixed upon the ceiling, his heart burdened with an unseen pressure. He sensed that he had unwittingly been drawn into a vortex, the outcome of which was uncertain. As dawn broke the following morning, Qin Mu had scarcely risen when a call from Lu Ruoxue interrupted his quietude. His brow furrowed slightly as he held the phone. "Qin Mu, there has been an incident," she exclaimed. "What happened?" he inquired. "Did you confront anyone from the Wang family yesterday?" Lu Ruoxue asked through the receiver. "Yes, I did," Qin Mu replied. "That's just it. Last night, many members of the Wang family gathered, and most importantly, they have allied with the Xianyuan clan from Longcheng." Lu Ruoxue continued. Qin Mu's brow knitted in concern. Longcheng, the capital of Shenzhou, was a place teeming with a melange of individuals. It would not be an exaggeration to say that even some of the prominent families within the Magic City paled in comparison to those in Longcheng. It was indeed the cradle of power, where formidable entities lurked. Qin Mu had a rough understanding of the Xianyuan clan, one of the 8 great families. He exhaled softly. "I never imagined the Wang family possessed such resources. What should we do?" Lu Ruoxue queried. "Did you not consult your father?" he asked. "My father has no jurisdiction over such matters," she explained. Qin Mu nodded slightly. "Then let us observe their intentions." Lu Ruoxue added, "I've received some information. The Xianyuan clan is hosting a gathering tomorrow night in the Magic City, and many prominent figures will be in attendance. We are among the invited guests." A smile graced Qin Mu's face. "A banquet of intrigue, is it?" Lu Ruoxue affirmed. "Indeed. I wish to ascertain the extent of the Xianyuan clan's influence." Chapter 394, The Struggle for Succession. Qin Mu spoke with an indifferent tone. Lu Ruoxue nodded slightly. "Although your strength is commendable, I still hope you prepare adequately. The Xianyuan clan is not to be trifled with." "Understood. Rest assured, I shall be prepared," Qin Mu replied. Lu Ruoxue affirmed, "Yes." After ending the call, a tranquil smile lingered on Qin Mu's lips. He had not anticipated that this affair would draw the attention of Longcheng. After breakfast, Qin Mu descended the stairs. Accustomed to maintaining his physical fitness, while exercising, he noticed a figure clad in gray athletic wear approaching him with a steady gait, indicative of regular training. As the man drew nearer, Qin Mu's brow furrowed slightly. An inexplicable sense of unease washed over him. Suddenly, as the man passed by, he glanced up sharply, a glimmer of malice flashing in his eyes. Reacting swiftly, Qin Mu evaded, just as the man lunged towards him. With a resounding thud, Qin Mu delivered a powerful elbow strike. The man deftly dodged, brandishing a glistening dagger with alarming speed. The blade darted toward Qin Mu's vital points with lethal swiftness. Sensing the man's formidable skill, Qin Mu swiftly maneuvered, preparing to counterattack when a voice rang out from nearby. "Enough, Xin." Qin Mu turned his gaze to see a tall young man, approximately 6 feet tall, with distinctly European features, accompanied by several others, approaching. "Mr. Qin, greetings," the young man said, a hint of a smile on his face. Qin Mu regarded him with a furrowed brow. "Who are you?" The young man replied. "I am from the Xianyuan clan." Qin Mu's expression shifted abruptly. Members of the Xianyuan clan? He had just received a call from Lu Ruoxue that morning, and now he encountered one. "Do not be alarmed. Although I am from the Xianyuan clan, I bear no ill will towards you," the young man assured, his smile widening. "My brother has recently allied with the Wang family. Bolstered by their support, his status is bound to rise. Soon, the Xianyuan clan will be selecting its successor, and I wish to avoid being overshadowed by him. Thus, I seek your cooperation." Qin Mu scrutinized the young man, who appeared sincere. Taking a deep breath, he responded with a smile, "Your clan is quite intriguing. Just after your brother's alliance with the Wang family, you come seeking me? Aren't you concerned about your brother discovering this?" The young man's smile broadened. "Discover? In a great family, where is the notion of kinship? As long as the benefits are substantial, I would not hesitate to eliminate him. Each time such circumstances arise, many lives are lost. Even the seemingly untouchable Wang family can become mere instruments of capital, potentially leading to their downfall." Qin Mu discerned the implications of his words. He regarded the young man with a slight nod. "Intriguing. What sort of collaboration do you propose?" The young man's smile deepened. "It's quite simple. I require all the assets you possess. If you are willing to relinquish them to me, I can promise you unparalleled power. Once I become the heir of the Xianyuan clan, you shall have your place in Longcheng. Chapter 395, The People of Longqing. A subtle smile played upon Qin Mu's lips as he looked at the young man. Your jest lacks humor. The young man's expression shifted, a playful gleam in his eyes. It seems you do not grasp my intent. Although my brother's alliance with the Wang family may pose challenges, it does not imply that I am devoid of alternatives. The Wang family, leveraging the Xianyuan clan's power, could easily target you. You seem oblivious to your precarious situation. Qin Mu maintained a calm demeanor. You possess such confidence that the Wang family can annihilate me? The young man nodded assuredly. Absolutely. You underestimate the Xianyuan clan's might. While you may wield godly combat prowess, they possess means to inflict harm upon you. If you wish to prevent the fruits of your labor from dissipating into nothingness, the sole recourse is to ally with me. Only I can safeguard your esteemed status. Qin Mu observed the young man, who radiated unwavering confidence, a testament to his family's strength. They had undoubtedly conducted their research on him, yet the young man remained undeterred. This was indeed surprising. Intriguing. I did not anticipate such confidence from you. In that case, I shall speak plainly. To be frank, I am also curious to see what means the Xianyuan clan possesses. Qin Mu declared earnestly. The young man's gaze fixed upon him. You are inviting trouble upon yourself. Qin Mu shrugged nonchalantly, indifferent to the opinions of others, asserting that there was nothing worthy of discussion regarding the matter. The young man, with a hint of helplessness etched on his face, lamented, what a pity. If it must be so, then so be it. However, I firmly believe you will soon seek me out. He handed Qin Mu his business card, adding, you may doubt my words, but reality will illuminate the truth. With that, the young man turned and walked away. Qin Mu's gaze followed his retreating figure, his eyes narrowing slightly. He was well aware of the young man's motives, yet remained unconcerned. He was eager to observe just how far the Xianyuan family could go. In truth, he was not one to be trifled with. After completing his morning jog, Qin Mu made his way to his company. The enterprise had flourished remarkably, bolstered by the support of the Bai family, allowing his assets to bask in the zenith of success. Having addressed several matters within the company, he scrutinized the reports before him. He was confident that, in due time, his company would ascend to one of the premier establishments in the Magic City. Surpassing the Wang family was merely a matter of time. Just as these thoughts crossed his mind, his phone rang, and upon checking, he saw it was the head of the Bai family calling. Having completely aligned himself with Qin Mu, the elder now held him in high regard. However, their conversation took a turn when the Bai family head's voice grew tinged with panic. Qin Mu furrowed his brow slightly. Are you saying that all of your underground businesses were seized overnight? How could such a feat be accomplished? The elder replied. I inquired and found out it was the work of those from Longqing. It must be the Xianyuan family's doing. Chapter 396. An eye for an eye thoughts swirled in Qin Mu's mind. He recognized the Xianyuan family possessed considerable power. Yet he was taken aback by the sheer efficiency of their methods. Taking a deep breath, he asked in an indifferent tone, where are you currently located? The elder responded. I am at the Bai family residence. Good, come to Ding Sheng Cafe. We need to discuss this face-to-face, Qin Mu instructed. Understood, the elder replied before hanging up. After a brief wait at the cafe, the elder arrived, dressed in plain attire, which would lead any uninformed observer to mistake him for an ordinary old man. Who could imagine that such a figure was in possession of assets worth trillions? Qin Mu took a sip of his coffee, and the attendant promptly served the elder a cup upon his arrival. What is the situation? The elder remained unmoved by the coffee on the table, his expression revealing a hint of resignation. I have just received news that all data pertaining to the Bai family's underground businesses was submitted yesterday, and specialized personnel conducted a thorough sweep. In the span of a single night, our operations have suffered at least an 80% blow. Qin Mu sipped his coffee, and despite having anticipated such news, the current reality still left him somewhat astonished. The Xianyuan family's capability to execute such a strike overnight indicated their extraordinary prowess. The elder across from him took a deep breath. As the head of the Bai family, he regarded it as his own child. Initially believing that aligning with Qin Mu would facilitate a prosperous future for the Bai family, he had not foreseen the unfolding of such a crisis. Rest assured, since you have entrusted the Bai family to me, I shall ensure its robust support. If the Xianyuan family desires to provoke, I will make them pay the price. Qin Mu's gaze was unwavering, evoking a subtle change in the elder's demeanor. He nodded slightly. Indeed, I believe in you. Qin Mu inquired. How many operations remain in the underground sector? The elder replied. The remaining assets do not exceed 3 billion. Qin Mu nodded slightly, understanding that the Bai family's substantial wealth stemmed from these underground enterprises. With their operations now under siege, sustaining their current assets would prove challenging. If we can no longer engage in the underground market, then let us not pursue it further. Some enterprises are unnecessary to maintain. Since the Xianyuan family has chosen to wield such power against us, we shall respond in kind. Qin Mu took another sip of his coffee. his expression one of cold indifference. The elder appeared perplexed. No prominent family is entirely unblemished. Does the Wang family not possess similar enterprises? Qin Mu asked with a smile. The elder's expression shifted, acknowledging the validity of Qin Mu's words. However, he understood that this world had never been fair. While one might be oppressed, retaliating with the same tactics did not guarantee favorable outcomes. Investigate any irregularities in the Wang family's operations. I shall personally report them when the time comes. Qin Mu stated earnestly. The elder nodded slightly, recognizing that while Qin Mu's approach might be extreme, he felt compelled to follow his lead. Rising from his seat, Qin Mu strode towards the exit, his gaze sharp and resolute. He had never been the type to be easily subdued. While the Xianyuan family in Longcheng indeed held substantial power, he, Qin Mu, was not to be trifled with. Chapter 397. Asset Seizure. Upon exiting the cafe, Qin Mu proceeded towards his company. As he entered, Huang Wei approached him, urgency evident in his demeanor. Boss, we have a situation. Qin Mu's brow furrowed slightly. What is it? Huang Wei responded. Just now, I received several calls from merchants. They intend to terminate their contracts. Qin Mu's eyes narrowed. Terminate? Why on earth would they do that? Huang Wei replied. It seems someone from the Wang family has been in contact with them. They plan to establish an entirely new financial district, and I suspect it's a direct affront to us. A cold smirk played on Qin Mu's lips. How audacious. Even if the Wang family possesses wealth, it would be quite challenging to amass such resources swiftly. Furthermore, the establishment of a financial district requires substantial backing. Even if they succeed, it would be difficult to rival the scale of my financial district. Huang Wei added. That may have been true in the past. But according to my investigations, the Wang family has secured agency rights with several top financial firms. Their presence will undoubtedly facilitate the development of the financial district. And we could lose many of our clients. Qin Mu nodded thoughtfully. Interesting. I hadn't anticipated their resourcefulness. If their financial district is successfully constructed, what losses should we expect? Huang Wei estimated. Conservatively, the losses could exceed 1 billion. Qin Mu understood that the true value of a financial district lay in its financial attributes. Aside from a few institutions bound by long-term contracts, many would likely depart. The ramifications for their financial district would be considerable. Consequently, the financial essence of that district would dissipate, drastically diminishing its worth. Such predicaments were not isolated to the financial district alone. Other sectors would face similar fates. Much like deteriorating commercial districts, once the core commercial value vanished, properties and storefronts would plummet in worth. Go ask how many individuals are willing to sign long-term contracts. For those who are ready to commit now, we can offer them benefits. As for those who are reluctant to sign, if they truly wish to leave, let them depart. Qin Mu spoke with an air of indifference. Huang Wei nodded and proceeded to step outside. Qin Mu returned to his office, but before he could settle down, someone brought over a report. Boss, we've just received notification that the hotel under our name has been sealed. A middle-aged man stated. Sealed? What is the situation? Qin Mu inquired, a look of perplexity crossing his face. It is said that a large quantity of contraband was discovered in our hotel yesterday. The man explained. Qin Mu nodded slightly. All right, I understand. The man acknowledged him with a nod and departed. Qin Mu stretched his back, his expression remaining calm. Anyone standing beside Qin Mu would undoubtedly perceive that his composure was remarkable. Despite the numerous issues at hand, he seemed unfazed. Yet, they were unaware that these assets were bestowed upon him by the system. For Qin Mu, there were no emotional ties. However, with the Xianyuan family reaching such a point, he could not simply stand by idly. Wang family, Xianyuan family, it appears you are truly courting disaster. Qin Mu's eyes glinted with a cold detachment. Given the current circumstances, it was only reasonable that they should bear some consequences. Chapter 398. Rooting out the problem. Taking a deep breath, Qin Mu adjusted his mindset. That evening, an elderly man called him. Mr. Qin, I have organized the materials you requested. Qin Mu was somewhat taken aback. So soon? The elder explained. We have never been on good terms. It is quite normal for each to possess evidence against the other. Had this been before, they would never have dared to act so brazenly, as the Bai family also holds significant assets. If a confrontation were to arise, they would undoubtedly incur substantial costs. But now, with the support of the Xianyuan family, our Bai family lacks the capability to retaliate. All right, I understand. Please provide me with the information. Qin Mu replied. The elder affirmed, understood. After concluding the call, Qin Mu made his way to the elder's location. Upon arriving at the villa, he was met with a vast array of documents. Qin Mu casually skimmed through a few, which meticulously detailed the actions of the Wang family over the years. Taking a deep breath, he suddenly comprehended why the Xianyuan family could inflict such significant damage upon the Bai family overnight. Both families had secretly amassed a considerable amount of incriminating evidence against each other, resulting in mutual restraint. However, With the Wang family now emboldened by the Qian Yuan family's backing, they had become utterly reckless. Nevertheless, Qin Mu was not one to endure grievances silently. Grabbing several documents, he proceeded outside. After leaving the Bai family estate, he instructed his driver to head to Wang Rui's residence. Qin Mu held a favorable impression of this mayor of Magic City, recognizing him as a man of integrity who was adept in the ways of the world. Upon arriving at the residence, a few armed police officers regarded him with vigilance. Qin Mu addressed them. "I am Qin Mu, seeking an audience with the mayor." The lead officer scrutinized Qin Mu, aware that his identity was likely significant. After communicating via radio, the officer said, "Let him in." Qin Mu entered the courtyard with the documents in hand. Upon reaching a study, he found Wang Rui engrossed in work. Qin Mu knocked on the door. "Come in," came the voice of the middle-aged man. Qin Mu stepped into the study. "Mayor." Wang Rui lifted his gaze from the desk, a hint of a smile gracing his face. "I have a general understanding of the situation. The conflict between your families has caused considerable suffering for ordinary people." Qin Mu's expression reflected a degree of helplessness. "I too wish to avoid this," Wang Rui replied. "The four major families have maintained a stable status for many years. Although they have engaged in many unscrupulous deeds, their existence has contributed to the stability of Magic City. We have not interfered excessively. However, this time, your actions have crossed a line." Qin Mu nodded. "Have you come to expose the Wang family?" Wang Rui inquired. Qin Mu affirmed, "Indeed. I can assist you in addressing these matters. But what do you plan to do next?" Wang Rui asked. Qin Mu's face bore a contemplative expression. He recognized that even if Wang Rui was willing to assist, the ensuing situation would still be fraught with complications. His own power was, after all, insufficient. Moreover, the core industries of the Wang family were located abroad. Even if their enterprises in Magic City were dismantled, they could still operate freely elsewhere. Looking at Wang Rui, Qin Mu clasped his hands together. "I hope for your guidance." "Mayor." Wang Rui exhaled lightly, speaking with a calm demeanor. "We must eradicate the root of the problem." Qin Mu's expression shifted slightly, and he quickly grasped Wang Rui's implication. Chapter 399, Wang Rui's Influence. Exiting Wang Rui's office, Qin Mu made his way outside. His conversation with Wang Rui had taken him by surprise. The fact that Wang Rui would express such sentiments indicated his long-standing dissatisfaction with the four major families. However, how to eradicate the root of the problem remained a challenge. After Qin Mu departed, Wang Rui retrieved a cigarette and slowly lit it, deep in thought. The four major families had held sway over Magic City for an extended period, essentially operating unchecked. Over the years, they had contributed significantly to the city, yet they had also posed considerable risks. If these families continued to exist, the development of Magic City would inevitably be hindered. Wang Rui had long desired to consolidate the four families, but their power was too great. Striking against one would undoubtedly trigger a chain reaction. Wang Rui was unwilling to take that gamble. The recent conflict between the Bai and Wang families, however, had presented him with an opportunity. The more fiercely Qin Mu contested the Wang family, the greater the likelihood that he could reorganize the four families. After all these years, it was indeed time for a change in the skies of Magic City. Wang Rui murmured. Days passed swiftly. The materials Qin Mu had submitted to Wang Rui were methodically addressed, leading to the sealing of several Wang family enterprises in just a few short days. A prominent captain known for his considerable reputation in Magic City spearheaded these actions. While some officials expressed grievances, they dared not voice their complaints openly, as the captain's presence was undeniably authoritative. Meanwhile, within the Wang family, the head of the family wore an exceptionally grim expression. The Wang family had always operated with impunity. When had they ever been subjected to such humiliation? "Have we identified who is causing such trouble for us?" Wang Zhentian demanded, his fists clenched tightly. A middle-aged man beside him nodded slightly. "We have confirmed that the individual troubling the Wang family is backed by Wang Rui." Wang Zhentian's eyes glinted with cold fury. "Wang Rui, he has actually intervened." Xian Yuan Li Tian regarded Wang Zhentian with a look of confusion. "Could it be the one from Magic City?" Wang Zhentian affirmed, "Indeed, it is him." Xian Yuan Li Tian's expression was far from pleasant. He had not anticipated that Qin Mu possessed such connections. "It truly caught me off guard. He has this layer of relationships," Wang Zhentian remarked. "However, it matters not. Our family's enterprises are not situated in the demon capital. Even if these illicit activities are suppressed, our foundation shall remain unscathed." Xian Yuan Li Tian's gaze was indifferent as he replied, "Do not speak so lightly. With Qin Mu's backing, this matter is far from straightforward. Are you aware of the individuals supporting Wang Rui?" A flicker of confusion crossed Wang Zhentian's face. "Though he holds a high position in the demon capital, I have not heard of any significant figures backing him. If he lacked powerful allies, could he maintain such a position? To be frank, his authority is considerable, and behind him lies the Long family, one of the 8 prominent families in Long City. You should understand the Long family standing in Long City. Qian Yuan Li Tian stated coldly. Wang Zhen Tian's countenance shifted dramatically. If the Qian Yuan family wields overwhelming power in Long City, the Long family serves as its backbone. Even the Qian Yuan family, being one of the 8 prominent families, would not dare to oppose the Long family lightly. Chapter 400. The Banquet of Qian Yuan Li Tian. Wang Zhen Tian's eyes reflected disbelief. I never imagined that Qin Mu had such formidable assistants. What should we do? Qian Yuan Li Tian's expression remained calm. Wang Rui has merely exerted pressure on your Wang family. He has not interfered with your core enterprises. This indicates that Wang Rui is simply watching from afar, not overly involved in our affairs, which is beneficial for us. Wang Zhentian nodded slightly. Given Wang Rui's considerable power, coupled with the support of the Long family, if he truly intended to harm the Wang family, it would not simply end here. Qian Yuan Li Tian's eyes were filled with contemplation. He understood that Wang Rui's assistance to Qin Mu was certainly not coincidental. As the leader of the demon capital, he possessed a profound understanding of its dynamics. During this period, Qian Yuan Li Tian had meticulously reviewed the information on the 4 prominent families. He recognized that the current 4 families had monopolized many industries. Previously, as the demon capital required rapid development, Wang Rui would undoubtedly turn a blind eye. After all, a city's progress necessitates the impetus of individuals. However, the development of the demon capital had now entered a more stable phase. Maintaining the monopoly of the 4 families was no longer conducive to the long-term growth of the city. If this situation persisted, the wealthy would only grow richer while the poor would become poorer, contradicting the current goal of promoting common prosperity. In a couple of days, it would be the day we had agreed upon for the gathering with Qin Mu. We shall meet with him. I am eager to see what abilities this remarkable figure possesses. A hint of cold amusement graced Qian Yuan Li Tian's lips. Wang Zhentian nodded slightly, aware that their meeting with Qin Mu would undoubtedly compel him to pay a price. Meanwhile, in a certain factory, Qin Mu stood before a multitude of individuals. Gentlemen, I summoned you here for an important matter. The gazes of those present were fixed upon Qin Mu, their eyes brimming with loyalty. They were all nurtured by Qin Mu himself. Even if he commanded them to sacrifice their lives, they would comply. I have a gathering approaching, which may entail some dangers. I need you to prepare in advance. With that, Qin Mu placed a document before them. The leading man nodded in understanding. Understood. Yang Chen added, go forth. The man led his entourage out swiftly. Qin Mu stretched his back, a look of helplessness crossing his face. If it were possible, he would truly prefer not to proceed in this manner, but he had no choice. Failure to act would endanger his life. Time swiftly passed, and 2 days went by. Qin Mu had dedicated considerable effort to prepare for this day. He donned his attire and stepped outside. In his garage stood over a dozen top-tier luxury cars. He selected the most opulent one. Once seated, he deftly maneuvered the accelerator and sped away. After approximately 10 minutes, Qin Mu arrived at the entrance of a grand hotel, which was closed for business that day. Upon his arrival, numerous eyes turned toward him with curiosity. Unfazed, Qin Mu exited the vehicle and made his way into the hotel. Simultaneously, Qian Yuan Li Tian received the news. He came alone? Indeed. Qian Yuan Li Tian's eyes narrowed slightly in surprise. He did not expect Qin Mu to dare come alone. Chapter 401. Overconfident. Qian Yuan Li Tian rose to his feet. Since he has arrived, let us meet him. The others followed suit, descending the stairs alongside Qian Yuan Li Tian. By this time, Qin Mu had already reached the lower level when Qian Yuan Li Tian approached him. Upon seeing him, Qin Mu's eyes narrowed slightly. Qian Yuan Li Tian was indeed handsome, exuding an aura of nobility that was rare among ordinary individuals. It would not be an exaggeration to say that a person like Qian Yuan Li Tian would be instantly recognizable in a crowd. Long have I admired your reputation. A faint smile graced Qian Yuan Li Tian's face. I have heard your name as well. Oh, by the way, your brother visited me not long ago. A smile appeared on Qin Mu's face. As his words fell, Qian Yuan Li Tian's expression visibly shifted. Brother, if I am not mistaken, it must be him. Qian Yuan Li Tian's demeanor soured. The conflicts among major families were exceedingly fierce. The audacity of the opposing side to so brazenly approach his adversarial faction indeed indicated a lack of regard for him. Yet, he felt powerless. Even if he confronted them now, it would only result in humiliation. No wonder you possess such audacity. Knowing I support the Wang family, you still dare to engage in conflict with them. A trace of coldness lingered at the corners of Qian Yuan Li Tian's mouth. Qin Mu scoffed. Do you think my courage stems from your assistance? To be frank, I have never regarded you as a formidable opponent. A glimmer of murderous intent flickered in Qian Yuan Li Tian's eyes. As a member of a prominent family, he was accustomed to being the one who caused trouble. When had it become his turn to be challenged? Quite intriguing, I did not expect you to utter such words. Qin Mu's face was rife with disdain. If the head of your Qin Yuan family were present, I might feel some trepidation, but as for you, there is truly nothing to fear. I acknowledge that you possess certain capabilities, yet your current standing within your family is less than favorable. Otherwise, why would you align with the Wang family? The coldness in Xian Yuan Li Tian's eyes intensified. Qin Mu's words struck deep. He spoke the truth. Xian Yuan Li Tian's lack of progress in Long City compelled him to adopt such a strategy, collaborating with the Wang family to cultivate his own influence in the demon capital. When his strength was sufficient, he would return to Long City. Comparatively, the depths of Long City far surpassed those of the demon capital. His brothers were not to be trifled with, and Xian Yuan Li Tian felt stifled under their dominance in Long City. Xian Yuan Li Tian's visage bore a hint of coldness. How intriguing. It appears I have underestimated you. However, do not think that with my brother's assistance you can stand against me. In the magical city, my influence is far more formidable than you can imagine. Qin Mu's smile grew increasingly pronounced. If you truly possess such capability, there would be no need for you to summon me. Moreover, I have not allied with my brother. In my view, he is hardly worthy of my collaboration. A smirk appeared on Xian Yuan Li Tian's face. Previously, he had considered Qin Mu somewhat formidable, but now it seemed Qin Mu was becoming rather overconfident, oblivious to the vastness of the world. I am genuinely taken aback. You are remarkably laughable. It seems I have overestimated you. Disdain was evident on Xian Yuan Li Tian's countenance, and at that moment, members of the Wang family approached, their gazes directed at Qin Mu filled with deep-seated animosity. Chapter 402, Karma. Upon seeing these individuals, a nonchalant expression settled on Qin Mu's face. The elderly man at the forefront exhibited an unmistakable chill in his eyes. Qin Mu's presence had indeed caused considerable trouble for the Wang family. With a cold smirk, the elder addressed him. You must be Qin Mu. This is our first encounter, and I trust you are aware of my identity. Qin Mu maintained his indifferent demeanor. Of course I am aware. You have been the source of considerable trouble for me lately, and I am at a loss as to how to express my gratitude. Likewise, you have not been without your share of creating trouble for me. The elder replied with a faint smile. I have never been one to seek trouble with others. Typically, it is others who bring their troubles to me, which compels me to retaliate. By the way, you appear somewhat unwell. You ought to be cautious. Otherwise, who can say how much longer you might live? A subtle smile graced Qin Mu's lips. The elder's gaze darkened, clearly indicating that Qin Mu's words were perceived as a curse. Yet, a smirk soon broke through the elder's facade. You need not concern yourself with that. Although I've heard you are a transcendent expert, there are still many such beings in this world. If one's strength is insufficient, even a transcendent expert can easily encounter problems. Qin Mu's smile grew even more pronounced. You speak truthfully. If one's strength is lacking, however, I seem to be quite formidable. The elder's smile became increasingly evident. I had heard that today's youth possess an audacious demeanor, but I never anticipated it would reach such heights. Qin Mu shrugged, his expression remaining indifferent, clearly not regarding the elder with much seriousness. The gathering is about to commence. I wonder if Mr. Qin would be interested in accompanying me to retrieve something? A glimmer of amusement flickered across the elder's face as he inquired. Qin Mu's brow furrowed slightly in confusion. What is it? Follow me, and you shall discover. The elder taunted. Mr. Qin, do you possess such courage that you would dare to refuse? Qin Mu's smile became increasingly pronounced. I would not refuse, but I do not take kindly to being commanded. Yet, since you have stated it thus, I shall accompany you to see what it is that warrants my personal attention. The elder nodded slightly and turned to walk away, with Qin Mu trailing closely behind. The expressions of the others' cast glances at Qin Mu were laden with hostility. In the present moment, Qin Mu was not only an enemy of the Wang family, but also of the Xin Yuan clan. And such a figure was one they longed to see eliminated without delay. Following the elder, Qin Mu soon arrived at a nearby chamber where the elder revealed its contents. Qin Mu's countenance shifted dramatically. Inside the room were numerous children, their faces youthful yet marred by injuries. Qin Mu's gaze turned sharply towards the elder. What do you mean by this? The elder's lips curled into a slight smile. As a transcendent expert, you should grasp certain truths. Those who attain your level of cultivation are bound by karma. If they were to perish before you, do you not think your own karmic burden would be affected? A faint smile played at the corners of Qin Mu's mouth. Though he did not fully comprehend the elder's intent, he realized that such words could not be uttered without reason. Clearly, there were matters of which he was unaware. Chapter 403, The Appearance of Wang Rui. Gazing at the elder, Qin Mu queried, Are you attempting to coerce me into submission with this? The elder's smile retained its subtlety. It seems you still do not comprehend the extent of the influence these matters have upon you. Indeed, Qin Mu was baffled by the elder's insinuations, yet he was acutely aware that he was not an ordinary individual. he had a system backing him. And these matters alone were unlikely to inflict significant harm upon him. Attack! The elder commanded sharply. Suddenly, several individuals hurled the children toward Qin Mu. Simultaneously, they clutched grenades in their hands, ready to detonate, ensuring certain death. In an instant, Qin Mu moved with astonishing speed, seizing the grenades from their grasp and casting them aside. To their astonishment, the grenades did not explode, but the children collapsed one by one. Their faces turned ashen, clearly afflicted by poison, and as Qin Mu's gaze fell upon their palms, his expression altered dramatically. Every child bore a dark mark in the center of their palms, the toxin having infiltrated their bodies through that very point. How vile! Qin Mu's eyes glinted with cold ferocity. The actions of the individuals before him were profoundly cruel. A broad smile adorned the elder's face. Just now, you saved them, yet allowed the poison to enter their bodies. The grenades would not have claimed their lives. It was your own actions that led to their demise. Thus, this karma shall undoubtedly fall upon you. How do you feel? Are you not experiencing a sense of heat within your body, your breath obstructed? Qin Mu took measured steps towards him. I regret to inform you that I do not seem to be experiencing such sensations. He grasped the elder's neck, his gaze icy. You have quite the audacity. You dare to engage in such deeds. The elder's countenance twisted in agony, his body thrashing in resistance. How can you possibly be unscathed? Qin Mu smirked coldly. Why would you presume I am affected? Have you ever considered that some individuals in this world are entirely immune to the effects of karma? In truth, Qin Mu had begun to notice something amiss. It was unlikely that the adversary would make such a grievous error. The absence of any repercussions for him was likely linked to his system. At that moment, within Qin Mu's system space, a resplendent flower radiating hues of 7 colors began to glow. Observing this, Qin Mu's expression shifted. In an instant, he comprehended why he remained unharmed. It was entirely due to this flower absorbing the karmic energy. Taking a deep breath, Qin Mu acknowledged that this world held many unknowns for him. His eyes now glimmered with icy determination. Had it not been for the previous system rewards, he would have undoubtedly faced consequences. The architect of all this chaos was none other than the elder before him. He tightened his grip, causing the elder's expression to contort further in pain. Just as a shout rang out, "Stop!" Qin Mu turned his gaze to the distance, spotting Wang Rui standing nearby. His face registered a shift in expression, prompting Qin Mu to release the elder. The elder gasped for breath, his eyes reflecting fear as they met Qin Mu's. He had never before encountered such a godly master, one capable of withstanding karma. Moreover, Qin Mu's murderous intent was palpable. He suspected that had Wang Rui not appeared, he would surely have met his demise today. What brings you here? A hint of confusion flickered across Qin Mu's face. Chapter 404, 32. Upon seeing Wang Rui, Qin Mu's eyes reflected a degree of puzzlement. Wang Rui took a deep breath, his gaze fixed upon Qin Mu, seemingly filled with resignation. Come with me. Qin Mu nodded slightly. Wang Rui had previously aided him, and being someone worth befriending, Qin Mu was inclined to show him some respect. The elder's eyes, fixed on Qin Mu's retreating figure, glimmered with a trace of resentment. Xian Yuan Li Tian approached, his demeanor icy and indifferent. That bastard. The elder's eyes were also filled with bitterness. Why is Wang Rui here? I summoned him. Given his temperament, had he not come, a massacre would have surely ensued today. Xian Yuan Li Tian replied. He's too enigmatic. He shows no fear of karma. The elder remarked. It is impossible for anyone in this world to be unafraid of karma. The only explanation is that he possesses something extraordinary. Xian Yuan Li Tian elucidated. The elder's expression shifted markedly. What do you mean by that? I have long suspected he carries some significant treasure. Though the situation remains uncertain, Xian Yuan Li Tian whispered. The elder squinted slightly, curiosity piqued regarding what exactly Qin Mu possessed. Meanwhile, Qin Mu and Wang Rui entered a room. I apologize for hindering your actions, Wang Rui said. His gaze on Qin Mu. Qin Mu's expression was calm. I am merely curious as to why you are here. Wang Rui exhaled softly. This is the predicament we find ourselves in. Qin Mu furrowed his brow slightly. There are matters beyond my control. I would have preferred you to eliminate him, but alas. Wang Rui's fists clenched slightly. Despite his substantial background, many matters were not within his purview. Qin Mu regarded him, aware that Wang Rui, too, bore his own burdens. Rest assured, I need not kill him here, but rest assured, I shall take his life afterward. Qin Mu stated earnestly. Do you realize whom Xian Yuan Li Tian has invited alongside you? Wang Rui inquired. Qin Mu's expression turned inquisitive. Who? Wang Rui explained. A formidable existence, possessing extraordinary strength. Ranked 32nd on the divine list. Qin Mu's countenance changed noticeably. Each individual on the divine list was formidable. To be ranked 32nd indicated that across the entirety of the divine continent, There were no more than 31 individuals who could surpass him. Qin Mu's eyes flickered with a sudden intensity. He held absolute confidence in his own strength. I understand you are powerful, yet you must exercise caution against such an opponent, Wang Rui advised. Indeed. Qin Mu nodded slightly. At that moment, a figure approached, exuding a fierce aura. Qin Mu's eyes narrowed as he noticed that not far away, a figure was walking mid-air, locking his gaze onto Qin Mu with evident murderous intent. Wang Rui's expression shifted dramatically. Speak of the devil. Retreat. Qin Mu instructed Wang Rui. However, at that moment, Wang Rui stood frozen, drawing a fruit knife and lunging at Qin Mu. Qin Mu's expression changed significantly. Chapter 405, Encountering a Ghost. Qin Mu swiftly evaded. Yet Wang Rui's movements were rapid, launching successive attacks toward Qin Mu. Qin Mu continued to retreat. The figure stationed outside the window wearing a mocking smirk, as if watching a play unfold. Anger surged within Qin Mu. This individual not only manipulated others, but also regarded them as mere instruments of entertainment. You are courting death, Qin Mu declared coldly. Ha! The figure laughed boisterously. You are correct. I am indeed seeking death, but can you kill me? Qin Mu waved a hand, sealing Wang Rui's acupoints with a surge of energy, causing Wang Rui to collapse to the ground. Gazing at the figure, Qin Mu sneered. Why is that impossible? The man's face twisted into a sinister grin. Interesting. You are the first to speak to me in such a manner. Qin Mu's smirk deepened. That should be expected. You have encountered too few people. The man shook his head slightly, a look of disdain crossing his features. I hope you do not disappoint me. Qin Mu replied. That line belongs to me. The man's eyes narrowed as he charged at Yang Chun. Witnessing this, Qin Mu's expression turned cold. He could tell that the man's strength was indeed formidable. Just as they engaged in combat, Xian Yuan Li Tian and the others wore faint smiles. He knew that the individual he had summoned was now taking action. He had a premonition that Qin Mu would surely fall at his hands. Bang! The two clashed almost instantaneously, Qin Mu's fist landing heavily upon the man. The latter staggered back, disbelief etched across his face. He could hardly fathom that he had sustained such a significant setback on his initial attack. I refuse to believe it. The man charged at Yang Chen once more. Yang Chen regarded him with disdain. Bang! Their fists and feet collided, resounding with a dull thud, fissures appearing in the ground. The man's figure continued to retreat, his expression of disbelief intensifying. Yang Chen swiftly maneuvered before him, unleashing a ferocious punch. Bang! The man staggered back, blood spewing forth from his mouth, fear dawning in his eyes as he gazed at Yang Chen. What kind of existence was this man, to possess such strength? How is this possible? How can you be so powerful? Qin Mu scoffed. Why? Go ask your mother. Qin Mu's fist descended brutally upon the man's head. Bang! The man's skull was instantly crushed by Qin Mu's blow. A renowned powerhouse on the divine list had been slain by Qin Mu without hesitation. Qin Mu himself was unaware of the extent of his own strength. He simply knew that in a true confrontation, few could match him. Turning to Wang Rui, who was still recovering, Qin Mu employed a silver needle to awaken him. A look of confusion crossed Wang Rui's face. What has happened to me? Qin Mu smiled slightly. You were just under control. Controlled? Wang Rui exclaimed, astonishment evident in his features as his gaze fell upon the figure sprawled on the ground. Did you kill this guy? Qin Mu nodded slightly. Is he the godly master? Wang Rui inquired again. Qin Mu affirmed with a nod. For a moment, Wang Rui appeared as though he had encountered a ghost. Chapter 406, Paying the Price. You can't be joking with me. Wang Rui found it hard to believe. A hint of helplessness crossed Qin Mu's face. Is this something to joke about? You truly are remarkable. Wang Rui couldn't help but give a thumbs up. Qin Mu's expression remained calm as he strode towards the exit. Meanwhile, Xian Yuan Li Tian and an elderly man were in a room together. The old man's fists clenched involuntarily, his eyes filled with cold intensity. He found it difficult to forget what Qin Mu had just done to him. It was the first time in his life he had been so close to death. Li Tian, that Qin Mu has gone too far. Xian Yuan Li Tian's face bore a semblance of indifference. Rest assured, he won't live much longer. The old man nodded slightly, aware of Xian Yuan Li Tian's capabilities. It would be best to dismember him. A person like him deserves to die 1,000 times over. Xian Yuan Li Tian's expression remained composed as he turned his gaze to the old man. How are the preparations I asked you to make coming along? The old man immediately replied, they are nearly complete. As long as you are ready, we can enter Longdu at any time. Xian Yuan Li Tian nodded slightly. Good. Once I ascend to the position of head of the Xian Yuan family, you will not be left empty-handed. The old man nodded again, though a hint of contemplation crossed his face. Such prominent families often require the approval of Kunlun Su. Relying solely on secular power may not suffice. My sister has already reached out to those in Kunlun Su on my behalf, so you need not worry. Anyone who can rise to my position within the family has the backing of Kunlun Su. Xian Yuan Li Tian explained. The old man nodded. I understand. Enough of this idle chatter. Let us return. Xian Yuan Li Tian said promptly. However, just as he stood up, Qin Mu slowly walked in from outside. Did I grant you permission to leave? The expressions of Xian Yuan Li Tian and the old man changed dramatically. Their gazes fixed on Qin Mu as if they had seen a ghost. Qin Mu's eyes bore a cold glint as he regarded them with a smirk. You certainly have audacity to plot my assassination. Xian Yuan Li Tian demanded. How are you still alive? Why shouldn't I be? Qin Mu retorted. Xian Yuan Li Tian's fists tightened, and the old man's face grew increasingly grim. Qin Mu, you truly surprise me. To survive an attack from such a formidable opponent. Xian Yuan Li Tian's gaze remained locked on Qin Mu. Qin Mu's expression was indifferent. It's merely a god-level expert. What's so impressive about that? Xian Yuan Li Tian's demeanor was calm. Indeed, just a god-level expert. In Kunlun Su, that is hardly noteworthy. Nevertheless, achieving such strength at your age is indeed commendable. Qin Mu's eyes narrowed slightly. He had sensed that this world was anything but simple. Now, hearing Xian Yuan Li Tian's words, he realized that there were many realms beyond the god level. However, Qin Mu did not possess extensive knowledge on these matters. In a swift motion, he approached Xian Yuan Li Tian, gripping his neck with one hand, the coldness in his gaze unmistakable. If you wish to kill me, shouldn't you be prepared to pay some price? Chapter 407, An Inescapable Fate. The expressions of those around them shifted noticeably. Qin Mu's audacity was astonishing. After all, this was Xian Yuan Li Tian. It was no exaggeration to say that he was a figure of dominion in Modu. The disparity between Modu and Longdu was immense. Longdu was the epicenter of power, a realm that everyone aspired to reach. Even though Qin Mu wielded considerable influence in Modu, he still faced a significant gap in Longdu. Pain etched Xian Yuan Li Tian's face as he looked at Qin Mu. Do you know who I am? Of course I do. You have repeatedly sought trouble with me. Do you truly believe that I, Qin Mu, am easy to bully? The coldness in Qin Mu's eyes was palpable. Xian Yuan Li Tian felt the air in his brain gradually thin, waves of agony assailing him. His face flushed, overwhelmed by an indescribable torment. Qin Mu, you can't kill me. Xian Yuan Li Tian's voice grew faint. At that moment, a figure suddenly charged towards them. How dare you lay hands on someone from the Xian Yuan family? The man brandished two daggers aimed at Qin Mu's vital points. Qin Mu's eyes remained chillingly indifferent. With a swift kick, he sent the attacker hurtling backward. The old man's expression shifted drastically. He understood the strength of Xian Yuan Li Tian's guard. Yet, such a person could not withstand even a single blow from Qin Mu. Crack! Qin Mu exerted force with one hand. A sharp sound resonated from Xian Yuan Li Tian's bones, and his breath dissipated instantly. The old man's eyes filled with terror. He is dead. Xian Yuan Li Tian is dead. His body trembled slightly, fully aware of the impending consequences. Qin Mu casually discarded his corpse onto the ground and turned his gaze towards the old man. Your protector is dead. You now face two choices. Either await retribution from the Xian Yuan family, or surrender all your forces to me. The old man's eyes were filled with dread. Madman. An absolute madman. Do you not realize the implications of killing Xian Yuan Li Tian? Do you understand what you've done? The old man's voice quaked. I am fully aware. It is you who is yet to grasp the magnitude of the adversary you have offended. A cold smile curled Qin Mu's lips. From what I gather, the Xian Yuan family has always been domineering. With their son slain here, you bear an inescapable responsibility. If I am not mistaken, a calamity in Zhonghai should soon unfold. The old man's expression changed abruptly. The Zhonghai calamity was a sensational case, where an incredibly powerful family was annihilated. Over 200 members of that family perished in a single night. This incident had a significant impact across Shenzhou. Those familiar with the details knew that the true orchestrator behind the tragedy was a prominent family from Longdu. All because a scion of theirs had his hand broken by a wealthy heir in Zhonghai. The disparities between individuals were stark. The chasm between Longdu and Modu was insurmountable. Xian Yuan Li Tian's death would inevitably implicate the Wang family. Even if Qin Mu faced repercussions from the Xian Yuan family, the Wang family could not escape unscathed. Chapter 408, The 8 Great Families of Longdu. Qin Mu's gaze fixed on him, the coldness in his eyes unmistakable. You still have a chance to deliberate. In the future, you may find that opportunity has vanished. The old man's face displayed hesitation as he regarded Qin Mu. Upon meeting his icy stare, he took a deep breath. I can hand over the Wang family to you, but I have one condition. Qin Mu's gaze bore an expression of indifference. If it is merely to preserve the lives of your family, I can certainly accomplish that. The elder's complexion shifted slightly, and he nodded faintly. Then as you say, I shall entrust the Wang family to you. A trace of nonchalance graced the corners of Qin Mu's lips. With the power of the Wang family at his disposal, he would face no rivals in this city of demons. Yet, a flicker of hesitation crossed the elder's face. There is one matter I must still disclose to you. Qin Mu's expression turned inquisitive. What is it? Although you have acquired the Wang family's influence, in this city of demons, you still cannot monopolize everything. The elder stated earnestly. What do you mean? The elder's tone remained calm. The depths of this city are far too complex. Should you truly wish to assimilate its power wholly, your current standing is merely insufficient. Do you know why this city has flourished for so long, yet remains unable to rival Longdu? Are you aware of why Xianyuan Litian, merely a scion of the Xianyuan family, can instill such fear in me? Qin Mu's expression shifted. He had previously sensed something amiss. Now, his apprehensions were solidified. I do not fear to tell you. The city of demons is more terrifying than you can fathom. Behind us, there are even more formidable figures. The elder continued. You may investigate the Wang family's accounts. Our scale reaches trillions, yet the actual figures are but a pittance. The burdens you will bear upon taking over the Wang family are far more than you can imagine. His tone carried a hint of coldness, his fists clenched instinctively. Over the years, he had indeed shouldered many burdens. Qin Mu inhaled deeply, fixing his gaze upon the elder. Tell me everything you know. The elder replied, his tone unperturbed. I will speak plainly. There has always been a force covertly manipulating the city of demons. Wang Rui's ability to instill fear in Xianyuan Litian is largely due to the influence of this power behind him. Have you ever heard of Kunlun Su? Qin Mu's eyes reflected confusion. Kunlun Su? What place is that? It is not surprising that you have not heard of it. Many in the city of demons have not encountered their name, for they possess abilities beyond ordinary comprehension. The elder explained slowly. In truth, the world should be divided into two halves. One is the realm within Kunlun Su, and the other is the mundane world. Within Kunlun Su reside numerous formidable individuals, their legacies spanning millennia, with capabilities we can scarcely imagine. In the mundane world, a godlike master can crush us utterly. Yet those in Kunlun Su are hardly fazed by such power. The reason Longdu has maintained its status as the capital of the divine land, while subduing other cities, lies in the fact that powerful figures from Kunlun Su have been strategically placed within Longdu, particularly among the 8 prominent families. The elder's words were imbued with a chilling gravity, each syllable seemingly revealing a new dimension to Qin Mu. Chapter 409, Kunlun Su. Kunlun Su. Qin Mu's eyes brimmed with contemplation. It was the first time he had encountered this name. What do you know of Kunlun Su? He inquired. My knowledge is limited. Yet I am acutely aware that many powerful factions in the divine land are shadowed by the influence of Kunlun Su. I once heard an individual from Longdu remark that the so-called divine land is merely a plaything of Kunlun Su. Everything in the divine land is under their control. The elder stated with earnestness. Qin Mu's expression shifted. Is the entirety of the divine land merely their toy, or perhaps a source of sustenance, continuously supplying the finest resources to Kunlun Su? The elder fell silent, having contemplated such thoughts himself, yet he dared not dwell on them. To many, they were an invincible force, yet in the eyes of Kunlun Su, they amounted to little. Their generations of struggle only rendered them pawns in a larger game. At times, he found himself curious about Kunlun Su's true nature and the source of its overwhelming power, which could reduce these great figures to mere cattle. Enough. I comprehend this matter now. From today forth, you shall assist me in investigating Kunlun Su. Inform me immediately of any developments. Qin Mu stated calmly. Kunlun Su indeed wielded immense power, yet with his system, he too possessed formidable strength. The elder's expression faltered slightly. Qin Mu, investigating Kunlun Su is a perilous endeavor. If discovered, it could spell doom for us all. Proceed as you wish. I have my own means of protection. Qin Mu replied dismissively. The elder nodded slightly, feeling a tinge of helplessness. He was uncertain whether this decision was right or wrong. On the third day following Xianyuan Litian's demise, at the Xianyuan family in Longdu, a bastion of power, countless influential figures visited annually, seeking to forge connections with the Xianyuan family. At this moment, within the inner sanctum of the Xianyuan family, a middle-aged man in his 50s, with graying temples and a spirited demeanor, exuded an air of authority as he sat in a side chamber. Above him stood 2 young men clad in ancient robes, no more than 20 or 30 years old. Their presence was decidedly unremarkable. Yet the middle-aged man regarded them with utmost reverence. It is a blessing for our Xianyuan family that the 2 esteemed immortals choose to grace us with their presence. We shall do everything in our power to accommodate your needs, he said respectfully, his eyes betraying a deep admiration. The man on the right spoke in a calm tone. We have come at the behest of our master to procure certain medicinal herbs. Should we manage to gather them, you shall not be left wanting in return. As he spoke, he placed a prescription before the middle-aged man. Before the latter could scrutinize the document, a figure burst into the room. "Master, it is bad news." A woman, voluptuous and exuding a mature charm, rushed in. However, upon her entrance, a palpable aura of murderous intent enveloped her. She was the second wife of Qin Mu, accustomed to favor and indulgence, even in her most outrageous actions. Yet today, Qin Mu's gaze was as frigid as ice. "Impudent," Qin Mu reprimanded, delivering a decisive blow to the woman. Blood gushed from her mouth, her eyes wide with disbelief. She collapsed to the ground, lifeless in an instant. Qin Mu's expression turned to one of alarm as he respectfully clasped his hands before the two men. "My wife has disturbed the two esteemed immortals. I beg your forgiveness." Chapter 410, Bloodguard. The younger man wore a look of indifference. "Dispose of the corpse properly. Do not let the bloodstains offend our eyes." "Yes," Qin Mu replied, nodding vigorously. Once the two departed, he exhaled deeply, his gaze falling upon the lifeless body with a hint of coldness. He had indeed cherished this woman, but affection did not grant her the liberty to act recklessly. He took a seat as several servants rushed in to remove the woman's corpse. A middle-aged man entered. Standing beside Qin Mu, with a tone of indifference, Qin Mu remarked, "The immortal has come to seek our assistance. We must strive to fulfill their wishes. As this is what they desire, ensure that you search diligently." "Understood." The middle-aged man nodded. Qin Mu took a sip of tea, a hint of perplexity crossing his features. What was the purpose of Madame's hasty entrance just now? "It concerns young Master Li Tian," the middle-aged man explained. "He has been murdered." Qin Mu's expression shifted. "What transpired?" "It was a young man named Qin Mu from the Demon City," the middle-aged man replied. "Qin Mu?" A look of intrigue flickered across Qin Mu's face. "He is a young talent who has risen recently in the Demon City, possessing considerable strength," the middle-aged man added. "Such audacity! To think that one of our Qin Mu family members could be slain," Qin Mu stated coldly. "Send the Blood Guard to investigate. If they are not from the immortal sect, eliminate them." "Understood." The middle-aged man nodded. A day passed swiftly. At this moment, Qin Mu sat within the Wang family estate, surrounded by numerous members of the Wang clan, many of whom scrutinized him with keen eyes. A middle-aged man clenched his fists, for he was the heir to the next family head position, now usurped by Qin Mu. Resentment brewed within him, yet he was largely aware of the unfolding events. "Young Master Qin, given the Qin Mu family's influence, they will undoubtedly seek retribution against us. We need a strategy," Wang Yuanhai said earnestly. The others echoed this sentiment. "A strategy? What sort of strategy do we require? If the Qin Mu family dares to come, we shall slay them without hesitation," Qin Mu replied dismissively. Upon hearing this, the expressions of those present visibly changed. The Qin Mu family had the immortal sect backing them. Should there be significant casualties, the sect's wrath would be dire, and no one would be able to contend with it, Wang Yuanhai cautioned. A look of calmness adorned Qin Mu's face. "If I lacked the confidence, how could I have dared to kill Qin Li Tian? Rest assured, my audacity to speak stems from my own assurance. What you must do now is negotiate resource exchanges with the Bai family. I intend to forge a thriving commercial empire in the Demon City." The faces of those present shifted at this declaration. Wang Yuanhai nodded slightly, resigned to accept Qin Mu's plan. Casting his gaze forward, Qin Mu's eyes displayed a hint of coldness, sensing an overwhelming aura of murderous intent approaching. Just then, the door was forcefully kicked open. Several men clad in crimson armor, exuding an extraordinary presence, strode in. The sight of them caused a shift in the demeanor of everyone present. The Bloodguard, one of the Qin Mu family's trump cards, possessing lawful enforcement powers and formidable combat prowess. "Who is Qin Mu?" The leading middle-aged man barked, his cold gaze unmistakably menacing. Qin Mu slowly rose, an air of nonchalance about him. "I am Qin Mu." "Such audacity! You dare to kill one of the Qin Mu family." The leading man's eyes were filled with icy malice, a terrifying aura radiating from him. Chapter 411, The Immortal Array. Feeling this aura, everyone present experienced a sensation akin to having their throats constricted, their eyes reflecting sheer terror. Each member of the Blood Guard possessed immense strength, and more importantly, they had official backing. Any resistance would only spell trouble for the common folk. Qin Mu's expression was indifferent. "I merely killed a spoiled scion. What more do you wish to do?" The leader's murderous intent was palpable. "You seek death," he shouted, his figure almost instantaneously appearing before Qin Mu. Brandishing a spear, he lunged at Qin Mu with the ferocity of a dragon. The faces of those present paled in response. Quickly, too fast. The distance from the door to Qin Mu was at least several dozen meters, yet the man covered it in the blink of an eye. As the spear pierced through the air, Qin Mu's demeanor remained composed, a fierce energy erupting from him. "Begone!" he roared, striking with force. With a resounding thud, the spear was sent crashing to the ground. The leader staggered, nearly losing his balance. Incredulity etched across his face. Despite the speed of his assault, Qin Mu had effortlessly deflected his spear. Such prowess was akin to catching a sword with 2 fingers. The leader retreated hastily, fear evident in his eyes. Is this the best the Xianyuan family can send? You must think very little of me, Qin Mu taunted. The leader's expression darkened. He realized that capturing Qin Mu would be an almost impossible feat. Notify the law enforcement team in the Demon City. Let them intervene, he commanded. Qin Mu's expression remained unfazed. Are you certain you can summon the authorities in the Demon City? The leader's eyes betrayed his uncertainty. While Qin Mu's strength was indeed formidable, it seemed implausible that he could overshadow the Xianyuan family's influence. Just then, a subordinate whispered to him. The law enforcement team isn't answering the calls. What? The blood guard's expression shifted dramatically, his fists clenched tightly. He had not anticipated that Qin Mu's influence in the Demon City had reached such heights. Very well. The leader's fists tightened. Form ranks. As his words fell, dozens of men arranged themselves into formation. You have forced my hand. This array was bestowed upon the Xianyuan family by the immortal. Once activated, all within its bounds shall perish. The leader sneered. The Wang family members exchanged fearful glances, their expressions starkly altered. Qin Mu's gaze remained indifferent. An aura of spiritual energy enveloping him. An immortal array? I shall see what this so-called immortal array holds in store. Qin Mu retorted with a cold laugh. He began to advance, a terrifying energy emanating from him. Meanwhile, the men formed their array, resembling a colossal crimson spear, charging toward Qin Mu with astounding speed. The velocity was staggering. Swish! The sound of the air being pierced echoed, as if the very atmosphere was being torn apart by this force. Qin Mu's expression shifted slightly. He could sense that this array was indeed formidable, capable of unifying the strength of all present in an instant, an extraordinary feat. Chapter 412, Elimination. The massive crimson spear surged toward Qin Mu, the overwhelming power sweeping toward him. Despite the ferocity of the assault, Qin Mu maintained a calm demeanor. Spiritual energy swirling around him as terrifying strength erupted forth. Boom! A terrifying surge of spiritual energy radiated outward, causing the ground to fracture and the air to resonate with a sound reminiscent of tearing fabric. The onlookers, witnessing this spectacle, wore expressions of astonishment and dread. They were simultaneously in awe of the power unleashed by the Blood Guard and incredulous at Qin Mu's methods. Even divine-level experts would find it challenging to contend with the Blood Guard's tactics. Yet, Qin Mu appeared remarkably unperturbed, his countenance remarkably composed. How formidable! Who would have thought he could be so powerful? How had he achieved this, considering the Blood Guard's prowess was no trifling matter? It was astonishing. No wonder he dared to slay Li Tian. Various murmurs arose, and the Wang family members displayed an unmistakable increase in their reverence for Qin Mu. A hint of cold indifference crossed Qin Mu's face as he regarded the fallen Blood Guard before him, his tone devoid of emotion. Is this all the strength you possess? The leader of the group spat blood, his face contorted in agony. Qin Mu took slow, deliberate steps toward him. With a swift motion of his hand, the man's head was severed cleanly from his body, and Qin Mu's expression remained impassive. Dare to approach? Then you must pay the price. The color drained from the faces of the Wang family members. These individuals were not to be trifled with. And Qin Mu's unrestrained slaughter of them showed a blatant disregard for the Xianyuan clan. Not a single one remains. All have been slain, Qin Mu declared coldly. Understood. As his words echoed in the air, the Wang family nodded in unison, acutely aware of Qin Mu's character. If they failed to act, it was likely that their lives would be forfeit. One by one, the Blood Guards fell, their blood staining the courtyard of the Wang family. Qin Mu advanced, his gaze fixed upon the azure sky, a chill in his eyes. Throughout his journey, he had never been a bloodthirsty individual. Yet, as he grew stronger, he discerned that those at the pinnacle of power often held life in little regard. In light of this, he had to cultivate a greater degree of coldness. Xianyuan family, you have sought your own demise. Qin Mu's eyes were icy. Upon returning home, he found Lu Ruobing seated in the living room. Seeing her, Qin Mu's expression shifted to one of curiosity as he approached her. What brings you here? Lu Ruobing met his gaze, her expression heavy with concern. I've received word that the Blood Guards will soon be coming for you. A smile flickered on Qin Mu's lips. Then you should keep your distance. What if the Blood Guards come for me? Lu Ruobing shot him an exasperated look. Do you think I'm the kind of person who would abandon you? Qin Mu reclined on the sofa, a sense of ease washing over him. I've sensed it, but there's nothing to worry about. I have already dealt with them. Dealt with them? Lu Ruobing's face registered disbelief. Qin Mu nodded slightly. They came seeking me, and I simply killed them. Lu Ruobing swallowed hard. Her gaze fixed on Qin Mu with a mix of shock and awe. She felt that Qin Mu's audacity was astonishing. Chapter 413, Ambush. Noticing Lu Ruobing's reaction, Qin Mu chuckled. Surprised, are we? Lu Ruobing nodded, her mouth forming an A shape. Do you understand the consequences of killing them? Qin Mu's demeanor was nonchalant. The repercussions are of little concern to me. Since they wished to provoke me, I naturally showed no mercy. Lu Ruobing felt a flicker of helplessness at Qin Mu's boldness. For a moment, she questioned whether Qin Mu had some hidden backing. Qin Mu, are you from Kunlun? Qin Mu paused, a smile gracing his features. Am I really that impressive? Lu Ruobing mused. There's a possibility. You exude an air of mystery, unlike anyone else. I seriously suspect you hail from Kunlun and possess a significant background. Observing her expression, Qin Mu felt a twinge of regret. He wished he had such a background, one that could compel the Xianyuan family to kneel before him. Unfortunately, he lacked such power. Don't overthink it. I have no notable background, Qin Mu replied calmly. Lu Ruobing regarded him thoughtfully, her skepticism evident. Yet, she chose not to press further. Just then, a thunderous explosion rang out, causing Qin Mu's expression to shift abruptly. He swiftly enveloped Lu Ruobing in his arms and dashed to the side. Boom! A massive explosion reverberated through the room, sending shockwaves through the surroundings. Qin Mu and Lu Ruobing took refuge, their faces reflecting the gravity of the situation. Lu Ruobing was shaken, while Qin Mu's gaze turned steely as he peered into the distance. He recognized the assault as coming from outside, aimed at their location. In this day and age, such audacity was remarkable. Qin Mu's fists clenched involuntarily, a coldness settling in his eyes. It must be the Xianyuan family, Lu Ruobing whispered. Qin Mu nodded slightly. His eyes fixed ahead, where he could see a helicopter hovering several dozen meters away, its rotors producing a deafening roar. Armed figures aboard the helicopter aimed their weapons in their direction. These ruffians are well prepared, Qin Mu thought, a smirk tugging at the corners of his mouth. Be cautious. Their audacity suggests they are fully armed, Lu Ruobing warned. I'm fine. Qin Mu's demeanor remained icy. Meanwhile, from the helicopter, several men clad in camouflage surveyed the vivid scene with expressions of delight. What a spectacular display. That guy must be dead by now, they mused. Though it is said he possesses strength comparable to a divine-level expert, facing such close-range firepower, his chances of survival are slim. They scoffed at his foolishness for provoking the Xianyuan family, deeming him a fool for his actions. The boss insists that we must see his corpse. Let us wait a moment before we approach. These incendiary rounds are potent and toxic. They believed Qin Mu's survival was impossible. Yet they failed to notice a pair of eyes, akin to a venomous snake, watching them from within the thick smoke. Chapter 414, Blood Soul. Lu Ruobing's eyes still carried a hint of terror, leaving her momentarily speechless. You need to move to the back. They're likely coming this way, Qin Mu urged quietly. Lu Ruobing's complexion shifted as she realized Qin Mu was regulating his breathing, his gaze sharpening with intensity. After a while, the helicopter gradually approached their vicinity. Lu Ruobing's heart raced with apprehension. Qin Mu's eyes remained fixed ahead, and as the helicopter neared, several fully armed men leaped from it, rifles in hand, scanning their surroundings. Just then, a whoosh echoed as a shadow flitted through the air, and one figure swiftly appeared before one of the men. Swish! The sound of air being torn apart abruptly resonated, as one could see Qin Mu's palm piercing directly through the throat of the man before him. A look of astonishment evident in his eyes. The expressions of the others shifted dramatically, their firearms swiveling toward this direction. Yet, in that fleeting moment, Qin Mu's figure moved with astonishing swiftness, arriving before them almost instantaneously. A series of piercing sounds echoed as silhouettes fell at his hands, blood staining the earth beneath. The man aboard the helicopter, witnessing this scene, was overtaken by terror. He attempted to pilot the helicopter away, but to his astonishment, Qin Mu's form appeared atop the helicopter. His gaze frigid and emanating a palpable aura of lethal intent. Who are you? Qin Mu's voice resonated low and menacing. The man felt an acute sense of vulnerability. Yet they were all trained individuals. Facing such a situation, the pilot's finger moved towards a button. With a swift motion, a sound sliced through the air, causing blood to cascade as his entire fingertip was severed, eliciting a tortured scream. Qin Mu's fingers flicked rapidly against him, an intense agony surging forth, causing his body to tremble violently, his face contorted in unspeakable suffering. I ask you once more, who are you? Qin Mu's tone was grave, akin to a furious beast. The man's countenance twisted further, the agony etched on his face becoming increasingly pronounced, his body writhing in torment. Before long, it seemed his mental defenses had been breached, and he regarded Qin Mu with an expression tinged with desperation. I will tell you. I will tell you. Qin Mu's cold gaze bore into him. We are the Xianyuan family, the Blood Soul Squad, the man gasped out in pain. Blood Soul Squad. A flicker of confusion crossed Qin Mu's features. The Blood Soul Squad is a clandestine organization possessing bases in every city, typically tasked with handling matters related to the Xianyuan family. You previously killed a member of the Blood Guard, inciting the furious wrath of the Xianyuan family, which prompted our intervention, the man elucidated. Qin Mu's eyes narrowed slightly, his tone growing detached. Where is the Blood Soul Squad located in the Devil City? The man's body quivered, beset by excruciating pain. I only know of a base at Linchuan Building, he replied. With a single motion of his hand, blood continued to flow as the man's life force waned. Exhaling softly, Qin Mu proceeded forward. Upon witnessing the unfolding scene, Lu Ruobing felt a chill within her heart. Qin Mu's gaze fell upon her, his expression marked by a semblance of calm. Find a place to rest for a while. I have a matter to attend to. Chapter 4:15. Qin Mu's movements. Qin Mu swiftly departed from the scene, his steps gradually leading him onward. The actions of the Xianyuan family had undoubtedly provoked his ire. All along, he had considered himself a relatively benevolent person, yet he harbored a profound aversion to being bullied, especially in such a manner. His eyes were devoid of warmth, an invisible aura of murderous intent emanating from him. As he approached a corner, a long luxury car came to a halt, and Qin Mu entered. The driver, clad in sunglasses, remained silent as Qin Mu's voice emerged, gravelly, to Linchuan Building. Understood, the driver replied promptly. The vehicle sped forth, not pausing even at red lights. Many luxury cars, upon sighting this one, hastily veered aside, recognizing its extraordinary lineage and exorbitant worth. Approximately an hour and a half later, the car halted before the entrance of Linchuan Building. As Qin Mu stepped out, his gaze met the towering structure, and the coldness within his eyes deepened. Thunder rumbled ominously as rain began to fall from the now overcast sky, the once clear weather turning dreary, and the air swiftly cooling. Qin Mu approached the entrance of Linchuan Building, where a few security guards stood. Upon seeing him, their expressions shifted noticeably. Who are you? They inquired. Linchuan Building had always maintained an air of mystery, unwelcoming to outsiders. Had it not been for the events of the day, Qin Mu would never have surmised that this was a stronghold of the Xianyuan family. Observing the guards before him, Qin Mu perceived the faintest fluctuations of spiritual energy emanating from them. Leave. Qin Mu's tone was frigidly resolute. Meanwhile, within the Devil City, many were aware of the unfolding situation. In the realm of the Devil City, Qin Mu was a figure of considerable renown, drawing the attention of numerous onlookers. The Wang family, a dozen members of the Wang family exchanged anxious glances as they sat together, a display screen before them revealing Qin Mu's movements. Their expressions were tinged with apprehension. What is he going there for? One of the Wang family members queried, confusion evident on his face. Linchuan Building had always been enigmatic, and its owner possessed considerable influence, regarded almost as a taboo within the Devil City. Unsurprisingly, Linchuan Building must be a stronghold of the Xianyuan family, another member interjected hastily. The elder's tone grew somber. Indeed, many here are taken aback by the revelation. Are they truly a stronghold of the Xianyuan family? Someone exclaimed incredulously. Indeed. The elder inhaled deeply. As the head of the Wang family, he possessed knowledge beyond that of ordinary individuals, yet he could not fully ascertain the veracity of this information. The sudden appearance of Qin Mu in this locale had brought this matter to the forefront of his mind. What was his intention? A member of the Wang family expressed anxiety. The elder's gaze remained fixed on the screen displaying Qin Mu, his fists clenching involuntarily. He understood that Qin Mu's presence here likely signified an intention to deliver a lesson to the Xianyuan family. However, such actions would inevitably lead to an all-out war with them. A moment's carelessness could unleash tumultuous repercussions akin to a tsunami. Could he truly withstand such a storm? The elder murmured softly. The bi-family expressions of concern flickered across the faces of several individuals who had recently received pertinent information. This is quite the commotion from young Master Qin. A portly middle-aged man sighed, worry etched in his features. What is he planning? Does he intend to turn the Devil City upside down? Another could not help but inquire. Young Master Qin's affairs are beyond our purview. The Bai family has long been tied to him, and whatever he does, we can only support, Bai Lao replied, a hint of resignation in his gaze. He understood the implications of Linchuan Building. If Qin Mu truly intended to cleanse it, it would virtually signify an all-out war with the Xianyuan family. Although he could not fathom what emboldened Qin Mu to act so, it was evident that he had made his choice. Regardless, they could only accompany Qin Mu on this tumultuous journey. Other factions with lesser ties to Qin Mu felt a mix of relief and anticipation, viewing the potential upheaval as an opportunity for their own ascendance amidst the reshuffling of power. If Qin Mu were to falter in his confrontation with the Xianyuan family, in the bustling metropolis, it is anticipated that at least 2 prominent families will be eradicated by the Xianyuan clan. This, in turn, implies that they will expand their territorial dominion. Consequently, Many among them secretly harbor hopes for Qin Mu's downfall. At this moment, outside the Linchuan building, several lifeless bodies lay beside Qin Mu. His gaze was imbued with a chilling indifference as he looked ahead. Before him stood dozens of fully armed men, their expressions devoid of emotion, their firearms trained on Qin Mu. A tall, square-faced, middle-aged man emerged from the throng, his piercing gaze fixated on Qin Mu, his voice laced with an authoritative edge. "Who are you? Do you not realize who you are challenging by sending someone to kill me?" Qin Mu retorted. The square-faced man narrowed his eyes slightly, while a companion whispered in his ear. A smirk of cold amusement crept across his lips. "So it is you. I see you have survived their clutches. However, your arrival here is quite the surprise." Qin Mu's eyes bore a more pronounced aura of menace. What else can the Xianyuan clan do besides resorting to such underhanded tactics? The square-faced man could not contain his laughter. The Xianyuan clan is one of the 8 great families of Longdu, with a profound legacy. To dare kill a member of the Xianyuan clan is to court death. Qin Mu, I truly wonder what gives you the audacity to provoke the Xianyuan clan. In their eyes, you are but a maggot. The murderous intent in Qin Mu's gaze intensified. "Make your move," the square-faced man barked. At his command, a barrage of gunfire erupted as dozens of armed men opened fire, the bullets slicing through the air towards Qin Mu. Swish, swish, swish. A hail of bullets pierced through Qin Mu's form, yet no blood flowed. As the onlookers regained their wits, Qin Mu's figure had already traversed to the front of these men. With a single sweep of his hand, one man's head was severed, blood gushing forth, rendering the scene grotesquely bloody. Qin Mu moved with relentless precision, akin to a reaper. The power he unleashed with each gesture was terrifyingly potent. Nearly every individual who appeared before him fell instantaneously, and within mere minutes, dozens of fully armed men lay lifeless on the ground. Qin Mu's gaze fixed upon the square-faced man, whose eyes now reflected sheer terror, as if he were staring at a demon. Each of his subordinates was thoroughly trained, and in a genuine confrontation, even hundreds of guards would falter against them. Yet, witnessing Qin Mu's effortless slaughter left him questioning his own sanity. Chapter 417. Just so. Qin Mu's expression remained cold. "It seems your Xianyuan knights are not as formidable as they claim." The man standing before Qin Mu trembled slightly. He had witnessed strength before, but never one as overwhelming as Qin Mu's. "Are you human or a ghost?" Qin Mu approached him, gripping his neck with a fierce glare. "What do you think I am?" The man's breathing grew labored. Having spent so long within the Xianyuan clan, he had never encountered anyone of Qin Mu's caliber. Suddenly, a sharp sound sliced through the air. Qin Mu's expression shifted as he swiftly shielded himself with the man's body. Swoosh! A sharp dagger pierced through the man's torso. Blood erupting from his mouth, his face contorted in agony. Behind him stood a man in his 30s, his gaze dark and calculating. Dressed in black and resembling a ninja from the east. "Impressive reflexes," he remarked in a somewhat halting version of Mandarin. Qin Mu smirked coldly. "So even the Easterners serve the Xianyuan clan? People die for wealth. Birds perish for food. The Xianyuan clan is prosperous, and I am honored to follow them." The man retorted dismissively. Seeing his demeanor, Qin Mu's eyes narrowed slightly. His previous impressions of the Easterners were not particularly favorable, and such words struck him as laughable. "Since that is the case, let your life be forfeited here." Qin Mu's tone was frigid. "Ridiculous. You think you can kill me?" The Eastern ninja scoffed, his figure darting forward at astonishing speed, a dagger poised to strike Qin Mu. Qin Mu evaded swiftly, his eyes betraying a cold detachment. In an instant, he retaliated with a fierce assault, slapping out with a hand that unleashed a terrifying force, shattering the Eastern ninja's hand bone. The ninja let out a cry of anguish, stumbling backward. A calm expression settled on Qin Mu's face. "You Eastern ninjas are hardly impressive." The man's eyes glimmered with resentment, yet he understood that Qin Mu's strength was formidable. Should a fight ensue, he stood little chance. "You shameless person from the Central Plains, relying on your brute strength to impose your will. We Easterners fight with skill, if you truly have the ability. Let us compare techniques." He maintained an air of superiority, despite the chill in his demeanor. Qin Mu nodded slightly. "You make a valid point. Let us then measure our skills." The Eastern man's eyes sparkled with excitement as he brandished his dagger, exuding a menacing aura. Just then, a shadow flitted past, moving with astonishing speed. The Eastern ninja's eyes widened in disbelief. A crimson line appeared across his neck, blood gushing forth uncontrollably. Qin Mu stood behind him, blade in hand, a hint of exasperation in his voice. "In this contest of skills, you are clearly outmatched." As the Eastern ninja's body slumped to the ground, his wide eyes seemed to convey a silent question. Why is there such a powerful being? Qin Mu strode forward, and not long after, several figures approached him, clad in black long coats, their eyes cold and unyielding. "Qin Mu, do you truly intend to wage war against the Xianyuan clan?" A man in his 60s stared icily at Qin Mu. Qin Mu remained composed. Are you the leader here? Indeed, the man replied coolly. I am the butcher. Ranked 7th on the divine list. Qin Mu's eyes narrowed slightly. The 7th rank on the divine list indicated an exceptionally formidable presence. He had not anticipated the Xianyuan clan possessed such depth, with even a 7th-ranked individual willing to serve them. The butcher's lips curled into a frosty smile. Your perspective is ultimately rather limited. This world is far more complex than you can fathom. Qin Mu's expression tightened. He had previously sensed that the world was indeed more intricate than he imagined. Moreover, given the ambiguity surrounding Kunlun Su, witnessing a 7th-ranked figure so fervently serving the Xianyuan clan suggested that even greater powers might be at play. Nevertheless, the presence of his own system provided Qin Mu with a measure of reassurance, for he understood that with such a golden finger, his strength could not possibly be lacking. Qin Mu, your prowess is quite admirable. If circumstances permit, I would be honored to have you join the Xianyuan clan. This world is far more expansive than you can fathom, and considering your youth, having attained such cultivation, it is conceivable that with time, you might reach even greater heights. The profound legacy of the Xianyuan clan could indeed facilitate your advancement. The gaze of the blood butcher swept over Qin Mu, his expression earnest. He was acutely aware of Qin Mu's potential. Should the Xianyuan clan extend him an opportunity, it is entirely possible that Qin Mu might carve out a significant legacy in the future. A hint of cold amusement curled at the corners of Qin Mu's lips. Do you truly believe that after causing such a commotion, I would easily reconcile? The blood butcher's fist instinctively clenched tighter. You are inviting punishment by rejecting hospitality. Qin Mu's eyes reflected a certain aloofness. Suddenly, a sharp whoosh pierced the air as the blood butcher closed the distance between them, unleashing a terrifying punch that surged toward Qin Mu with astonishing speed. Upon witnessing the ferocity of the assault, Qin Mu's countenance shifted slightly. The blood butcher's strength was far greater than he had anticipated, his power dreadfully formidable. Qin Mu swiftly retreated, yet the blood butcher advanced with remarkable swiftness, his fist raised like a tiger leaping from its lair, an overwhelming force cascading forth. Accompanied by a series of ear-splitting sonic booms, Qin Mu's expression became increasingly grave, a flicker of apprehension glimmering in his eyes. Haha, it seems your strength is not as formidable as I had imagined. A glint of excitement lit the blood butcher's eyes as his fists rained down upon Qin Mu like an avalanche, his speed astonishing. Qin Mu's steps faltered as he continued to withdraw, a trace of derision evident in his gaze. With a resounding crack, a sharp noise echoed through the air. Qin Mu struck out with a single hand, and the blood butcher staggered back, blood spewing from his mouth, his face contorted in agony.